reborn into an abusive man's body. As I opened my eyes, I found my wife holding a knife, stabbing towards me. Without much thought, I quickly rolled off the ground and shouted, "Stop!" But now, a Gushingi will break this rule, for no other reason, because the central mom came out. Capital is even more powerful, but also do not dare to be reckless in front of the central mom. Lu Gao put his cell phone down with a calm face. Until this moment, he decided that Gushingi really had the qualifications to be his opponent. He blocked him, and he turned the blocking into a joke with a move of borrowing power. The hardest part was that Hua Yang still took the initiative to come out and speak up for him, so one could imagine how terrifying he really was. In form down, all moves against Xia Shiyao are terminated. Since Gushingi wants to fight, then it's as he wishes. I'd like to see how he, alone, can fight with capital. At the same time, Tian Xingqi and Shangshi Entertainment similarly squinted his green bean eyes, quietly looking at everything that was happening on the roundup right now. A moment later, he suddenly laughed, and muttered even more under his breath. Interesting. It's really interesting. While in Soundsi Entertainment, Yang Xian was looking at the Gobo with an old and cozy expression. Yang Lin was sitting beside him, and at this moment, his eyes were already wide open. He really has a method. Surprisingly, he really solved this matter perfectly. I told you earlier, he's not an ordinary person, and he won't do anything without certainty. Daughter, look, isn't your dad's vision better than yours? Yang Xian let out a laugh and picked up the teacup on the table to take a sip of tea. Yang Lin glanced at her arrogant father and couldn't help but mutter, "Two foxes, neither of them are good anyway." Hearing this, Yang Xian almost didn't spit out his tea in one gulp. What do you mean by not good things? It's even if he scolded that Gushingi guy, how come he even scolded his own dad? Gushingi. How the hell did your head grow? It's so awesome. That's why Yang Tao Leilei's horrifying screams made Gushingi resist the urge to cover his ears, and he hastily spoke out to stop her. Calm down. Calm down. Look at you, you look like you've never seen the world before. Gushingi had a smile on his face. In fact, he didn't expect Hua Yang to retweet this roundup of his blog. Originally, his idea was just to post a roundup blog first, and when Hua Yang's program came out, his song would naturally follow the fire, and then those so-called capitals naturally couldn't suppress his heat. The difference between the two is just one active and one passive. He really did not expect Hua Yang will directly out of the voice, this time, really owe a big favor. However, owing a favor to Central Mom, seemingly, was quite good. What do you mean you haven't seen the world? Look at Sister Xiaoyo, she's just as shocked. Hearing Gushingi's words, Tao Leilei beamed in dissatisfaction as she skimmed her head, signaling that her sister Xiaoyo wasn't much better. Gushingi twisted his head to look, and saw Xia Shiyao on the sofa looking at herself dumbfounded, her face evenly red and, Gushingi rubbed his forehead. Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand, Xia Shiyao. She was not shocked. Obviously when she got up in the morning, she was bullied severely by him while the little one was still awake, and now she's like this. Alright, go ahead and shock yourself slowly. I'm going out. I have an appointment with Crazy today to recruit some voice actors there at the Media University. Gushingi picked up his cell phone and looked at the time, stood up and said, then turned his head to look at Xia Shiyao who was still in a daze. Honey, I'm going out. Ha? Yes. Xia Shiyao's entire mind was now in disarray, and after hearing Gushingi's words, she raised her head in response with some bewilderment. Even she herself didn't know what Gushingi had actually said. Gushingi touched his nose, smiled sarcastically, and hurriedly pushed open the door to walk away amidst Tao Leilei's puzzled eyes. God pity him, he used to be a single dog all the time. When he saw that kind of situation in the morning, he definitely couldn't help it, and as a result, it led to Xia Shiyao becoming what she is now. But hey, even if it happens again, he still can't help it. Driving all the way to the entrance of Jiangqing Media University, Gushingi put on the mask and duck-tongue cap that he had already prepared and got out of the car. Nowadays, he was getting more and more hot online, causing the mask and duck-tongue cap to already be a must-have item for him to go out. From time to time, there were students walking by the university entrance in twos and threes, and Gushingi walked to the main entrance of the school before he saw Chen Feng standing in front of the door waiting. Gushingi didn't know much about signboards, and he had come here at Chen Feng's request. Old Gu. Here. Before he got close, Chen Feng shouted, it's true that things like masks and hats are of no use at all in front of people who are familiar with you. Gushingi walked over quickly, and after glancing inside the school, asked, say, how is the signboard? Go. I've already contacted the schoolmates inside, they've organized quite a few people to apply for jobs today, just waiting for us to go over. Good. Gushingi nodded and entered the school along with Chen Feng. It wasn't until this small job fair began that Gushingi realized that his role in coming over was mainly that of a mascot. Gu Xingyi looked at the wolf-like eyes of those young schoolmates on the field and unconsciously gulped. He was now incomparably tempted to knife Qin Feng, the cub seed who was selling out for employees. No wonder a simple recruitment is almost opened into a small job fair. It turned out that this bastard had informed these younger siblings in advance that he would be coming as well. Numb. It's not the recruiting that's numb. It's the signature that's numb. Although the purpose of recruiting was successfully completed, Gu Xingyi now only wanted to send the fat man with the stupid grin around him to the market. Oh, not right. It was sent to the morning market. He wanted to eat pork. Having managed to break free from the circle of schoolmates, Gu Xingyi breathed a sigh of relief, and for the first time, he felt the annoyance of being famous. It was good that these students still had professional ethics and didn't make a big deal out of it, otherwise, Gu Xingyi wouldn't dare to imagine what the scene would be like. The two of them walked out of the school, and Qin Feng hemmed and hawed. Old Gu, look, once you came, the quality of the voice actors we recruited all came up, and with you as the gatekeeper, I'm a bit more at ease. Gu Xingyi glanced at him, non-committal. The reasoning was so reasonable, but why did he want to punch him when he saw him like that? Now that the dubbing and a series of other personnel are all gathered, the following professional stuff will depend on you. Crazy, how about it? Any confidence? Gu Xingyi didn't dwell on this topic anymore, and turned to ask another question. Qin Feng first froze for a moment, then a confident smile rose on his face as he nodded and said very seriously, that must be there. Old Gu, although in terms of feelings, perhaps I'm a bit second, but in this area, I'm a professional. Just wait and see. Qin Feng said, in his heart, he was also calculating the time. He wanted to hurry up to the time when Wang Jun's anime was aired, and successfully produce this anime as well. From where he fell down, Qin Feng was not the kind of fool who did not repay for his grudges. Gu Xingyi smiled back and didn't say anything. He believed that Qin Feng would definitely take care of things afterward. The two of them walked side by side towards the parking lot, and as they walked, Gu Xingyi suddenly stopped in his tracks and looked up to a short distance ahead. There was a bunch of students gathered there at some point, and amongst the crowd, from time to time, the sound of music came from it. The sound of this music was very familiar, and it was clearly the first song that Gu Xingyi had come here to sing, A Lifetime of You. Go over and take a look. Gu Xingyi's eyes lit up for a moment. It was the first time he had heard his own song on the side of the road, and he was a little curious for a moment. Qin Feng nodded his head, and the two of them quickly walked up, drilling into the crowd. They saw that surrounded in the middle of the crowd were two young men. One was holding a guitar and was fondly singing A Lifetime of Having You, while the other stood next to him and was interacting with the people around him. The two are obviously not students of this university, older, looks are not very outstanding, wearing some white clothes washed, although the clothes are a little old, but give people look but not sloppy, cleaned up as quite fresh, one side of the open space, but also piled up their luggage. Gu Xingyi closed his eyes and listened carefully. This boy sang very well, even more than he sang some flavor, which makes Gu Xingyi more some surprise. This was a good seedling. It is true that no matter in which world, there are always some talent then the cow will be buried. After all, not everyone is a creative singer, no one to write songs for them, no one pushed no heat, which leads to a lot of such people can only hang around in the various roadside, bar residency to look forward to being scouted. The boys in the field finished a song, the two slightly adjusted the equipment, then changed a song, the two sang together. This was a rap that Gu Xingyi had never heard before. One person rapped at a fast pace, and the other joined in at the climax. They worked together seamlessly, and completely drove up the atmosphere around them. The surrounding students waved their hands and swayed after them, whistles of applause coming from the crowd from time to time. The vitality of the young people was highlighted by them at this moment. Gu Xingyi was also driven to unconsciously nod his head. This rap can only be regarded as average, but at least it's much better than what he heard when he first came here, which was a temporary piggy bank. And it can be seen that these two people's singing skills are really very good. Should also often face the crowd performance. Stage play is also very good, which makes Gu Xingyi some intention. He wanted to start an entertainment company, not just talk about it, but he was really short of people right now. Another song ended, and Gu Xingyi only pondered for a moment before resolutely moving to walk up. Hello, excuse me, may I ask you too, do you have any intention of joining the entertainment company? Since he had thought about it, Gu Xingyi didn't hide anything, and asked directly to the point. The two looked obviously stunned, then a huge look of surprise erupted on both faces at the same time, and one of them, even the hand holding the microphone, was trembling a little. You're a Star Scout? Gu Xingyi's face was a little embarrassed, but fortunately, he was wearing a mask, so no one could see it. No, but I'm preparing to create an entertainment company, and I happen to be short of people. I wonder if you have this intention? Hearing Gu Xingyi's words, the two people in front of him seemed to have fallen from heaven to hell. The look of surprise instantly dimmed. What the hell?
The company hasn't even opened yet. It's not even open yet, so it's not some kind of a purse company, right?
The surrounding students didn't know what was going on here, they just looked curiously at the venue, and some of them already had an impatient look on their faces. That was because Gu Xingyi's sudden appearance had interrupted the lively atmosphere. I'm sorry, although the two of us aren't famous people, we also want to find a company with some strength, sorry.
With a bitter smile on his face, one of them rejected Gu Xingyi's invitation.
Before Gu Xingyi could continue speaking, Qin Feng scurried over as he quickly winked towards the two.
Hey, aren't you guys sure who this is that you're talking to right now? Seeing Qin Feng like this, the two were obviously a bit confused. They took another close look at Gu Xingyi, then frowned. This figure, why was it getting more and more familiar the more they looked at it? Gu Xingyi also smiled bitterly. Yes, he was a contestant whose company was not even open, and now he was wearing a mask and a duck-tongue cap. Anyone who met such a person would have to reject it. Don't be in a hurry to reject, let me introduce myself first. My name is Gu Xingyi, I'm the creator of the song A Lifetime With You that you just sang. Hearing Gu Xingyi's words, the two froze again. The two of them were feeling as if they were on a roller coaster at the moment, having just risen and fallen, and now they had steeply risen to the highest peak. Both of their eyes grew wider and wider, looking at the familiar figure in front of them with a face full of stagnation. Gu Xingyi? Gu Xingyi, their idol. The two had fantasized more than once that if one day they let Gu Xingyi compose a song for them, then they would have no regrets in death. This was the special affection that a good singer had for an outstanding lyricist. There wasn't a single singer who didn't look forward to having a good song. A singer and a lyricist were the equivalent of a 1,000-mile horse and a bull. A 1,000-mile horse was often found, but a bull was hard to find.
You.
Are you really Gu Xingyao? The Gu Xingyi who will always be the best when produced by Xingyao? Aha! Gu Xingyi gave an affirmative answer.
The two froze for a moment longer, then suddenly looked at each other. The two then, under Gu Xingyi's dumbfounded look, they copied the luggage on the ground and pulled Gu Xingyi out with one left and one right.
Join! We're joining Hurry up and go! There are too many people here.
That action, as if two robbers, held Gu Xingyi hostage, fearing that he would run away if they didn't pay attention. It wasn't until a few people came to a less crowded place that the two let go of Gu Xingyi's arm and looked at him with excitement. Gu Xingyi smiled a little, and willfully took the mask off his face, revealing his handsome face that was already known by the public, and stretched out his hand.
Hello guys, for a formal introduction, I'm Gu Xingyi.
When they really saw Gu Xingyi right in front of them, the look of surprise on the two men's faces grew thicker and thicker, and the taller boy on the left with glasses busily wiped his hands on his own clothes, and shook Gu Xingyi's hand.
Hello. I didn't expect it to really be you. My name is Feng Xiaoxiao, I'm so happy to see you. Honestly, I feel like I'm dreaming right now.
Feng Xiaoxiao grinned, the corners of his mouth going up to his ears. He really hadn't expected that the other day the two of them were still drinking wine and listening to a song written by Gu Xingyi, and at that time he had even said enviously that if Gu Xingyi was able to write a song for the two of them, then they would definitely wake up laughing in their dreams. Unexpectedly, today he had met the living Gu Xingyi and was standing right in front of him. Hearing Feng Xiaoxiao's self-introduction, the corners of Gu Xingyi's mouth couldn't help but twitch as he turned his head to look at another shorter boy, the one who had just sung about having you in his life.
You're not called Ishu Weihan, are you? That boy visibly froze, then stared in surprise. You? How did you know? Alright, Wen Xiaoxiao is Ishu Weihan. It's coming together. These two people's parents couldn't also be travelers, right?
Gu Xingyi thought wildly, but he knew that there was no such phrase in the history of this world. Good, then Feng Xiaoxiao, Ishu Weihan, I once again invite you to join my company, even though my company has not been created yet, and I can't give you any guarantees for the future at this moment, but at least I can give you the same treatment as any other entertainment company, and, of course, the right songs for you. Gu Xingyi was really quite appreciative of these two. He had been listening carefully to the singing just now, and he felt that the strength of these two was not at all inferior to those popular singers. And the name of these two people, and their own accidental affinity it always gave him a feeling of seeing his hometown. Feng Xiaoxiao and Ishu Weihan just glanced at each other before the two of them turned back and solemnly nodded without the slightest hesitation.
We're in. If we knew it was you, we wouldn't have refused just now. Right now in this music scene, if we were to ask who we admire the most, it would be you. Gu Xingyi.
Ishu Weihan scratched his head and continued with a somewhat coy look on his face.
In fact, you're also our idol. We were chatting about you the other day when we were drinking. If we could have a song created by you, then we'd really be satisfied.
Feng Xiaoxiao also smiled, his face, apart from excitement, also carried some sighs. After the two of us graduated, we left our hometowns and came out to struggle. We have been running around for many years, but our dreams have not been realized. We are just ordinary people's children, wanting to enter the big stage of the entertainment industry is too difficult, basically we can't see any hope. Speaking of this, Feng Xiaoxiao's face once again overflowed with a brighter smile. Meeting you is really the closest we've gotten to our dreams, even if you don't invite us, we'll definitely chase after you and beg you to take us in. We'll definitely work hard. Looking at the two sincere faces in front of her, Gu Xingyi was somewhat moved. Obviously he was inviting them, but they were so happy. This was the current situation of the entertainment industry. No fame, only strength is too easy to be buried. These strength singers at the bottom, when they encounter a little bit of opportunity, they will take out their 100% enthusiasm. Good. Let's leave a contact first. Wait for the day the company is established. I'll contact you and you'll report directly to the company. Gu Xingyi said seriously as he took out his cell phone and exchanged cell phone numbers with the two, adding WeChat again. Both of them were obviously in an excited mood, even the hands holding the cell phone were slightly trembling, but the smiles on their faces were getting brighter and brighter. After exchanging contact information, a few people said a few more words. Gu Xingyi then left. Everything will have to wait for the creation of Xingyou Entertainment. It won't take a few days, after Huayang's program is aired, and after Xia Shiyao's album is online, Xingyou Entertainment will appear in this world. Without going far, Gu Xingyi could still hear Feng Xiaoxiao calling his home behind him. His sentence, Mom. I found the company. Gu Xingyi was close to tears. This feeling Gu Xingyi can best understand. The original life of his own, after graduation, is also bouncing around for many years, before some fame. He remembers when he wrote his first song was recognized by others. That mood, to the present he remembers, but unfortunately, at that time he did not have anyone to talk to, can only amuse themselves to buy a cupcake to celebrate. When he returned home, the sky was already dark, and Tao Lulu and Sister Yun had already left. Under the warm orange light, little Nai Nai was nestled on the sofa playing with her toys. Hearing the sound of the door opening, she lifted her little head, then her eyes curved up. Daddy is back. I'm back. What is Nai Nai playing with? Gu Xingyi answered and quickly walked to the sofa, taking the little one into his arms. Playing with the jigsaw puzzle that Uncle Fatty gave me. Daddy, come and put it together with Nai Nai. You have to put it together well before you can eat. This is what Mommy said. Good. Then we have to cheer up. Gu Xingyi smiled and lifted little Nai Nai, placing her on the sofa and putting together the puzzle toy with her. Xia Shiyao also walked out from the kitchen with steaming dishes at this time, her eyes similarly curved like crescent moons as she placed the dishes on the dining table before looking at the two fathers and daughters on the sofa. She hadn't seen this scene for a long time, and she couldn't get enough of it. Gu Xingyi's heart is also incredibly warm at the moment. The feeling of loneliness in the afternoon is now long gone. This life, he has family. The moonlight is gentle, and laughter continues in the small home. There were no words in the night. The next day, today was the moment when Huayang went online with Chasing Dreams Red Heart. Only one day had passed, but the publicity on various software had long been overwhelming, and the title of the #1 hot search on the Weibo was even red hot. The netizens had also long been ready to go, and they started discussing it online early. Assembled. Central Mom and Xingyou produced. Not to be missed. Alas, I haven't heard enough of Counterattack yet. Here comes another song, Chasing Dreams Red Heart. My ears. It's happier than me. Versailles Bensai upstairs, right? You've got a lot of good songs, don't you? Then don't listen to it. Ha ha, ha. I heard someone wanted to block Xia Shiyao? How come there's no movement? Just this? Don't mention it. Give them 10 guts. I'll just stand here and see who dares to move. Yesterday, Tianmei and Xingshir's official blogs were all flushed. Unlike the netizens who were active, those entertainment companies could only watch, not daring to make any moves. In just one day's time, the hot searches were once again wrapped up by Gu Xingyi and Central Mom, and everyone knew that Gu Xingyi was standing up for someone, but no one could do anything about it. There is no way. People have Mom cover. At 8 p.m., the exciting moment finally arrived, and the Huayang program was officially aired. All the people who waited for this moment immediately clicked on the Huayang channel, and in the next second, a student appeared in front of their eyes, and in front of him, books were piled high on his desk. In the hot summer, the fan is blowing. Even so, his tender face still from time to time sweat. He looked up. Next to the blackboard is the countdown to the college entrance examination. The music also started at that moment, after which the song started. Where in the world is the world full of flowers? If it really exists, then I will definitely go. I want to stand on the highest mountain there. Don't care if it's a cliff. Gu Xingyi was also in front of the TV at the moment and was watching the program. When the song started, he was slightly dazed. In a trance, he seemed to hear the voice of the original singer Gala. It was too similar. In the end, it was Huayang. In a flash, he understood the essence of the song. This singer's voice, the power hidden in this voice, all of them showed that Hua Yang had really understood the song and presented it perfectly. The moment the song sounded, all the netizens who were watching the video also froze. At this moment in every one of their hearts, they coincidentally remembered the time when they went to fight for their dreams. The program's screen turned, the camera came from the students to a sludge-covered worker. His whole body was already wet, but on his back, he was still carrying the steel that was several times higher than others, and the song continued to sound. Live hard and love hard even if your liver and brain. I don't want anyone to be satisfied as long as I can stand myself. I've never chosen to give up on my ideals, even in the gray days. All this time, it's like a man calmly talking about how he never stops pursuing his dreams, and the scene shifts from a worker to a white-collar worker in a company, who is being criticized by his leader, nodding his head and apologizing. The netizens watching the program could not help but clench their fists at this moment. Each of them seemed to see their own shadows in the footage. These were all things they were currently experiencing, or had experienced, and each of them felt it deeply. Xia Shiyao, who was watching the program with Gu Xingyi on the sofa, was also watching the TV and listening to the song in a daze, and even she felt the same way about it, and those moments of sweating as they moved forward towards their dreams seemed to have surfaced uncontrollably when the song rang out. Gu Xingyi saw her like this, gently held her warm and soft palms, smiled. This song is a raka, the main song, is still behind it. Maybe I don't have the talent, but I have the naivety to dream, and I'm gonna go prove it with my whole life. Maybe my hands are clumsy, but I'll keep on searching. I'll give all my youth with no regrets. When the song reaches the word regret at the end, it is suddenly high, and in the picture, the students lower their heads and write their homework quickly, the workers bend their backs and keep moving forward, and the white-collar workers are madly revising their documents on the computers. This is the persistence of the dream, but also the future expectations. Online everyone at this moment in the mood steeply tightened. They understand this feeling. They really want to cry. It's their deep-seated defiance of themselves, gnashing their teeth, forward, forward again, regardless of success or failure. At this moment, the blazing emotions in everyone's hearts were ignited, and they clenched their teeth, wanting to let it out. The next moment, the sound of music accompanied by hissing male voices also rang out at this moment, carrying a power that would not be defeated regardless of success or failure, and spreading into everyone's ears. Run forward, voice breaking, facing cold eyes and ridicule. How can we feel the vastness of life without going through trials and tribulations? Fate can't bring us to our knees to beg for mercy, even if blood is spilled all over our arms. Keep running, with the pride of a red-blooded man. How can we see the light of life if we don't see it through to the end? Instead of living on the edge of death, let's burn. Let it burn. One day it will sprout again. The hot flames in everyone's hearts were instantly ignited in this hissing song. The reason why they were willing to support Gu Xingyi as a ratio was here. His songs, it was always possible to get immersed deep into the songs. The heart of the netizens was instantly awakened in this hissing sound, and the emotions in their hearts were even more completely vented at this moment. Tearjerker, only this song. I allow him to break the sound. Give me broken. No, this song I feel. The broken voice is the essence. Chasing dreams, chasing dreams. It's as if I'm not listening to a song, but a cry from the depths of my heart. Really, when I listen to the song, it's as if I've gone back to the time when I struggled day and night. Then I succeeded, and you may not understand that feeling. It was a kind of hysteria after bottoming out. This song is really the best interpretation of hysterical all-out struggle. Here it is. I'm going to have to pull out the company that's going to block Xia Shiyao and flog her. You blocked one for us to see? You really got your way. Where are we going to listen to this kind of song? Hearing this song, I also finally understand. Why did Central Mothers come out to protect us? This song, it's allowed to break the tone, but no descending tones are allowed. At this moment, no one cared about what images were actually being played on the program anymore, because of this song alone. They had already automatically generated images in their heads that were uniquely theirs. The netizens listened to the song, and the emotions in their hearts were completely ignited. Who said rock music had no way out? Who said rock music was a niche? Then, what is this? The netizens were either holding onto their cell phones or sitting in front of the TV with their eyes tightly closed, enjoying the impact of this music from their ears. At this time, at the headquarters of Huayang, Lin Guodong and an old man past his prime were looking at the real-time airplay on the big screen, and they couldn't hide the surprise in their eyes. This time, the program was more successful than any of the previous ones. Elder brother Du, how's my vision? Ha 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 ha, I told you. There's this kid's song. It'll definitely work. Lin laughed out loud, as if he was not praising someone else, but himself. As the general director of Huayang, Dugu was also filled with emotion. It's been a long time since I've seen such a talented young man.
It really makes you want to meet him. Besides, I didn't say no, did I? When I got this song, I thought this moment would come, otherwise, do you think I would have helped that little guy out?
Dugu was still looking at the big screen where the data was rising, only that a smile had crept onto his face. Lin Guodong raised an eyebrow. This old guy, he just refused to admit that it was his vision that was good. The program had only just reached the halfway point, and as more and more people poured in, the program was heating up, and the new netizens who had come in, before they even opened their mouths, were completely overwhelmed by the song, and then they were uniformly immersed in the music.
The future charming splendor is always calling to me. Even if there is only pain as a companion, you must go forward. I want to sail there on the bluest sea yang, and it doesn't matter if I'll be able to return.
Music first class, lyrics first class. They once again saw Gu Xingyi's creative ability. This cub seed, bless him, after everyone's ears cannot live. Oh, Gu Xingyi at the moment, where to know these? He also thoroughly intoxicated in the music. He held Xia Shuriao's small hand, the two hands intertwined together, clenched into a fist. At this moment, the two people's movements were surprisingly consistent, that is, both closed their eyes, shaking their heads and savoring the lyrics.
To be depressed after defeat, that's the sign of a coward. As long as there's a breath left, please clench your fists.
Before the day breaks we must be more courageous. Waiting for the brightest moment at sunrise.
Run forward. Voice breaking. Enjoy. The ultimate enjoyment.
Before this, there hadn't been any rock song that would make them feel as if their ears had gone through a whole new baptism like Chasing Dreams' Red Heart. He sang out the obsession with dreams and the desire for success in everyone's heart. The program also ushered in the end at this moment, and in the picture, the faces that had appeared before, they looked ahead and also faced the future, welcoming the dazzling light that appeared ahead, smiling happily.
No compromises until I grow old. The song also came to its end, and everyone's heart settled down.
After the shouting, it was a return to life, to the struggles of each day, and at the end of the program, a line of large letters slowly appeared, tugging at people's heartstrings. I would like to send this movie to those of you who are on the road, chasing your dreams.
Exploded. In just one son's time, this short movie had completely exploded on the internet.
Countless bolded and reddish shocking titles appeared, and countless posts with flames sprouting at the end appeared as they all praised the song.
If yesterday's battle against the odds was Gu Xingyi declaring war on certain companies in the entertainment industry,
then today, Huayang's song Chasing Dreams and Red Heart was Gu Xingyi declaring to them that he had the qualifications.
He also had the ability. Declaring war on them. This day.
You guys can't suppress it. This was just the beginning, and the online heat was already in a frenzy, and as time went on, as more and more people would hear the song, the heat then would be unimaginable. In the Tianmei Entertainment Building, the lights were on, and Lu Gao, who was still in a position to win, was already a bit flustered. This heat was something he had never expected. He had thought that Gu Xingyi's song would at most be similar to the heat brought by those songs before, but the truth was beyond his expectations. Huayang matched Gu Xingyi, and the two fit together surprisingly well. Turning his hand to play a hand against the heavens, Lu Gao stared at the screen, his fists were unconsciously clenched, and even his nails were embedded in the flesh without realizing it. The office stood on the side of the standby female secretary trembling. This is the first time she saw the chairman of the board of directors so out of sorts. It was only after a long time that Lu Gao came back to his senses. His expression was gloomy as he kept turning the pen in his hand, thinking about what to do next. Huayang he didn't dare to go against, but Gu Xingyi, he couldn't scare him yet. He was thinking about how he could suppress Gu Xingyi's popularity after this program. Thinking about it, he suddenly raised his head and looked at the trembling secretary to the side, asking, "If I remember correctly, tomorrow is the day Xia Shuriao's album goes live on Huayin?" The secretary, who was already in fear, was suddenly asked, and she couldn't stop her body from shaking for a moment before quickly returning with a trembling voice.
Yes. Yes. Many netizens on the internet are talking about it, and they're calling these 3 days the 3-day carnival extravaganza of the music world. After the secretary finished speaking, he tightly shut his mouth, fearing that one more word would trigger Lu Gao's dissatisfaction. A 3-day revelry? Oh! Lu Gao snorted a laugh before continuing. Since they're going through the extravaganza, how can we also join in a bit, contact a few famous lyricists in the industry, and then call Ah Ing over? She's a veteran diva anyways, it should be only right for her to put out a song on the charts, right? The company is fully cooperative in this matter. I want to see her song online at Huayin before tomorrow night. The secretary froze for a moment after hearing this. She didn't expect that her boss was going to call Sister Ing to stand up.
she should know that Sister Ring was a diva of the previous generation. Her character was not to be mentioned first, but her strength was indeed there.
Good. I'll get in touch right now. She only froze for a moment before immediately answering. Just in the blink of an eye, she figured out that the chairman was trying to nauseate Gu Xingyi, sticking his hand in the music charts. The purpose was to keep him from being so arrogant. Unlike Lu Gao, Tian Xingqi didn't make any moves. He still maintained his original attitude, not caring about anything, sitting up high and reaping the benefits.
On the other hand, Soundse Entertainment, but rarely held another meeting. The conference room was silent. The old fox Yang Xian grinned.
Why are they all silent? Weren't you quite talkative before?
This time, the meeting was convened for you guys to decide which singer we're going to choose to invite Gu Xingyi for a song.
It's not like we're killing you all. What's the point of being silent? The people in the conference room looked at me and I looked at you. They had just agreed to oust Xia Shiyao earlier. How could they have the face to speak now? However, everyone was very moved. Gu Xingyi's current popularity was momentary, and Yang Xian was obviously trying to take advantage of the win to invite a song to hit the charts. This was good for the singers under them. Chairman Yang, I think Lena can do it. She was already a top-tier singer, but since Xia Shiyao came over, she hasn't released any songs until now, so this opportunity can be given to her. A middle-aged woman with gold-framed glasses was the first to speak from a position to the left of the conference room. She had only taken the position of operations minister following Ying Ping's dismissal. Before that, she was close to Lena, and at this moment, when she saw such a good thing, she naturally couldn't sit still. I have a different opinion. Before Yang Xian could open his mouth, Zhang Chao, who was sitting on the other side, opened his mouth again. Yang Xian glanced at him and frowned. This guy, it seems that no matter who the operation minister is replaced with, he is not dealing with the other party. Speak up if you have an opinion. Yang Envy glanced at Zhang Chao, meaning you have a fart feeling to put. I think Lena is not the best candidate. Minister Xan just took office not long ago. He may not know, when Xia Shiyao was in the company, she was relatively closer to Cheng Di. I think Cheng Di can be, so that the song Gu Xingyi creates for Cheng Di will be a little more heartfelt, and naturally more beneficial to the company. And, as far as I know, Cheng Di is still a fan of Gu Xingyi's. Cheng Di can also completely utilize this opportunity to be promoted to a second-tier singer. Zhang Chao finished his speech with an old-fashioned look. He really wasn't looking at the new minister Xan Tongtong with displeasure this time, but he was indeed thinking about the company. Yang Xian also pondered for a moment after hearing this, and it was only after a moment that he raised his head and said, "This is a good thing to do. Just ask Gu Xingyi's opinion, then the candidate will be chosen between these two, and the song will be given to whoever Gu Xingyi agrees to create the song for." After Yang Xian finished speaking, Xan Tongtong and Zhang Chao both stopped speaking, and the other management members who still wanted to nominate singers also sighed in their hearts, feeling bad that they had just not spoken up first. Sure enough, that's all there is in total for such a good resource, and if you're slow to react, you won't even be able to catch up with the hot shit. Jiang Chang. Gu Xingyi, who was just about to go to bed, received a song invitation message from Soundse Entertainment, and he froze for a moment, not expecting Soundse to invite him at this time, and the time was still so urgent. But after just a moment's thought, Gu Xingyi realized what Soundse was trying to do. It was trying to rub off on him. Looking at the two candidates in the message, Gu Xingyi chose Cheng Di without much consideration, not to mention that he had met Cheng Di and had a better impression of her, but Cheng Di's sweet voice suddenly reminded him of a song. This song happened to be suitable for Cheng Di's little sweet voice to sing, tailor-made in general. That is, Love You. Sweetheart Goddess Wang Xinling's Love You, brought to the equally sweet Cheng Di to sing. For a moment Gu Xingyi was somewhat looking forward to it. People do not have the same sorrows and joys. Just as Gu Xingyi was cradling his wife and child in a hot bed, in Shengshi Entertainment's artist's apartment, Miao Ankuan was packing her bags with a forlorn face. Yu Ran, the young assistant, silently helped out on the side, and whatever decision her sister Peony Ken made, she would fully support it. Ever since Gu Xingyi appeared, the winds and clouds in the entertainment circle had changed too quickly. The other day Mao Anqilan was still feeling sorry for Xia Shiyao being blocked. She didn't expect that, just a week past, Gu Xingyi would directly achieve a headwind turnaround for Xia Shiyao. The overwhelming heat on the internet had pressed all the singers to the point where they couldn't breathe, and of course, she was also one of the victims. But she never complained about anything. Gu Xingyi created the myth based on his strength. That's what people are capable of. Miao Anjuan could only work a little harder in her daily life. She believed that she would succeed one day as well. Unfortunately, there are times when reality is so cruel. Shengshi Entertainment was not focused on the development of the music industry. After this incident, the company's decision-making is even more puzzling, and even some singers have begun to transition to the direction of film and television.
Miao Anquan naturally will not transform, singing is her dream that she has always insisted on, but just today at noon, she encountered subterfuge from the upper echelons of the company. That director called Ma Liang not only wanted her to transform to the movie and television industry, but also the words and actions of Frivolous. She really did not hold back. When he was about to make a move on herself, gave him a slap. It was the same slap that buried her future. It was also just a matter of being snowed in. Miao Anjuan didn't regret it. Even if she was given the choice again, she would still have given that slap. Now this apartment was also repossessed by the company, and the other residence arranged for her was a room like a utility room. If not for the astronomical liquidated damages tying her down, she would have run away long ago. She was just from an ordinary family, and the money she had earned in the past 3 years was still a bit short of compensating the company for the liquidated damages. Ran. Miao Anjuan looked up, looked at the luggage that had been packed, and then turned her head to look at Yu Ran, who was still accompanying her, and barely managed to squeeze out some smiles on her face and said, I may not have any hope this time, so once I've made enough money from the liquidated damages, I'll be leaving the company. You. Now, even Miao Anjuan, who usually has a big personality, is a bit sad. She doesn't know how to say it to Yu Ran, she only feels sorry for her. Oops. Sister Peony Kyun, you don't need to say so much to me de. There's always a way. Yu Ran also knew that Miao Anjuan must be sad in her heart right now. She could only pretend to be happy and cheer her up. In fact, her heart is also a little sad. Miao Anquan left, she must be arranged to work under other staff, but compared to herself, she is more worried about Miao Anquan. Peony's sister so liked to sing a person, so hard a person, but now can only bleak leave the scene. Now this entertainment industry, really hopeless. Yu Ran thought in her heart, then thought of Xia Shiyao, then thought of Gu Xingyi, then her eyes immediately brightened up. If Gu Xingyi was willing to help Sister Peony, then the result would definitely be different, right? But then Yu Ran's little face collapsed again. Not a relative, how could Gu Xingyi help Miao Anjuan? The next day, October 1st. The day Xia Shiyao's album went online was also the last day of the 3-day extravaganza. From early in the morning, the topics on the internet didn't stop. Netizens were waiting for the moment when the album went live to arrive, and nowadays, on the Huayin platform, the top of the new songs chart had been firmly occupied by Chasing Dreams' Red Heart, which had been released by Huayang last night. This caused many netizens to speculate about the songs in Xia Shiyao's album, and just how many new songs it would be able to reach the #1 spot on the new songs chart. And right at this moment, suddenly some sharp-eyed netizens realized that Tianmei Entertainment and Soundsea Entertainment, they surprisingly also just released the announcement of their company's singers' new songs going online on Huayin. At the same time, Tianmei Entertainment's previous generation diva Lu Ying and Soundsea Entertainment's new generation singer Cheng Di also released a microblog at this time. In their microblogs, they both publicized their songs that were going live on Huayin today. Lu Ying brought a sentimental love song, The Day Doesn't Understand the Heart of the Night, while Cheng Di brought a song called Love You. This discovery instantly caused the internet to go into an uproar, and all sorts of comments flew up in a lively manner. Good guy. What were these two companies thinking? Releasing a new song at this time? Not afraid of being crushed? The Comer is not good. They're not good. Brothers, remember our promise? Tonight's home court is ours. Indeed. This Lu Ying person, although she has a bad temper, bad personality, bad looks, but her songs are really nothing to write home about. Cheng Di is also not to be underestimated. That little sweet voice, listen to the old man's heart to be crispy. No matter what, let's watch it at night. On strength, Xia Shiyao doesn't lose to these two. On works, Gu Xingyi, whoever comes is no match. Lu Ying still dares to come out and jump? How bad was she sprayed before that she doesn't know? Douyin a video with hundreds of thousands of likes and tens of millions of comments, know it all. Ha 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 ha, this I have to say. There's a comment from me in it. I have to say, the entertainment industry hasn't been this lively in a while. Ha ha ha, there's going to be drama tonight. The announcement from Tianmei Entertainment and Soundsea Entertainment made the netizens' enthusiasm rise even higher, and they now only felt that time was passing really slowly now, and they couldn't wait to blink to the time when the songs would go live in the evening. Tonight, but the gods fight They, on the other hand, were the protagonists in this fight. Ever since Xia Shiyao made her comeback and brought out Gu Xingyi, the presence of the melon-eating netizens was getting stronger and stronger. At this moment in Zhangchang, in contrast to the netizens' impatience, Xia Shiyao's heart was a bit nervous. She knew that the sales of her album today was crucial to Gu Xingyi, so even though half of the songs in it were free channels, she was still nervous. Although Gu Xingyi had confidence in these songs, he was a bit nervous in his heart. He was now penniless. The money he had planned to open an entertainment company, and the 5 million from Xingyao's anime, were all still unaccounted for. Now,
we can only look at the sales situation of Xia Shiyao's album. As for whether or not the song's netizens would buy it, it wasn't something he could control. Time came to 8 o'clock in the evening as the crowd waited without realizing it. This time, Xia Shiyao's album, Luing and Changdi's new songs, went online at the same time on Huayin. The netizens who had long been rubbing their fists, but at this moment, they were worried. So many songs came out at once, which one should they listen to in the end? Just when the netizens were hesitating, I don't know who posted a post with the title shit. It's so good. I won the grand prize. Everyone, go and listen. The new song from Xia Shiyao's album, As I Wish. This time, the netizens' eyes lit up. Shit. What were they struggling with? Of course they should listen to Xia Shiyao's mysterious new song first. It was composed by Gu Xingyi. It's unheard of. That's definitely the best choice. In an instant, everyone poured in and clicked on the song mentioned in the post. As I Wish. They didn't even bother to care at all that the song was a paid listen, the few free ones they'd heard before, even though they weren't listening to the Supreme version. But they wanted to hear this song, As You Wish now. How the hell? Don't ask. To ask is to be rich and powerful. Then, with the sound of the piano, with headphones, they began to bob their heads. This melody, it's so beautiful. It wasn't until Xia Shiyao's voice sounded that they closed their eyes and enjoyed it. You are a distant road, a light in the fog between the mountains. I'm a child, walking in your eyes. You are the moon and the breeze. I am the dream you shine in. I'll embrace you all my life, whether I see you or not. Xia Shiyao's clean and crisp voice echoed in their ears, and instantly sang into their hearts. This voice was simply too soulful. As soon as Xia Shiyao opened her mouth, they only felt that their whole body was shaken. Unlike the netizens, at this moment, the management of the various companies in the entertainment industry, as well as those singers in the music industry, they didn't have the slightest heart to listen to the songs. They were staring at Huayin's new song list, and didn't even dare to blink. They all wanted to know which songs would be on the list today, and which songs would be squeezed out, especially the singers who were on the new songs list. They were apprehensive as hell. Then they suddenly realized that on the new songs chart, a song called As I Wish by Xia Shiyao appeared at the 50th position on the chart almost instantly. At this moment, they subconsciously held their breath, but even so, they still couldn't stop the rocketing trend of As You Wish. As they watched, almost in the blink of an eye, As I Wish climbed to the 20th position on the new songs chart, and then to the top 10 on the new songs chart. This was the first song from Xia Shiyao's album to reach the top 10. There were already netizens online who had listened to the entire song, and after listening to the song they took a deep breath, soothing the emotions in their hearts that had been infected by the song. The original. This song was written for all the forefathers to listen to. The forefathers they, with their youth, with their lives, their generation, with their whole life, exchanged for the peaceful life of 3 generations. The netizens who were easily soothed couldn't help but click in and listen again. Xia Shiyao's voice was layered and unfolding, that one section of gratitude, one section of inheritance, one section of opening up, each section of the singing changed, making them just feel that listening to it once they were not addicted to it at all. In addition to Xia Shiyao's singing, they now admired Gu Xingyi's talent even more. They felt that only Gu Xingyi could write such a good song. Listening to the song again, when it came to the climax, they still couldn't help but close their eyes as they did before, slowly experiencing it. And I will love the earth you love, and wish for the smile you wish for. Your hand I hobble in holding, please take me to tomorrow. If you have suffered my sweetness, I will live as you wish. May it not be in vain, may it be courageous every day of this blooming world. In their mind's eye, it seemed as if they were separated by time and space, holding the hands of their forefathers and taking them to this prosperous world. The predecessors' suffering, not wasted in vain. This mountains and rivers were unharmed. The fireworks are ordinary. It is what they wish to see. Hearing this song again, the feelings in everyone's hearts unconsciously sublimated some more. This time, there was a faint sadness in their hearts, and they wanted to let their forefathers see with their own eyes what the world looked like today. The netizens were still listening to the song, and without them realizing it, As You Wish became the second on the new song list. But they didn't care about any new song chart anymore. Because at this point, they were already in tears. Because at this point, Xia Shiyao's song had reached the end, and they had once again been completely immersed in the song. And I will dream the reunion you dream of. Wish for the eternity that you wish for. Walk the long road that you walk. Oh, love thee thus, and I shall see the world thou hast not seen. Write the psalms you have not written. The moon in the sky, the thoughts in my heart, you are always by my side. A promise with you a lifetime of clarity like your young face. No one expected that the first thing to hit the charts would be a paid new song, and no one expected that once the song hit the charts, it would kill the new song chart at number 2.
Those unbelieving entertainment company managers frantically refreshed the list, but this song, As You Wish, seemed to be welded to the second place, without any change. The blog had gone completely crazy at this point. Not only netizens, even the media, even the various marketing numbers, were all frantically favoring this song. It was only then that the management of these entertainment companies determined that it really wasn't their own eyesight.
Only half an hour. A new song that had never appeared before had reached number 2 on the new songs chart? It was still the paid listening kind. Terrifying as hell. Some of the singers still couldn't believe that the song was this good, so he clicked in as well. After a few minutes, he fell silent. It's no match. It really can't compare. This song. It couldn't be said to be good, it could only be described as unbeatable. Just as the internet was in an uproar over this song, everyone was shocked to find that Hua Yang had posted another round of blogs, and also 8 Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriyao. What a As I Wish song. Good Gu Xingyi. What a Xia Shuriyao. It's well written. Well sung too. I'll take it. Everyone froze when they saw Hua Yang's tweet. It was the first time they had seen Hua Yang talk like this. Just don't pretend? Just kiss your son and daughter? Well, they do have the right to do that. They did have this qualification. Gu Xingyi similarly saw the roundup blog, and he smiled back. You can take it away. Not enough to tell me again. Look, is this human language? It's not enough to say it again. I'll be damned. Everyone was in a state of shock at this moment. They want to interact with Hua Yang like this. Nay, they didn't have the talent. Woo. Just very sad. After Gu Xingyi returned to the blog, her heart was also filled with emotion. It was true that no matter which world it was, this song would give people a shock. The song sung by the original world's diva Fei Wong and the lyrics written by Big Brother Tang Tian, if it didn't catch fire, it would be hard for the heavens to condone it. The efforts Xia Shuriyao had made for this song, he had always seen it in his eyes and felt pain in his heart, but he knew that when he had just brought out this song, Xia Shuriyao had been practicing day and night, just to make this song more perfect. And the current result was undoubtedly the best return for her efforts. After netizens had been mesmerized by the song As I Wish for a long time, they finally remembered that there were other songs they hadn't listened to yet. Thus, the Wine New Songs chart was in complete chaos. The original top 10, with the exception of the top song Chasing Dreams with a Red Heart which had not been shaken, the rest of the songs were slowly disappearing. As I Wish replaced the original number 2, sitting firmly on the second throne. Right behind it was Xia Shuriyao's The Wind is Gathering, the song that Xia Shuriyao had first sung at the Star Song Festival and was also the most popular among the public. After that, it was Sea of Flowers that made it to the top of the charts, and then Courage also climbed up without a doubt. Slowly, song after song from Xia Shuriyao's album made it to the top 10 of the new songs chart, and even Shi Yan, a slightly niche song, was lifted to the 10th position by netizens. The netizens seemed to have a consensus at this time. Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriyao brought us such a good song as You Wish, and we, like Hua Yang, treat you guys as our own sons and daughters. Just ask you guys, are you touched? Numb. Basically all the management of the entertainment company who were looking at the charts, as well as the other singers, were numb. The top 10 of the new songs list, all of Xia Shuriyao's songs from her albums have made it. There were also 2 songs that weren't sung by Xia Shuriyao that also made it to the top 10 of the new songs chart because they were composed by Gu Xingyi himself. They were A Lifetime with You and Against All Odds. This Cub Seed. He uploaded his songs to Wine today as well. And it's all free. They just wanted to ask Gu Xingyi, that A Lifetime with You, how long has it all been out on Douyin? It's been almost 3 months. A song that was uploaded 3 months ago is only uploaded to Huanin now? It's still considered a new song. What a bastard. He's just here to beat his face in, isn't he? Luckily, there are only 9 songs that he created, so he didn't take up all the top 10 on the new songs list. If he had taken up all the songs by himself, if he were to take over all the songs by himself, then where would the face of the entertainment industry companies be? The 5th song on the new songs list was sung by a veteran singer, and at the moment, his song was trembling in the middle. The netizens who discovered this situation immediately couldn't sit still, and gloated as they ate the veteran singer's siege blog. Oh, surrounded by an army, just ask you if you're touched? When the veteran singer saw the netizens flirting on the blog, he replied to the blog in tears and laughter. I don't dare to move. Don't dare to move at all. For a while, the entire blog became a source of joy for the netizens, who listened to the song while chatting and gossiping in a pleasant manner. In the Tianmei Entertainment Mansion, Lu Gao looked at the eye-piercing new song list and couldn't help but feel a hint of fire rise in his heart. Lu Ying's song The Day Doesn't Understand the Heart of the Night was delayed, which made Lu Gao a bit unable to sit still. He couldn't figure out how a veteran diva's song was so unworthy of everyone's ears. Lu Gao ruthlessly smashed the desk in front of him. He knew that if he did not do something, his plan will only come to naught. Over here, the netizens were still celebrating the new year, and they hadn't realized that Liu Ying Song the day doesn't understand the heart of the night was rising at a rapid pace, and was now at the 30th place on the new songs chart. Without a doubt, Tianmei Entertainment started to make an effort, smashing money, hiring water armies, brushing data, all kinds of tactics were used, and soon, Daytime Doesn't Understand the Heart of the Night reached the 10th place on the new songs chart, squeezing she off the list successfully. Netizens who wanted to listen to she just wanted to click on the 10th new song, but suddenly realized that the song was no longer on the list. Only now did the netizens finally realize this, and they were still a bit confused for a moment. Crap, where's my song? Did any of you see where my she went? How come I didn't see it for a while and the song came up? Which one of you listened to it? Holy shit, I can't live without my ghost bride. What kind of kids are listening to Liu Ying's song? I don't know who would have time to listen to Xia Shiriyao's song when she can't even listen to it. Netizens began to wonder how this song came up when no one was listening to it. Soon there were smart netizens who sensed something was wrong. They frowned and just felt their hearts being a diaphragm to. I think someone couldn't sit still and play us like monkeys? Didn't even listen to it. How did the song come up? Good. This isn't challenging Gu Xingyi. This is challenging the IQ of our netizens. Let's not talk about whether the song is good or not. It's just too embarrassing to be on the list in this way. Brothers, let's put more effort into it. I don't believe that his company can outweed our netizens. There was still a heated discussion online, and right at this moment, the official enclosure blog of Soundsea Entertainment came down to voice out. I wanted to give you guys a surprise, but I didn't expect it to turn into a shock. No one listened to it at all. You guys can't be too generous. Please, just listen to it. This Weibo had aided Gu Xingyi, so it was quickly seen by everyone. The netizens were confused again. What? Love You was also composed by Gu Xingyi? Lean, you didn't say this earlier. Since you're sincerely begging us, let's be merciful and listen. Okay. I'll listen. Give face to Chengdi, that sweet little sister, and give face to Gu Xingyi, that bastard. Don't talk too much. Let's listen. Right. Brothers, Ali give. Charge. I want to see all of Gu Xingyi's songs occupy the top 10 on the new songs chart today. What do you guys think? I'll lay back and watch. Without further ado, I'll charge first. At this point in time, the time had already come to 11 o'clock in the evening, but the enthusiasm of the netizens had not decreased at all. It was still high. Today, they were going to use their own power to witness history. The top 10 of the new song list. Today they must take it. It's no good for anyone to come, they said. With such a mood, the netizens took the lead in searching for the song Love You, decisively clicked on it, and then they were surprised to find, there was actually a music video. This wave gave kudos to Soundsea Entertainment. So the netizens clicked on the music video and prepared to watch and listen to it. While they watched, and in the music video, Chengdi's sweet figure appeared, and with the background music, she danced and sang. If you suddenly sneeze, it must be me thinking of you. If you're woken up by your cell phone in the middle of the night, that's because I care. Sweet smile with sweet dance moves, sweet voice with sweet music. Netizens couldn't lie down straight away. Some even jumped up from their beds, humming along with Chengdi in the MV as she danced. Even the netizens who had previously been listening to As I Wish falling into a tinge of sadness were completely sweetened. Oh baby, love words a little more. Think of me and look at me a little more. Show a little more. Let me be able to really see. Oh bye, say a little less. I want to be with you more than one day. Hashtag a little more, hashtag make me wanna be, hashtag love you. Whoa. I can't hold out any longer. Sweetheart, Thai sweet, love you, help. Those two words keep echoing in my ears, and I can't help but have an old fatherly smile on my face. Brothers, this song. Will I get diabetes if I listen to this song too much? What? You still care about this, even if it makes me die of sweetness now, I still want to listen to it. Chengdi's song Love You sweetened the hearts of all the netizens. At this moment, they all had a unified smile on their faces, that of an ant-like smile. Love You also hit the netizens in this sweet storm, rising directly to the 5th place on the new songs chart, pressing the original song of the veteran singer directly to the 6th place. The veteran singer, on the other hand, didn't feel the slightest bit sad, as he was now also watching the music video and twerking his ass off. Once Love You came out, no matter male or female, they all transformed into sweethearts at this time. Inside a mansion in Magic City, Yang Xian was also watching the music video, smiling from ear to ear. He suddenly felt that it wasn't time to give Chengdi top resources. Then he sighed again. If his own daughter could sing and dance such a song to herself in front of him, then he would have to die of happiness. The netizens were sweetened, but Lu Gao's heart was bitter. In order to get Lu Ying's song on the charts, the company had already smashed in a few million. He never thought that Sound Sea Entertainment would intervene at this time. This Yang Xian is really too cheap to send out such a siege blog at this exact moment, killing people and killing their hearts. The other directors within the company were now quite vocal, and they all felt that it wasn't worth it, and that it was beyond the established benefits of the song. The company wasn't his one word either. When there were benefits everyone would flatter him, loss of benefits, they flip-flopped faster than a book. Lu Gao tapped his fingers on the table, and in the end, gave up the fight for the top spot. But even so, the netizens who had already gotten high didn't stop their actions at all, even though the time had already passed 12 o'clock midnight at this moment, and came to the early morning of the next day. But the enthusiasm of the netizens has not been reduced at all, and even more and more netizens joined in the revelry. It was a sleepless night. Every song made by Gu Xingyi killed the new songs chart with a horrifying amount of airplay, and even Shi Yan, which had fallen off the chart before, was lifted up again by the netizens. Finally, at 1:10 in the morning, the top 10 of the new songs list was completely occupied by Gu Xingyi's song. One person taking over the top 10, this was an achievement that no one had ever achieved in the entire history of the music industry. At this moment, those other singers who were still awake, their eyelids involuntarily jumped when they saw such a situation. This was too outrageous. Outrageous. One person hanging the entire music scene? How about a game? But as it turned out, at least at this moment, the entire music scene had indeed been trampled under Gu Xingyi's feet. The netizens who had finally accomplished this feat, looked at the neat and tidy list, their hearts were immediately comfortable, and they finally lay back on their beds, listening to the songs with headphones, and beautifully entering dreamland. I just don't know if those who listen to She to sleep will have nightmares at night. At the dawn of the next day, Gu Xingyi had just woken up when he was bombarded with messages from all sides, no doubt all congratulating him on his song's big sale. Gu Xingyi didn't know many people in the first place, but now everyone who had some friendship with him had sent messages, even Shui Xiaoqian, Lu Tianwan, and some others had sent congratulatory messages. Gu Xingyi didn't go through them in detail, but after replying to them uniformly, he started to make breakfast. Now make breakfast, after it's done, little Nai Nai eat it just in time to go to kindergarten. Not long after, Xia Shiyao held the still yawning little Nai Nai also came out from the bedroom. She skillfully gave the little one to wash and dress up, and when they were all ready, Gu Xingyi also happened to carry the breakfast out from the kitchen. Everything was just right. The husband and wife were working together very well. The three of them had just taken their seats, ready to eat breakfast, when the door of the room was knocked again. Gu Xingyi looked up, with a question in his eyes. He did not know who would come this early in the morning. Xia Shiyao, however, was busy standing up, walking towards the door while saying, "It's Lei and the girls, I called them over." Sure enough, as soon as the door opened, Tao Lei's loud voice shouted out, and her whole body also jumped up and hugged Xia Shiyao at once. "Wow, Sister Shiyao! You're too awesome! I was so excited last night that I didn't sleep all night, ha!" Sister Yun followed behind her, helplessly and somewhat dotingly looking at this little girl. "Lei, you quickly come down." Seeing that Tao Lei was about to strangle herself to death, Xia Shiyao hurriedly pulled her down with a face of dislike. Closing the door, the three of them walked into the house together. Gu Xingyi nodded to Sister Yun and Tao Lei to greet her, and little Nai Nai also sweetly shouted auntie twice. It was only that when Tao Lei saw Gu Xingyi greeting herself, her eyes unexpectedly flickered a little, making Gu Xingyi feel puzzled. Where did she offend this little girl again? The result was not. The next moment, from Tao Lei's mouth came a faint greeting. "Sister. Good morning, brother-in-law." Gu Xingyi was instantly confused, only feeling as if his ears were hallucinating, knowing that Tao Lei had always called him by his first name. It took Gu Xingyi a long time to react, stumbling back. "Huh? Good morning. Good morning." Tao Luola made a big red face. She always felt that Gu Xingyi must be laughing at her in her heart. When Xia Shiyao saw this scene, she walked over to the dining table and sat down, looking at Gu Xingyi, her face slightly red, but with a smile on her face. "I'm the one who told Lei to shout like that. I'm her sister, you're naturally her brother-in-law." Oh, I told you so." Gu Xingyi breathed a sigh of relief. Just now he was still feeling weird about Tao Lei's sudden change. It was the kind of feeling that there were always unruly people who wanted to harm him. But if Xia Shiyao had instructed him, then it wouldn't be strange. "Sister Yun, Lei, have you had breakfast?" Gu Xingyi looked up and asked. The two said in unison that they had already eaten. Then Sister Yun looked at Xia Shiyao again. "Shiyao, what's the reason for calling us here early in the morning?" "Well, Sister Yun, Lei, you guys sit down for a while, we'll talk later." Although both Sister Yun and Lei were unsure, they both nodded and sat down on the sofa. After the meal, Gu Xingyi sent the little one to kindergarten as usual, and when he returned home again, he saw the three people on the sofa who were inexplicably in a daze. Gu Xingyi's appearance broke this stagnation. Sister Yun followed with a complex expression, and Tao Luoli's eyes gradually widened round, as if she was in some kind of shock. As for Xia Shuriao, she also had an unbelievable look on her face. Gu Xingyi scratched his head, wondering what was wrong with them in a short period of time. Did something happen? Gu Xingyi asked directly with some worry, and Xia Shuriao raised her eyes for a long time before raising her cell phone and said, "Album. The album's first day sales are out." At those words Gu Xingyi's eyes lit up and he was busy walking to the sofa to sit down. "This is a good thing. Let me see, how much in total? My album alone, first day sales, 75 million. Gu Xingyi's hand that received the phone trembled for a moment, and he mechanically turned his face, also shocked. How much? 75 million. Top 10 on the new song chart. All your songs. Gu Xingyi went to bed at 10 or so last night, and this morning he had also just returned from sending little Nai back, and hadn't had a chance to look at the charts yet. Obviously when he went to bed last night, his songs only made up half of the new songs list. He didn't expect that when he got up from this sleep, the netizens had given them such a big surprise. So isn't it true that with the proceeds from Hua Yang's song, and my two singles, and the share of Soundsea Entertainment's song, the first day's sales are going to break $100 million? Gu Xingyi unconsciously gulped as he finished speaking. He had thought that with the sales of these songs would explode, but he hadn't expected that it would be so terrifying. It was important to realize that in the original world, Old Zhou's strongest album had first-day sales of only 120 million. Inside the album were still 10 songs, although he also had 10 songs, but you have to realize that half of the 10 songs could be free to listen to. This was outrageous. No wonder Sister Yun and Tao Lele were like this. Xia Shuriao had given them 10% of the pure profit. This time, the two of them crossed into the ranks of millionaires in seconds. Anyone else would have to be confused. Gu Xingyi originally thought that he was a person who regarded money as dirt. But when such a large sum of money was actually placed in front of him, he realized that even if it was dirt, such a large pile placed in front of him would shock people to the core. To know, originally, the sales of the album is the singer to take 30%, the lyricist to take 20%, and the rest goes to the company and the platform 70 to 30%. But Xia Shuriao and Gu Xingyi didn't have a company, and the sales she got only need to be 70 to 30% with the Huayin platform. A few people stared wide-eyed for a long time before coming to their senses. At this moment, Sister Yun, her heart was mixed. Before she was still worrying about her mother's illness, outside the arrears of money white hair. However, since Gu Xingyi appeared that time, just a short period of time, she is now not only get rid of all the previous predicaments, but also, in the future, no longer need to worry about money. Although Tao Lele's family was considered to be living a modest life, it was really the first time she had ever earned so much money, and for a moment, she was also a bit bewildered. Originally, Xia Shuriao called them over early in the morning to pay their wages. In fact, Xia Xiao's heart has been thinking about this matter. Tao Lulu and Yun's sister have been with her for nearly 3 months now, working hard every day, but until now, they have not gotten a penny. That's why she thought of them at the first moment of making money. She just didn't expect that the revenue brought by this album would be so horrible. So far, there hadn't been any album whose first day sales had exceeded $50 million, and this one by Xia Shuriao broke the all-time record. Gu Xingyi was the fastest to calm down, and he quickly figured it out. Back in the original world, one of Old Zhou's albums had managed to break 120 million on its first day, and this one of Xia Shuriao's, which was a collection of many of the bigwigs' greatest hits, it didn't seem so surprising that it could have such an achievement. He raised his head, looked towards Xia Shuriao who was still a bit dumbfounded, and suddenly smiled. Now this was a veritable rich woman. If it wasn't for the fact that Tao Lele and Sister Yun were still present, he would have wanted to follow little Nai's example and say to Xia Shuriao, "Rich bitch. Rice. Hungry. But it didn't stop him from speaking now. Wife, now that you're rich, apply for a $10 million first, it's time for the company to open up." Gu Xingyi rubbed his hands together and said with a smile. Chen Feng's side of the animation company is still short of 5 million. There is also the layer of the city center with an area of 2,000 square meters of office buildings. Just half a year rent will be 5 million, late equipment and other things have to be calculated separately. Xia Shuriao blinking, cute appearance so that Gu Xingyi cannot help but want to use a finger to poke her little face. In fact, Gu Xingyi also had a tied bank card, but he had said before that the expenses of the family should be discussed between the two in the future. Good. Xia Shuriao softly agreed. She thought for a moment, pursed her lips again, looked at Gu Xingyi and opened her mouth. So, is it good for the company to set up another charitable foundation? I want to take out 30% of the proceeds in the future to help those orphans in difficulty and those patients who can't afford to pay their medical bills. Looking at Xia Shuriao's serious expression, Gu Xingyi froze for a moment, then nodded with a smile. Of course.
The two of them were originally orphans and had experienced some things, so they naturally knew more about human suffering than others. Even if Xia Shiyao didn't say it, he would say it afterward. It could only be said that the two of them thought of the same thing. Of course, this foundation, they will also be serious and responsible to look after it, to ensure that every penny is used on people in need. When Sister Yun and Tao Lele heard this, their eyes instantly lit up, and after the two of them looked at each other, Sister Yun also smiled and said, Xiaodiao, why don't you set aside 30% of our salary and put it into the foundation? It's also considered a token of our appreciation. Ah, okay. Xia Shiyao agreed, and after that the direction was roughly finalized, Gu Xingyi didn't delay, he stood up and made an inviting gesture and said, I wonder if a few beauties would like to go with me to take a look at your future new company? Tao Lele instantly cheered and raised her hands in favor. Xia Shiyao didn't say anything, but directly stood up and took Gu Xingyi's hand, proving her thoughts with her actions. After Gu Xingyi made a call to Chen Feng, the group of four left the house and drove towards the center of Zheng City. Once again came to the downstairs of this 10-story commercial building. Gu Xingyi looked up. This was the third time he had come to this place. He really didn't think that he would one day open a company of his own here. The floor to be rented out was the 8th floor. Chen Feng had long been waiting here, and beside him stood a man of about 40 years of age. The two men were talking and laughing until Gu Xingyi's four people walked out from the elevator. Only then did the two men stop talking and greeted them. Old Gu, let me introduce you. This is the person in charge of this building, Lin Fu. Chen Feng pulled Gu Xingyi and introduced the two to each other. Mr. Lin, this is Gu Xingyi, also the boss of our company. Gu Xingyi hurriedly removed his mask and shook hands with the enthusiastic Lin Fu. Once the mask was removed, Lin Fu obviously recognized Gu Xingyi, as could be seen from the look in his eyes that carried some surprise. Hello. I really didn't expect that it would be you who would be renting this floor of our office building. Before I heard from Xiao Chun, I thought it was a rename. I didn't think it was really you. Gu Xingyi. In the past 2 days, as long as I open my cell phone, I can see your messages. You're opening your own entertainment company? Lin Fu asked with some surprise and curiosity on his face after he briefly shook hands with Gu Xingyi. Gu Xingyi coming here to open a company, if it spreads out, it's a big melon in the sky. Hello, Mr. Lin, I do want to open an entertainment company. This is not picking a place. Why don't we look at the place first? Okay. Let's talk business first, please follow me. Lin Fu smiled. If Gu Xingyi really opened an entertainment company in his place, then his place would be on fire. He was aware of Gu Xingyi's hotness. This was a complete gold standard. Several people visited this floor together, and Lin Fu kept explaining to Gu Xingyi. A circle to see down. Gu Xingyi heart also probably have a number. This layer of a total of 2,200 square meters, separated into 15 office areas, each office area of about 120 square meters or so. Of course, the office building here can be renovated and remodeled as needed later. Gu Xingyi has the need. He can completely according to the company's needs to redecorate and remodel. For example, the staff's lounge, as well as the recording studio, meeting room. He will need to renovate and remodel the rooms himself later on. There are also a series of issues such as the entry of equipment. These are all subsequent projects. Now Gu Xingyi is equivalent to a bare-knuckled commander. The company in addition to him and Xia Shiyao, Lele them, and is the previously agreed upon Feng Xiaoxiao, Yishuihan two people, the company is temporarily no one else. Now he only needs to simply get a few basic rooms first, and then vacate an office space for Xingyao Anime to move in. Gu Xingyi was still quite satisfied with this layer, so he immediately negotiated with Lin Fu. Lin Fu for Gu Xingyi can be stationed in their own commercial building is still very happy, so the price given is also very real. The two sides hit it off immediately. Talking about the end, Gu Xingyi successfully to the price of 12 yuan per square meter per day and Lin Fu signed a 6-month contract. The expiration of the renewal of the contract depends entirely on the Gu Xingyi then need a larger place. The contract was signed and the money was delivered. The first step in the establishment of Starry Yao Entertainment was also successfully completed. The beginning of everything is difficult. The address of Starry Yao Entertainment had just been determined. Gu Xingyi contacted the decoration company to enter the site without stopping. He needed to organize the company as soon as possible. Crazy, accompany me tomorrow to register the company, and by the way, post some recruitment information online. The singer we don't have for the time being, but some of the necessary jobs still need to be put in place as soon as possible. Good, go together tomorrow, and the decoration thing you don't need to worry about, I will look at it. Our Starry Yao Animation's office space. I must keep an eye on the whole process. Chen Feng promised. For the company's matters, he was quite energized. Contacting the decoration company, Gu Xingyi raised his head, looking at the empty floor in front of him, his heart kept calculating the next matters. For the opening of the company, he is also a big bride on the sedan chair. The first time, he can only study in detail, try to make their own no mistakes. Decoration and remodeling is only the first step.
the next equipment into the field, talent recruitment, and then the wind. E2 will be included in the company. The preliminary planning is only so much behind, can only take a step to see a step. Tao Lele is still pulling Xia Shiyao around from room to room. Sister Yun is following them. The smile on her face hasn't dropped. Now that they have their own company, this little girl has already started to think about the layout of the company, and at the moment, she is even pulling Xia Shiyao to study it all the time. Xia Shiyao listened to Tao Lele's fantasy future, beautiful eyes lightly blinking, unconsciously looked toward Gu Xingyi, who was still thinking over there. Her heart was also very unsettled. It seemed that without realizing it, her life had changed drastically, as if it was a big dream, especially at this moment. As she stood here, there was always a feeling of unreality. She was suddenly scared. Tao Luola still wanted to pull Xia Shiyao to walk further. When she suddenly realized that her sister Shiyao stayed where she was, the whole person seemed like she had lost her soul. Sister Shiyao? Thinking about what? Tao Lele tried to call out. Xia Shiyao didn't answer, and in the next second, she suddenly broke away from Tao Lele's hand and walked towards Gu Xingyi's. Gu Xingyi was still contemplating the direction of the company's development, when suddenly a fresh scent came from his side, and a small, warm hand took hold of his own, holding it tightly. When he looked up, he saw Xia Shiyao's pretty, unpowdered face. Only now on this pretty face, there was some panicked look in those almond eyes. What's wrong? Gu Xingyi pinched her small hand and asked in a small voice. As the words fell, the small hand in his hand gripped himself tighter. Xia Shiyao pursed her lips, her eyes staring tightly into Gu Xingyi's eyes. Tao Lele and Sister Yun, who chased out from the office area, subconsciously stopped in their tracks. They also noticed that Xia Shiyao's mood was not right. Sister Yun didn't know what was wrong with Xia Shiyao, but she guessed roughly. Her heart was slightly flooded with pain. This silly child, who had managed to live a little happier, was starting to get scared again. Although Sister Yun didn't know what she was afraid of, she knew that the reason was definitely on Gu Xingyi. She glanced at Gu Xingyi, who was currently looking at Xia Shiyao with tender eyes, and pulled Tao Lele to the side. At this time now, let the young couple be alone. Chen Feng scratched his head. Originally he was still unsure. When he looked at Sister Yun and the two of them leaving this place, he instantly reacted and hurriedly chased after Sister Yun and Tao Lele. The atmosphere here was really a bit overwhelming for him. The real touch coming from her hand made Xia Shiyao's heart jump. She wanted to ask, but was a little afraid that the answer she got would disappoint her. But the firm gentleness in Gu Xingyi's eyes made her finally gather the courage to ask. Gu Dorkyu, you won't disappear, right? Hearing Xia Shiyao's words, Gu Xingyi froze for a moment, a question that he hadn't thought about. When he first came here, he thought about leaving, about traveling around the world in the past, but then he didn't have that idea anymore. But whether or not he would disappear, he really hadn't thought about it, and he didn't know how to answer this question. Everything is determined by God, half of it is not by himself. Not hearing the answer she wanted, the panic in Xia Shiyao's eyes intensified, her grip on Gu Xingyi's hand tightened, and her eyes began to redden. This question that she had been thinking about, from the moment he appeared, she had been thinking about it, and she had never changed, especially when happiness was getting closer and closer to her. The fear in her heart was getting thicker and thicker. She was afraid that this happiness was nothing more than a big dream, nothing more than a dream of a white horse passing by, a meeting in a dream that would always turn into a bubble. Feeling Xia Shiyao's panic, Gu Xingyi was also a bit flustered. He backhanded Xia Shiyao's hand, then wrapped her in his arms. There are some problems, I don't know, but I won't leave of my own accord. After saying that, Gu Xingyi's eyes gradually firmed up. He gently patted Xia Shiyao's back, which was still trembling a bit, and continued. If one day, I really disappear, wait for me. I will definitely come back. Xia Shiyao didn't reply for a long time, only hugging Gu Xingyi's waist tightly, feeling the temperature of his body. It was only after another few moments that Gu Xingyi heard her reply echoing in his ears. Good. There was only one word, but it revealed Xia Shiyao's determination. Although Gu Xingyi's answer wasn't the one she wanted to hear, he had given her an explanation. The two of them gradually smoothed out their minds, only that the worry in Gu Xingyi's heart added another layer, something that he couldn't be sure of. With things finalized here, the group of four left the company and headed to the bank. On the way, under the deliberate amusement of Tao Luolele, Xia Shiyao's mood was also much better. Gu Xingyi drove the car, and in his heart, he marveled. In the end, it was Xia Shiyao's dragon and tiger generals. The two of them really understood her. This trip to the bank was to pay the salaries of these two meritorious people. After that, life started to get on track. Xia Shiyao was momentarily free, while Gu Xingyi, who aspired to become a full-time baby daddy, was running his legs off, registering the company, recruiting people, making the company logo, and a series of other things that made him not idle at all. After half a month, the online heat between the two of them also gradually returned to calm. For a time, the news of Xia Shiyao and Gu Xingyi seemed to have evaporated. Netizens could only listen to songs to remember them, and in the meantime, bicker a bit underneath the two of them's peripatetic blogs. Hey, where are the people? Still not out for business? I've been waiting for the flowers. That's it. How can you be so unintelligent? It's been half a month. Even the donkeys in the production team don't dare to rest like this. Listening to your songs and urging you on is a great feeling. Didn't you say you wanted to start your own family? What's going on? Are you playing? Old dang. If you don't show up again, be careful, I'll park the ghost fire under your house. Xingyao is mine, ga.
Unlike the netizens who were rushing around, the entertainment circle was rare and calm, and the various entertainment companies were relieved to be without the oppression of these two. Only, they didn't dare to be too arrogant in dominating the hot list, for fear that one day, Gu Xingyi, this cub seed, would suddenly appear and give them a blow. After all, as long as he appeared, it would be a hot search, proper. If that happened, wouldn't all the money they had invested be wasted? Facts proved that their approach was correct. As time came to October 20th, Xia Shiyao and Gu Xingyi's Weibo updated their dynamics at the same time. Then in just one short hour, this dynamic went to the hot search list 1. Long time no see. To give you all a work report, starting today, Star Yao Entertainment is officially online. Mr. Gu, Sister Shiyao. Good morning. Star Yao Entertainment, after half a month of refurbishment, was now taking shape. Just as Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao and the others stepped through the front door, the newly recruited receptionist girl immediately stood up with a happy smile on her face and greeted Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao. Good morning. Gu Xingyi smiled back. This little girl seems to be called Li Wenjing. Looking indeed Wenjing, quite good, the person is just like her name. Li Wenjing got Gu Xingyi's response. Her face was even more joyful. Since she saw Xingyao Entertainment's recruitment, she decisively put in her resume. Even when she was interviewed at first, she made all the preparations. Just like this, she was still worried in her heart whether she would not pass or not. After all, to be able to work in her idol's company and see them every day is a very happy thing. Today's Star Yao Entertainment, apart from the venue used by Star Yao Animation, was now divided into 10 lounges, 10 recording studios, 5 offices, and a large conference room. The basic facilities were all in place, and the company's logo had also been designed and hung on a large sign outside. Of course, compared to other bigger entertainment companies, it was still slightly shabby, but for now, Gu Xingyi was already satisfied. You guys came quite early? Big brother Gu. Sister Shiyao. Good morning. Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao were just about to head inside when 2 more female voices came from the doorway at this moment. Good morning. Minister Yang, Changdi, good morning to you too. Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao and the others turned around, and saw Yang Lin and Changdi also walked in from outside. Changdi bounced and ran over, wrapping her arms around Xia Shiyao. Sister Shiyao, haven't seen you for a few days, you've gained a bit of weight again, oh? Which is not. Xia Shiyao's pretty face was slightly red. She did put on some weight. Recently she had been at home. Gu Xingyi's cooking was too delicious. She couldn't help but eat more every time. But for her to admit it, it was impossible. Gu Xingyi saw Yang Lin, who came closer and scratched his head. The company had just opened. He had only proposed cooperation to Yang Xian, borrowing 2 people to come over to calm down the scene. Chang Di came over, he had thought of it, but Yang Jianlin came over, he never thought of it. This royal sister had multiple jobs in her own company, so how could she still have time to come to her own small and shabby company? When they first came, they startled Gu Xingyi, but it was fortunate that Yang Jianlin came and helped the company solve a lot of trouble, at least in the aspect of personnel. Gu Xingyi several people did not worry about it. Minister Yang, how did Sound and Sea Entertainment give up on releasing you? A few people walked towards the lounge. Gu Xingyi asked curiously while walking. Yang Lin looked ahead without slanting her eyes. There's Minister Zhang in the personnel department. I'm just a vice minister. Isn't it normal for me to come over and help out? Over at Douyin, it's the same wherever I'm based. After saying that, she suddenly turned her face again and glanced at Gu Xingyi. What? Am I not welcome? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Warmly welcome. You can be considered one of our company's great generals now. How dare you not welcome me? Gu Xingyi hurriedly said, his side is short of people. Come and still want to leave, dream on. Then don't call Minister Yang in the future, call Sister Lin. I'm older than you. Yang Lin continued to look at Gu Xingyi and said, making it clear that she wanted to take advantage of Gu Xingyi. Stomping on her nose, Gu Xingyi felt her fists harden. Looking at Gu Xingyi's dishwater face, Xia Shiyao and Chang Di snickered. They hadn't seen Gu Xingyi suffer much yet. Good. You're older, you're awesome. Sister Lin. That'll do. A great man can bend and bend. Gu Xingyi's expression immediately calmed down. This time it was Yang Lin's turn to be a little upset in her heart. She always felt that Gu Xingyi, this cub, was mocking herself. A few people talked and laughed into the lounge. Now the company has just been established, just a few people. The development prospects have not yet been determined. There are not so many rules and regulations for the time being. This lounge is exclusively for Xia Shiyao. The layout and facilities of a series of things are modeled after the original Sound and Sea Entertainment, which is also strongly requested by Xia Shiyao and Tao Lele. In fact, it was Tao Lele's idea alone. Before in the Sound and Sea Entertainment, she didn't stay in the lounge much, this time in her own company, she was ready to stay here a lot. As soon as she entered the lounge, Tao Lele jumped on the big sofa that she had been longing for, and was overjoyed. Xia Shiyao and Chang Di both sat down as well, and the two of them were like sisters, chatting about things on the song. Right. The two of us, Xia Shiyao and I, discussed it, and thought that we still need to recruit a secretary for you. You're also the chairman of a company now, you can't do everything yourself, you still need to have someone to help you. Gu Xingyi had just taken his seat on the sofa when he heard Yang Lin, who was sitting on the opposite side of the room, say to herself again, "A secretary?" Gu Xingyi hadn't really thought about this point, and when he heard Yang Jianlin say this, his mind unconsciously conjured up a tall, sensible, beautiful woman wearing black silk and a professional outfit. He hurriedly shook his head, shaking this unrealistic image out of his mind. The company is just starting out now, and there's not much going on, so for the time being, it's still not necessary, right? This expression of his, which fell in Yang Lin's eyes, made her unconsciously cross her legs and narrow her eyes and smile. What are you thinking about? Say it out and share it with Xiaoyou? Gu Xingyi was a bit weak all of a sudden. He secretly glanced at Xia Shiyao. This idiot was still happily chatting with Chang Di, not paying the slightest attention to what they were saying. It's not his fault. The point is whoever thinks of the secretary, will think so, right? Where did I think of anything? Don't you falsely accuse a good person for nothing. Of course Gu Xingyi wouldn't admit it, he said in a serious manner. Yang Lin snorted, which turned the page, and continued, you and Shiyao too, both do not have that time to manage the company, also will not manage. Find a professional to help you, or necessary, of course, recruiting people, character should be guaranteed, rather than a secretary, rather than assistant, right? Hearing Yang Lin say this, Gu Xingyi nodded his head, managing this piece, he really wasn't good at it. But there's no rush now. Let's wait until later, the company hasn't even started normal operations yet, it's too early to say this. Right, in a while there are going to be two singers, people are very good, I picked them up on the side of the road, you negotiate with them, try to give as many conditions as you can in place, and sign up, so that the company isn't left with just my wife on top. Gu Xingyi was talking about, naturally, Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Shuihan, the pair of brothers, as the company's first signed artist. Gu Xingyi had great expectations for them. In the future, this pair of brothers will be the humming two of Xingyou Entertainment. Yang Lin eyes surprised, people choose singers, are in the agency or in the network of those little-known singers in the selection, the results of Gu Xingyi good, directly on the side of the road to pick up. Singer is so good to pick up? Why didn't she know? At around 10 in the morning, Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Shuihan came to the company. Gu Xingyi just showed up, received them, and then handed them over to Yang Lin. Professional matters should be handled by professionals, and he, an amateur, was currently looking at houses in a nearby neighborhood with Xia Shiyao. In addition to preparing to rent a few artist apartments, they themselves were also preparing to change to a bigger house. The artists' apartments were quickly rented, and they were all clean and well decorated. The housing agent had managed to receive a large order, and was currently walking ahead with a smile on his face, enthusiastically introducing the place to Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao. Mr. Gu, M.S. Xia, this is one of the famous districts in the center of Jiangcheng. The greening of the district is one of the best in this area, and the facilities are complete, the security and property are perfect. Not only that, you should also be able to see that the transportation in this neighborhood is also very convenient. Usually if you don't want to drive, not far from going out is the subway station. The surrounding business district is also more developed. The famous Yida Plaza is in this vicinity. You guys chose to live here. It's definitely the most correct choice. Gu Xingyi nodded. The agent introduced he had studied before, and that was why he chose this place. As he spoke, the agent led the two of them into the door of the unit in building 8 and onto the elevator. The elevator rose all the way to the 18th floor and stopped. The agent quickly stepped out of the elevator and led Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao to the door of a room, entering the electronic code to open the door. The three of them entered the room. A very faint smell of decoration could still be smelled in the air. Through the entrance hall, into the eyes was an oversized living room. This house was finely decorated in a light gray minimalist style. At this point the agent continued to introduce, Mr. Gu, M.S. Xia, according to your requirements, this house should be the most suitable for you. Standard 4 rooms, 2 halls, 2 baths, simple atmosphere. Look at this layout, look at the floor-to-ceiling windows. Honestly, if I had the money, I would be moved. The agent hung a smile and praised. Gu Xingyi also smiled after listening. He came to the balcony in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling windows, pulled open the light gray curtains overlooking down. The scenery is indeed very beautiful. Gu Xingyi was quite satisfied with this place. He turned back and looked at Xia Shiyao, only to see that Xia Shiyao had the same look of anticipation in her eyes. It seemed that she was also quite satisfied. The two circled around the house again, and when Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao saw the children's room, they decided to buy it. It was really because this children's room was so beautifully done, and the two of them agreed that little Nai Nai would definitely love this little room.
The two of them, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao, briefly discussed the matter, and then Gu Xingyi began to pull the limit with the agent until both the agent and Gu Xingyi were satisfied and smiled, and only then did both sides begin to sign the contract. Another big thing done, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao said goodbye to the agent, which drove back towards the company. This time, it was rare that Xia Shiyao drove the car, while Gu Xingyi sat in the passenger side, resting his eyes. Looking at the fatigue on Gu Xingyi's face, Xia Shiyao pursed her lips. In the past half a month, she had watched him running around early in the morning and late at night every day. Even when he came back home, he would lock himself in the study for a while, not knowing what he was doing. It was heartbreaking for her to see him like this, but even when she persuaded him, Gu Xingyi would only smile and say that it didn't bother him. Xia Shiyao felt that she had to do something, otherwise this nerd, I don't know how much longer he will be like this. The car quickly arrived at the company's downstairs parking lot, and Gu Xingyi, who was resting his eyes, opened them, and a smile reappeared on his face. The two got out of the car and walked towards the company. On the street, inside a dilapidated red car, a pair of eyes with a maniacal look were staring at the duo of Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao, who had stepped into the building. Ever since she came out, she had been keeping an eye on Xia Shiyao. She had already made all the preparations, but she never thought that the entertainment industry would block Xia Shiyao at this time. Blocking was a good thing. She wanted to see Xia Shiyao fall down like herself. But before she could be happy for long, it was Gu Xingyi who jumped out again. This man. Every time, he jumped out at the most crucial time. She hated. Seeing how happy Xia Shiyao was now, she hated it even more. Today's Xia Shiyao has become an obsession in her heart, a thorn stuck in the tip of her heart. I really didn't expect that the first event invitation our company received was an award ceremony. Gu Xingyi, who had returned to the company, said with a smile as she held the event invitation notice that Sister Yun had handed to her. At the end of October, the China's New Song Ranking Award ceremony would be held in the Magic City Music Pavilion, a rather authoritative ceremony organized by Huayin in conjunction with major entertainment companies. This month's new song list is all taken up by us. It must be normal to be invited. I just don't know how many songs Sister Shiyao and her brother-in-law will win. Taluola still didn't want to leave her large sofa, and was currently nestled cross-legged on the sofa, stretching her neck to look at the notice in Gu Xingyi's hand. Gu Xingyi looked up and laughed. Actually, winning or not winning the award doesn't mean much to us. After all, this award is just to raise the singer's stature, so that they have more capital to negotiate contracts with the company is just that, and in our own company, this stature equals zero roll. But regardless of whether or not they can win the award, it's good to go and show your face, so that appearing in the public I can also make them feel at ease, and the company resume will also have an additional amount of money. After all, right now, this company can be too much like a purse company. After Gu Xingyi finished speaking, several people laughed. Which skin bag company is like this? Not to mention anything else, just this 2,000 square meter floor, which leather bag company could rent it? Sister Shiyao, brother-in-law, it seems like you guys still don't have a dress for the ceremony. Usually dresses are provided by the company's sponsor, but our company doesn't have a sponsor yet. Tao Lele added as she looked at the two people on the sofa who were dressed in a casual outfit. Sister Yun, who was sitting by the sofa, rubbed Tao Lele's hair and said to Xia Shiyao and Gu Xingyi, for the dress, order is set. Let's go to Yida in the afternoon to take a look. There are stores that specialize in customized dresses there. It's not too late. Good. Gu Xingyi agreed. Just like this, after several people had lunch at the company, a group of people chirped and walked into the elevator. Poor Gu Xingyi, surrounded by 4 women in the middle, only to feel that there was a flock of sparrows chirping around him. Cheng Di also followed when she heard that they were going clothes shopping. So it was that the 4 women got into a car, leaving Gu Xingyi alone in another car. The car in front drove onto the main road, and Gu Xingyi followed behind. However, right at this moment, the roar of a car engine suddenly sounded, and Gu Xingyi's eyes narrowed to a slit almost instantly as he watched a dilapidated red car coming from the distance, which was constantly increasing its speed and crashing into the car that Xia Shiyao's people were in. At this moment, Gu Xingyi only felt that the blood in his entire body froze. He subconsciously stepped on the gas pedal desperately and drove his car, blocking in front of Xia Shiyao's several people's cars in an instant. A violent roar rose. Gu Xingyi only felt the sky spinning in front of his eyes, countless glass slags flying. Through the broken car window, he blurrily saw the face that had gone crazy to the point of distortion. So, it was her. Lu Qian. Gu Xingyi smiled and laughed, even though blood had been spat out of his mouth. With him around, no one could cross in to hurt her. Inside the car, Xia Shiyao had been completely dumbfounded. She watched the 3 people around her jump out of the car screaming, watched Sister Yun pull her out of the car with a hand and hold her tightly in her arms, watched Taoluo Lele rip out Lu Qian, who was covered in blood and had a maniacal appearance, and watched Cheng Di frantically dialing this first aid number and the police number. Gu nerd. Xia Shiyao called out like a murmur, then violently broke away from Sister Yun's embrace and staggered towards the car that had already been smashed to pieces. Inside the car,
The airbags had all popped out, it was hard to see his face, only blood kept flowing down from him. Xia Shuriao lost all her strength at once and fell to her knees. She wordlessly stretched out her hand, tears kept raging down from her eyes. She wanted to hold his hand, but the short distance was like a moat. Sirens and ambulances swarmed to the scene, and the scene was noisy. But Xia Shuriao seems to hear nothing, because her sky, at this moment, has collapsed.
Is it a hospital?
Gu Xingyi rubbed her violently throbbing temples and struggled to open her eyes, and what met her eyes was the clean white roof. The air reeked of disinfectant, and Gu Xingyi dragged his aching body to roll over and sit up, staring blankly at all this in front of him.
He had only drunk 2 more cups yesterday at the celebration banquet, so how did he end up in the hospital? Moreover, it seemed like he had slept for a long time and had a long, long dream.
Just what he dreamed about, he couldn't recall at all now.
Doctor! Doctor! The patient in room 02 is awake.
Before Gu Xingyi could make a move, he heard a female voice shouting doctor in a surprised tone, and the next moment, the doctor who had heard the news pushed his way in.
Miracle! There were no signs. The cerebral nerves that had fallen into a deep coma were actually able to awaken on their own.
The rushing doctor fiddled with the instruments at Gu Xingyi for half a day, then shook his head with an unbelievable look on his face.
No. Doctor, hello, I merely overslept last night. It's not as exaggerated as you say, right? Overslept? Oh. Who sleeps for months at a time? I was never expecting you to wake up. A few months? Gu Xingyi was a bit skeptical. Alright, it's good that the person is awake. I'll give you a detailed examination later, and it's best if you can stay in the hospital for another period of observation.
The doctor looked at Gu Xingyi and continued.
Wait, doctor, I want to ask who brought me to the hospital, and also, when you say a few months, do you mean I was in a coma for a few months?
Gu Xingyi was a bit overwhelmed for a moment. He now desperately wanted to know what had happened to him. 3 months to be exact. As for the one who brought you here, it should have been your co-worker, because he threw you here and disappeared.
Hearing the doctor say this, the corners of Gu Xingyi's mouth couldn't help but twitch. 3 months?
He himself had actually slept for 3 whole months. Luckily, someone had thrown him to the hospital. He was an orphan. If no one had found him, for 3 months, it was estimated that his own corpse would have stunk. After the doctor finished speaking, he didn't say anything else, but began to prepare to do a detailed examination for Gu Xingyi.
In the afternoon, the results of the examination made the doctor amazed. There were no problems whatsoever. Hell knows why he fell into a deep coma before.
Gu Xingyi also learned the details of his situation during this afternoon. It turned out that after he was thrown to the hospital, the doctors had originally made a mistake, which without the family in, they did not dare to treat him in depth. Later, the hospital learned that Gu Xingyi is an orphan, only from the charitable foundation there to apply for relief funds to Gu Xingyi treatment. But unfortunately, no matter how to do, Gu Xingyi seems to never wake up in general, such as a living dead. They can only put Gu Xingyi in the hospital room every day to give him to maintain the basic nutritional consumption. Gu Xingyi smiled bitterly. Originally he had been exercising every day, but now, lying in bed for 3 months had made him so weak that he was now a dog. It was hard to even sit up. Thinking of his body's weakness, Gu Xingyi suddenly felt as if he had experienced it in a dream. After pondering for a few moments to no avail, Gu Xingyi decisively shook his head and threw these distracting thoughts to the side. The main thing now was to make himself able to act normally. After Gu Xingyi's unremitting efforts, 3 days later, he was finally discharged from the hospital. Although this body was not able to perform strenuous exercise right now, normal walking and whatnot was already completely possible. After returning to his empty home, Gu Xingyi picked up his cell phone and looked through the recent events. He didn't have many friends, so naturally no one would know that he had been in a coma for 3 months. Probably, only the previous colleagues know it. However, he was now fired by that small record company. After all, he himself is just a small unknown lyricist. After all, he was just a small, unknown songwriter. It had only been 3 months, and for someone who had been living alone, the world hadn't changed that much. After flipping through his cell phone for a while, Gu Xingyi put it in his pocket and left the house again. There were no ingredients in the house, so he had to go out and prepare some ingredients. Arriving at the nearby mall, Gu Xingyi picked and chose for a while, then carried a large pile of ingredients and walked back with great effort.
Brother! Buying flowers?
Outside the mall, on the square, a little girl with a red face held up a bouquet of flowers and looked at Gu Xingyi expectantly. Gu Xingyi froze for a moment. He had too many things in his hand to hold them anymore, but when he saw this bouquet of lavender in the girl's hand, his heart inexplicably hurt.
It was as if a voice had been whispering in his ear, "Buy it, brother! The language of lavender's flower is one that represents waiting love. It will bring you good luck. Buy a bunch."
The little girl's voice rang out again, and Gu Xingyi came back to his senses, putting down the ingredients in his hands, suddenly smiling a little and touching the girl's head.
Lavender has another flower language. Oh, that is redemption and hope. In the little girl's sweet smile, Gu Xingyi bought a bouquet of lavender, and he didn't know why he knew its flower language, just like he didn't know where exactly that sentiment in his heart came from. Back home Gu Xingyi, just like this staring blankly at this empty home, he suddenly felt, this home, less something. Sister Xiaodio, you haven't eaten much in 3 days, eat something, otherwise when brother-in-law wakes up and sees you like this, he'll feel bad. In front of the hospital bed, Xia Shiyao tightly gripped that warm hand, even when Tao Lele was persuading on one side, her eyes were still on that silhouette on the bed, not moving away. The doctor said that he only lost too much blood, everything else was normal, but even the doctor couldn't say why he just didn't wake up. He was just breathing calmly like this, as if he would never wake up. Sure Yao. You don't think for yourself. Think about Nai Nai as well. Nai Nai didn't see you guys for these 3 days. Do you know how little Nai Nai feels in her heart? Although the little one doesn't say it, the teacher told me that she's always secretly wiping her tears alone. Sister Yun's stern words rang in her ears, and it was only when she heard little Nai Nai that Xia Shiyao's eyes suddenly gained some luster. She stood up violently, the 3 consecutive days and nights of watching her body couldn't stop her body from staggering a bit. Nai Nai. If Gu Xingyi woke up and knew that the little one was like this, he would definitely be heartbroken. She couldn't be like this, she still had Nai Nai to take care of. Gu Xingyi left the house. Since he woke up from the hospital, he himself didn't know what was wrong with him. Obviously he used to be so alone, but now, he always felt empty there. He always felt that he had forgotten something, but what had he forgotten? He didn't know. All he knew was that the feeling, it was hard, and when he woke up, it was as if a piece of his heart was missing. His subconscious mind makes him want to go looking for it, following the feeling in his heart to look for it, searching for that somehow came to his heart. The evening breeze at the end of October blew chillingly. Gu Xingyi sat in front of a convenience store. He bought a bottle of wine, wanting to warm up. But the cap of the bottle had just been opened, and the strong smell of alcohol hit his nose, making him want to vomit a little. Gu Xingyi frowned and touched his nose out of habit, and he didn't know why, but looking at the wine in front of him, he suddenly loathed it. In the end, he was unable to drink it, and disgustedly capped the bottle and set it aside. Meow meow. A stray cat that came from nowhere attracted Gu Xingyi's attention, and it pawed at the door of the convenience store, meowing. The cashier lady at the front desk seemed to be accustomed to its behavior, skillfully stood up, took some food and came to the door, squatted down and fed it. The stray cat licked her hand and left with the food in its mouth. The cashier lady stood up and watched the stray cat leave, her eyes full of pain. Like it? Why don't you take it home and adopt it? Gu Xingyi, who saw the scene, couldn't help but look up and ask. The cashier lady froze for a moment. She didn't expect this strange uncle who asked for a bottle of wine and didn't drink it to suddenly speak out. She looked towards the place where the stray cat disappeared, sighed, and explained to Gu Xingyi. I can't afford to keep it now, and I won't take it home until I can. Uncle, haven't you ever heard of such a saying? If you can't take care of her all the time, don't be all nice to her, because in contrast to before, being pampered and then abandoned, she'll be desperate. Gu Xingyi, who was called uncle, was silent, and hearing these words, his heart suddenly hurt again. It was the 10th day since he left home, and he seemed to know where he wanted to go. Paper can't wrap fire. On the 3rd day of Gu Xingyi's coma and hospitalization, everyone knew the news of his car accident. For a while, the internet directly exploded, and various media outlets even caught wind of it, with a piece of fiery red headlines with shock appearing on major software. How could the netizens not expect that after waiting for so many days, what they waited for would be this bad news? Everyone was a bit in disbelief that this man who had just risen to prominence and defeated the entire music scene with the power of one man would fall just like this. They couldn't believe it, but the facts shut them up. The official news had already come out, confirming the authenticity of this matter, and also reported the cause of this incident, all because of a woman's personal grudge led to a car accident. At present Gu Xingyi was in a coma and still had not awakened. The netizens' hearts immediately seized up. They ran to Xia Shiyao's Weibo account to inquire and comfort her. Xia Shiyao, cheer up. You can pull yourself together. We all believe that Gu Xingyi will be fine. This is intentional murder. What the hell? This vicious woman. She should be convicted of murder. I didn't believe it when I saw this information, but when I realized it was the truth, I was silent. I couldn't do anything but pray for him. This man, during this period of time, has brought us touches and joys that can't be replaced by anyone else in the entertainment industry. Originally thought I could witness a new era in the entertainment industry, I never thought. Alas! How much the netizens were hurting, how much happier Tianmei Entertainment, as well as other large and small entertainment companies, were. They couldn't wait for Gu Xingyi to stay in a coma like this and never wake up. Even Lu Gao breathed a sigh of relief. To be honest, Gu Xingyi had brought him a lot of pressure, more than anyone or any company in the past. Other people or companies would still talk to you about interests, Gu Xingyi wouldn't at all. He was a deviant who didn't follow the norm. He is a deviant, and this deviant is also very talented. At the end of October, the China New Song Awards ceremony was held as scheduled, but people had no desire to pay attention to the ceremony. It was because the people who won the Best New Song Award and the Best Lyricist Award this time did not show up. Time is the most merciless, the entertainment circle once again returned to its previous calm. The person who appeared in a flash, no longer news. After October, the winds and clouds will come together. The entertainment circle will also usher in the grandest program of the year, China's Strongest Voice. China's Strongest Voice was a kind of ring competition that was supervised by Hua Yin and invited various entertainment companies in China to compete in a music ring competition, which was also the standard for judging the foundation of an entertainment company. The reason why the Big Three were the Big Three was all because they always managed to bag the top three in every edition of China's Strongest Voice. The rules of this program are also very simple. In the competition arena, there are 3 rings at the same time, by the previous year's 3 giant companies to send singers to defend the ring. Any other company can challenge. The winning party becomes the defending party, accumulating 1 point, the losing party 0 points. As for the judging, it was also very simple. The whole process was only voted by the audience without any mentors. Hua Yin will monitor real-time data. Viewers want to vote, must real name with cumulative viewing hours, but also online manually complete the punch card task in order to vote, so also blocked any possibility of brushing votes. Every year at this time, it is also the time when netizens pay attention to all the people. Just this year, they can't help but sigh when they think of this competition. They were all thinking, if that man was there, what kind of grandeur would this China's Strongest Voice be? They also didn't know if Star Yao Entertainment would participate in this competition or not. Jiang Chang. Inside the hospital, Chen Feng was alone in front of the hospital bed, holding Gu Xingyi's hand and talking to him. Old Gu. If you're a man, hurry up and wake up. Sister-in-law was driven back by me. These days she guarded here the whole day. The whole person has lost a lot of weight. Little Nai doesn't know about this yet. We're hiding it from her. But the little one is too smart. The other day, I even saw her wiping her tears one by one with the doll you sent her. Chen Feng kept talking to Gu Xingyi on the bed, and his voice gradually choked. During this period of time, except for Xingyao Animation which was still in normal operation, Xingyao Entertainment had completely stopped running. Gu Xingyi was like the soul of this company, and now that the soul was gone, everything seemed to have pressed the stop button at this moment. Xia Shiyao received little Nai from the kindergarten. Back home, this home is still not big, but now in her eyes, is empty. She didn't even dare to look at little Nai's eyes right now. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to hold back her tears. Little Nai hugged her mom's thighs, looking up to Xia Shiyao's side past her face. Her little head was also lowered. Her little mouth was even deflated. She knew that her mom was sad. But she didn't know, where did daddy go? She wanted to ask mommy if daddy didn't want them anymore. But she didn't dare to ask. She could only behave better, in anticipation of her dad coming back one day to see that his daughter was well behaved. Putting little Nai to sleep, Xia Shiyao had no sleepiness at all. She gently walked out of the bedroom, and then nestled in the sofa like this, fuming. These days, she spent less and less time at home, and in the previous few days, even at night, she spent her time at the hospital. She wanted him to see herself the first time he woke up. This also led to Sister Yun and the girls compulsively kicking her back. In the darkness, Xia Shiyao curled up, her eyes lifeless. These days, she had been thinking, if she hadn't made a comeback, would it have turned out differently? Would Gu Xingyi not have gotten into trouble? If Gu Xingyi was here, he would definitely know how she felt at this moment. Unfortunately, Gu Xingyi wasn't here and no one could give her an answer. After another while, Xia Shiyao gently got up. She didn't return to the master bedroom, but came into the side bedroom. Pushing open the door of the side bedroom, this place had already been converted into a small study by Gu Xingyi again, with some curved manuscript papers placed haphazardly on the desk. Xia Shiyao quietly sat where Gu Xingyi had been sitting before. One by one, she organized the pieces of paper on the table together. Before, Gu Xingyi was always busy until late every day. She still wanted to teach him a lesson. But now, she could only wait until he woke up to teach him a lesson. Pulling open the drawer, the moment Xia Shiyao put the packed manuscript paper in, her whole body suddenly froze. In the drawer, a thick stack of music script paper came into her eyes, with all kinds of music scores and lyrics densely written on it. Since leaving, this was the first time Gu Xingyi had returned here, to the Little Sun Orphanage. He didn't know why he'd come here, but somewhere in the background, there was always an impulse in his heart that made him come and take a look. The current Gu Xingyi was truly like a strange uncle. His beard hadn't been shaved for many days, and his hair was as messy as grass. When he stood at the entrance of the orphanage and looked inward, even the security guards at the entrance were like thieves guarding against him. But Gu Xingyi still saw that a couple was inside picking out children. The children, on the other hand, were all gathered in front of the couple, doing their best to show the two adults how well-behaved, knowledgeable, and cute they were. He even saw a little girl, hand-treasured for an unknown period of time, lollipopper stuffed into the couple's hands, holding their hands and shouting Mom and Dad. Gu Xingyi looked on and suddenly burst into tears. He didn't know why he had to come here, to see this scene, but when he saw it, his heart ached so much, and he always felt as if he had lost something. It seemed like he had been pleasing someone like this, but who was that person?
Memories appeared confused, Gu Xingyi's breathing became more and more rapid, it seemed like he was trying to catch something, but he could never catch it.
What did he forget? Damn, in the end forgot what?
Gu Xingyi crouched on the ground, both fists helplessly hitting the sandstone on the ground. At this moment, even the blood sliding down his palms, he didn't seem to see it, he only wanted to use the pain to stimulate himself. This crazy move of his quickly attracted the security guards in the security room over. They certainly weren't pitying Gu Xingyi, they were just afraid that he would scare the children inside and wanted to drive him away. Being dragged to the street corner by the two security guards, Gu Xingyi's consciousness was already confused, he could only hold his head in pain while tears continued to fall. The more he tried to remember, the more cluttered his mind became. But he can be sure at this moment, he forgot a memory that is most precious to him. At the corner of the street, there was a sudden burst of familiar music, causing Gu Xingyi, who was holding his head, to give his movements a start. Finally made this decision, how others say I do not care, as long as you are just as sure.
Along with the song that entered Gu Xingyi's mind was a vague voice. Gu Xingyi, are you stupid? Alright, now we're even.
At the end of the song, a tender yet soft child's voice completely echoed in Gu Xingyi's mind.
Dad, hungry, rice.
Gu Xingyi's entire person had completely frozen at this moment, in his eyes, tears still kept falling, but he regained his clarity at this moment, he touched his violently beating heart and suddenly smiled.
He remembered, finally remembered. Xia Shiyao and little Nai Nai, that was his only tie in this world. November 8th, 8 o'clock in the evening. Still the Magic City Stadium.
The strongest voice in China officially opened. On the 3 rings, Soundsi Entertainment sent out the first ring keeper, first-tier singer Lina. Shengshi Entertainment continued to use their previous conservative method of fighting, sending out a veteran singer, and Tianmei Entertainment even invited their company's recently justified signature singer Xiang Rojing out. As the challenging party, other entertainment companies also send out their own popular singers, although they know they can't move the 3 giants, but even if they lose, the exposure rate is also raised, why not? 3 games in a row, whether it is the singer's personal strength or lyrics, the triumvirate have shown the world their capital. 3 challenges all ended in failure, the ringmasters are all successful in defending the ring. The scene was bustling with activity, but the online buzz was far less than in the past few years.
This was because the netizens suddenly realized that they couldn't listen to these songs anymore.
If they said the songs were bad, they were not bad at all. If they said they were good, they were not good enough. Their ears had been spoiled by Gu Xingyi, and now they felt that listening to these songs was tasteless. Just when the netizens felt that life was boring, suddenly, on the screen, the host's voice came into everyone's ears. Next, let's invite Star Yao Entertainment, Xia Shiyao to appear on stage for a challenge.
At this instant, the netizens even doubted their own ears. What? Xia Shiyao?
They were only slightly dumbfounded for a moment before they quickly picked up their phones and looked at the screen.
It really was Xia Shiyao.
Only to see Xia Shiyao dressed in a long black dress, her cheeks pale and with some sadness in her eyes as she slowly walked onto the stage from backstage.
The one she challenged today was Tianmei Entertainment.
Sister Yun and Tao Lele looked at Xia Shiyao, who walked onto the stage with worried eyes. They both didn't know how she suddenly changed her attitude. It seemed like from that night after letting Xia Shiyao go home, the next day, Xia Shiyao's whole person seemed to have changed. They even saw Gu Xingyi's shadow in the current Xia Shiyao. No one knew why Xia Shiyao suddenly returned to the company and even took the initiative to announce that the company would participate in this China's strongest voice. Only Xia Shiyao herself knew. She was currently standing on the stage, looking down at the audience below as the lights dimmed and background music slowly played. Only on the big screen, a name that made people cry appeared.
Xing Yao. Gosh. Goodbye Star Yao. Brothers. I can't tense up anymore. Let me cry. Lyricist, composer, and arranger. It's all Starry Yao. Can we shout out that slogan? Starry Yao's Productions. It's a masterpiece. Starry Yao has reappeared. Just like that day.
Xia Shiyao stood quietly on the stage like this as the music slowly sounded, and a tear slid down her cheek along with the music. All those who saw this scene, their hearts couldn't help but clench momentarily. In the next second, Xia Shiyao slowly opened her mouth, her heavenly voice came into the ears of the crowd, but it made the hearts of the crowd break at this moment.
Heaven, can't you see that I love her very much? Why do you want to break up 2 people who clearly love each other? God, don't tell her in secret. In the countless quiet nights, there is someone who is thinking of her.
The clear and pure voice of the song, like a handful of clear spring, fell into the hearts of the netizens, but steeply shattered into splashes. Just 2 lines of lyrics made everyone feel his love. I'm crying, this is what Gu Xingyi wrote to Xia Shiyao. It must be tearful. How much one should love her to pray to the heavens like this. There's bitterness and sweetness in relationships. Xia Shiyao, cheer up. For someone who loves you so much, the heavens won't let him fall asleep like this. Xia Shiyao on the stage, slowly closed her eyes, 2 lines of clear tears unconsciously flowed down her cheeks. She wanted to hold it back, but she couldn't help it.
She finally knew what Gu Xingyi had been busy with during that time. You have to take good care of her in the days to come. You can't bully her without me by her side. Don't let anyone enter her heart and leave her again, because I don't want to see her cry again. The song started again. The helplessness and sourness in her voice made people clench their fists. On the stage, Xia Shiyao slightly tilted up her pretty face, her little mouth deflated in aggravation. He seemed to be using this song to tell her not to be afraid. Even if he wasn't by her side one day, he would still go and ask the heavens to take care of her. But she wanted to tell him that what she wanted was always him by her side. What the hell, God, she didn't care. With a hint of sadness, a hint of helplessness, the accompaniment drifted into the audience's ears once again, and on the big screen at the back of the stage, the mechanically voiced subtitles slowly typed a line on the screen along with the accompaniment. The legendary Gulf of Alaska, due to the different densities of the seawater is yellow and blue in color, and incompatible. This feeling is like two people who love each other, although close at hand, but there is no way to be together. The Gulf of Alaska, is that what it turns out to be? The audience clenched their teeth, looking at the stage filled with a sad Xia Shiyao, and suddenly had the feeling of wanting to rush into the hospital and forcefully shake Gu Xingyi awake. Look, your woman is so aggrieved. You're still sleeping a basket case sleep. Not allowed to sleep. This song, which made the audience somewhat collectively break their defenses, was too emo. They seem to have 1,000 words in their hearts at the moment, but they have no way to tell them. Yet the song continued, with a faint sadness, scratching a shallow trace on the tip of their hearts. Heaven, are you secretly looking at the joke? Knowing that I'm not capable of protecting her, letting us meet? God, has she stopped losing sleep lately? May the warmth of the world turn into a wisp of wind. Embrace her in my place. Jiangchang, in Xingyou Entertainment, Cheng Di has long been transformed into a little crybaby. Her tears are flowing. Yang Jianlin on the side is constantly patting her back and comforting her. Yang Jianlin raised her eyes and looked at the woman singing in the screen, and she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. When she first met Xia Shiyao, she only felt that this person was gentle and had a nice voice, but as time passed, she felt that Xia Shiyao had no opinion and always gave people a feeling of a vase. Everything was Gu Xingyi's silent contribution behind the scenes. But just 2 days ago, when Xia Shiyao came to the company again, and arranged everything in the company properly, she realized that she was wrong. It was not that Xia Shiyao didn't have any opinion, it was because there had been Gu Xingyi before. Xia Shiyao didn't need to have an opinion. Or maybe Xia Shiyao had been hiding her strength, willing to be the woman behind Gu Xingyi. Being a lady of the house, Yang Xiaolin naturally doesn't understand Xia Shiyao's character, and she can't do so either. In this world, probably only Gu Xingyi, who is also an orphan, understands her. Unlike the netizens in Xingyou Entertainment, at this moment Tianmei Entertainment was collectively speechless. They looked at the TV screen, listening to Xia Shiyao's song from inside. They all looked at each other in dismay. They don't understand. You Gu Xingyi are in a coma, how can you still be so able to make things happen? Sitting on the main seat, Lu Gao, the smile on his face completely froze when Xia Shiyao appeared on the stage. As soon as Xia Shiyao made her appearance, she challenged his Tianmei Entertainment's ring, and the meaning of what it represented was self-evident. This was to pull Tianmei Entertainment off the stage. Dong Lu, looking at the heat online, this one, Xiang Rojing is a bit up in the air. One of the board members was a bit unable to sit still as he looked at the data on the computer in front of him and spoke with anxiety. Lu Gao already had a calm face at this time. He waved his hand and said lightly, "What's the point of panicking? We've already gotten a point. Even if we lose this one, it's just a tie. We'll just get it back next time. I only want to know now, whether Gu Xingyi is awake or not." What did Jiang Cheng say then? Just one Xia Shiyao. Lu Gao is not afraid at all, but Gu Xingyi, that alien, he is still a bit afraid in his heart. Mainly that guy is not a normal human at all. Lu Gao just asked. A management below immediately returned. The latest news is that he hasn't woken up yet. The hospital side also confirmed that they don't know if Gu Xingyi will wake up. That's good. I don't believe Gu Xingyi can leave so many songs for Xia Shiyao. Even if we lose this one, let Wei Mei go on the next one. If the regular songs don't work, I'll see how they can pick up the rap. Regardless of the reaction of all parties, at this time, the audience of the Magic City Stadium, as if unlocking tonight's Netsuke Cloud moment in advance. A song called Gulf of Alaska silenced everyone dry. They could only close their eyes and quietly enjoy the pure heartache. As for the official Huayin live broadcast, the last comment was still fixed at 1 minute ago. People who love each other will always be together, unless they don't love each other that much. Unless yin and yang are separated. After this comment, no one spoke anymore, they just listened to the song quietly. I hope my efforts will catch up with her. Someday I'll be able to give her a complete home. Oh God, what I've been saying to you these nights. Don't tell her by accident. I'm afraid I'll wake her up. God, please don't tell her in secret. In the dead of night, I still think of her. This last part, without the sound of music, accompanied by Xia Shiyao softly chanting, the lights gradually dimmed. As the song came to an end, in the darkness, Xia Shiyao bowed deeply to the stage.
When the lights came back on, she was no longer on the stage. But the audience seemed to already know where she had gone. They didn't clamor, instead they all smiled heartily.
The reason why you can't love someone is because that person isn't there.
But if that person comes back, that is the most beautiful ending.
On the next stage, it was Xiang Rojing's turn to sing, but she also knew that no matter how much she sang, she couldn't change the sad atmosphere tonight.
Xia Shiyao had successfully brought everyone into this atmosphere. This is the realm that a singer can only dream of, and this is the unique charm that a good song gives to a singer.
She lost both in the song and in the singer. She couldn't do this kind of empathy with her current strength.
P.S. Gulf of Alaska, originally sung by Fetal, lyrics by Fetal. The starry sky was dotted with stars, and the night breeze was pleasant.
On the mountain path, Gu Xingyi was dressed in simple clothes, climbing upwards at a calm pace.
Although his appearance was beyond haggard, his pair of eyes shone with a crystal bright light. In the past 2 days, he had donated all of his own possessions in this world to the various orphanages, and now he was without a single care in the world. Coming alone, going alone, this place didn't belong to him, his ties, in another world.
Finally climbed to the top of this hill, the light in Gu Xingyi's eyes became brighter and brighter. He looked into the starry sky, as if he saw the other side of the starry sky.
His footsteps, calm and firm, stepped forward. Just then, a voice rang in his ears, a voice that sounded like that convenience store lady's voice, and like the voice of the little girl with the lollipop.
Decided?
This voice was accompanied by the sound of the wind, and clearly entered his ears. Gu Xingyi smiled, incomparably happy. He nodded heavily as a response, his feet still moving forward. In front of him was a 10,000-foot cliff. He had already walked to the edge, but at that moment, he suddenly paused.
I can tell. Where is that scum? Go you!
Gu Xingyi didn't react and was kicked down by this sudden kick, but mixed with the wind, he clearly heard the voice coming from above.
It's all about scum.
Then surely there's no scum left. And, what kind of person curses himself like that? The whistling of the wind came from his ears, and at this moment, Gu Xingyi suddenly came to his senses. It turned out that both worlds were themselves.
It was just that the other consciousness of himself was a complete asshole.
Gu Xingyi laughed even more happily all of a sudden, and he fell like a meteor, and in the next second, there was darkness before his eyes.
Jiangqing People's Hospital.
Xia Shiyao rushed back in the dust. Even though it was nighttime, she didn't listen to Sister Yun and Tao Lele this time. She still came to the hospital. After singing that song, her mind was all about him. In this world, no one understands her except him. They are destined to be together. As the saying goes, the fate of marriage, heaven arranges the greatest well. Gu Xingyi's hospital room, Chen Feng is still guarding him. During this period of time, most of them are guarded by Xia Shiyao alone. When Xia Shiyao is not there, only Chen Feng can rightfully guard him. At this moment, Chen Feng, who had just finished watching the song sung by Xia Shiyao, couldn't hold back the tears that were welling up in his eyes. He held Gu Xingyi's hand again and began his ramblings.
Old Gu, listen to this. How sad sister-in-law is. How much longer are you going to fucking sleep?
However, in the next second, Chen Feng suddenly froze as he mechanically lowered his head and looked at the hand that was held in his own.
Just now he felt, this finger moved? Old Lao Gu, you're awake?
Chen Feng stuttered a little, staring tightly into Gu Xingyi's eyes. But Gu Xingyi still didn't open his eyes, and Chen Feng stared blankly at his face, recalling what all he had just said, before adding,
Old Gu, sister-in-law is sad. Are you fucking?
The fingers in his hand moved again. Chen Feng Miso stood up, surprised, and looked at Gu Xingyi, who was blinking his eyes on the hospital bed.
You crazy. If you don't want to die, just curse again for me.
The eyelids were heavy. Gu Xingyi took 1,000 efforts to open his eyes. His consciousness had just come back to him when he heard Chen Feng, the ratio, cursing himself crazily. Hearing this slightly hoarse voice, looking at Gu Xingyi's eyes open, Chen Feng was overjoyed. His mood was like drinking a bottle of ice curacao in the summer.
Doctor! Gu Xingyi woke up from my scolding.
Chen Feng did not have time to think, hurriedly pushed open the door and shouted for the doctor. The three silhouettes that had just walked into the hospital corridor steeply froze in place, with Xia Shiyao at the head of the group with her mouth slightly open, and tears already beginning to slip from her almond eyes. Chen Feng didn't see the doctor, but when he saw Xia Shiyao, the smile on his face grew even wider.
Sister-in-law, old Gu was woken up by my scolding.
Really? Tao Lele covered her small mouth, her face full of disbelief, and Sister Yun's nose was sore, almost shedding tears as well. Xia Shiyao had already stumbled to the door and looked inward, eyes crossed. What met her eyes was a pair of clear and clean eyes. Xia Shiyao opened her mouth but failed to utter a single word. Gu Xingyi had already forcefully propped up his body to sit on the bed at this moment. He looked at the figure leaning on the doorframe that was fading again, and grinned, his voice still a bit hoarse. I'm back. No one understood what Gu Xingyi's words meant, only Xia Shiyao instantly understood. She deflated her small mouth, tears falling in this moment, only in the depths of her eyes. That joyful color of being lost and found could no longer be hidden. In everyone's gaze, she flew into his embrace. "Gu dork." The voice was soft and helpless, sounding pitiful, and Gu Xingyi could only hold her softly in his arms, gently patting her back. A gu dork was worth 1,000 words. "Alright, don't cry, I'm back. Never going to disappear again." "What for? What are you doing?" "The patient just woke up and needs to be checked. Get out of the way." Unfortunately, the warmth of the two didn't last long. The doctor who had rushed in on the news forcibly peeled off the two of them, followed by a fierce operation like a tiger. After a checkup, the results, other than malnutrition due to blood loss, did not have any other symptoms. Gu Xingyi so inexplicably coma, and inexplicably woke up, will be the doctor dry confused, and finally can only put down a sentence, hospitalized for 2 more days of observation. Although Gu Xingyi knew he was fine and was unwilling to stay in the hospital, he still couldn't resist a group of people. In the end, he could only stay in the hospital for another day. Sister Yun, Tao Lele and Chen Feng left the hospital, leaving space for the young couple. It was just that when a few people left, Gu Xingyi could hear from the hospital room that Chen Feng was speechless outside as he bragged to the other two about how he had woken himself up by scolding him. It was late at night, and of course the netizens still didn't know that Gu Xingyi had woken up. They were still immersed in the song Gulf of Alaska. Without a doubt, Xia Shiyao became the first contestant to succeed in her challenge, and Xingyou Entertainment, too, managed to occupy a side of the ring. Just as quickly, Tianmei Entertainment reacted to this. Tianmei Entertainment's official roundup blog released a motion picture with the words below, "Everything that belongs to us, we will finally take it back." On the picture, rap's renowned crooner, Willie, was making a world-famous hand gesture and saying, "Singing, I may not be as good as you, but rapping, you're not as good as me." At first, Wei Wei was the existence of a song that temporarily hugged a pig's foot, which was on fire all over the internet, and even won the overall champion of the new rap of China. However, the netizens did not buy it at all, and once this Weibo came out, the internet was in an uproar of discussion. Not it? How can anyone dare to touch the porcelain? Is the voices rapping? Does the one upstairs understand rap? There are many styles of rap. I like wishy-washy, don't say no if you don't know it. You black people, did you guys listen to the song? If you have the ability to write a song yourself, write one yourself. Write one. Write one yourself. Write one yourself. Write one. Write one yourself. Ha ha ha. Upstairs. Just don't. Listen to you. Just don't listen to you. Just don't. Listen to you. I won't listen to you. I'm sure the comments section is full of ghostwriters. You guys are killing me with laughter. Congratulations, you're all rappers. Like who wouldn't? I'm always shitting. Without paper. Shitting without paper. Always poop. Without paper. I poop without paper. But I have to say, when Wei Wei went down, the pressure came to Star Yao Entertainment's side. The netizens talked, and the topic gradually skewed away. But everyone was still looking forward to it. After all, rapping this kind of belting song was still deeply loved by everyone. Only when netizens thought that Gu Xingyi was still in a deep sleep, they lost some interest again. They all felt that this time, Xingyou Entertainment is afraid of danger. People take rap to pick the ring. You can't take a love song to respond, right? It's not even in the same category, there's no comparison. Rap, easier to drive the audience's emotions, no matter how well Wei Wei sings. If Xingyou Entertainment does not defend the ring with rap, itself is a disadvantage. At that time, the online gossip will not be less. Regarding the online furor, Gu Xingyi, who had just woken up in the hospital, of course didn't know about it. Both of them didn't sleep, but across the bed, pouring out their hearts to each other. This accident undoubtedly made the two hearts even more close to each other. In the darkness, Xia Shiyao's eyes shone brightly, and she resumed her previous gentleness. Only in this gentleness, there was more of a strong light. Gu Xingyi sensed the change in her from her words, and in the darkened hospital room, the smile on his face was bright. It wasn't until the early hours of the morning that Gu Xingyi on the hospital bed and Xia Shiyao on the companion bed slowly fell asleep with peace of mind. Even though Xia Shiyao slept late, she habitually woke up just after dawn. During this period of time, she had always come this way, so much so that the first thing she did, she came to Gu Xingyi's bedside. Gu Xingyi on the bed was breathing calmly, sleeping quietly as in previous days. Xia Shiyao was a little flustered. She reached out her hand and gently stroked Gu Xingyi's face. It's early in the morning, stop it. A large hand grabbed her small hand. The warmth of her hand put her at ease again, and Gu Xingyi opened his dark eyes. Wife, I want to go home. But the doctor. I'm fine. My body I know. I miss Nai Nai. Gu Xingyi interrupted Xia Shiyao's words. He desperately wanted to go home now. The little one was definitely sad after not seeing him for so long. Hearing Gu Xingyi's words, Xia Shiyao was silent for a moment, and her attitude softened, but she still demanded for the doctor to come back to confirm his physical state before she did so. The doctor, still yawning, was quickly summoned over.
After a round of examination, the result was still just some malnutrition. As long as he went back to make up a little bit, he would be no different from a normal person. This result let Xia Shiyao finally put down her heart completely. Gu Xingyi was also discharged from the hospital as he wished. Facing the early morning light, Gu Xingyi pushed open the door of his long-lost home. Seeing all the familiar things in front of him, Gu Xingyi only felt his heart warming. With them there, this is his home. He carefully came to the bedroom, small Nai small body shrinking in the quilt, only round little face exposed outside. She did not know what dreamed, small mouth deflated, let Gu Xingyi heart a burst of heartache. Come to the front of the bed. Gu Xingyi bent down, with his cheek gently rubbed her face, and then forcefully kissed the mouth of the little one's face. The heart of the pain is considered to be a hint of comfort. Still sleeping little Nai was woken up by Gu Xingyi's movements. She opened her big misty eyes and looked blankly at Gu Xingyi, who was close at hand. In the next second, seeing the person in front of her, teardrops rolled down in the little one's eyes. She didn't make a sound, nor did she make any noise. She just looked at Gu Xingyi in front of her, quietly shedding tears. In an instant the sourness in Gu Xingyi's heart was like waves, gusts of it sweeping through his heart. Nai, it's Dad. Daddy's back. Gu Xingyi held back the sourness in his heart and leaned over to hold little Nai in his arms, and the tears couldn't stop falling. Xia Shiyao, who was leaning on the doorframe behind her, had already been sobbing uncontrollably. Little Nai still didn't say anything. She just wrapped her arms tightly around Gu Xingyi's neck and refused to let go anymore. Nai, look at Daddy. Daddy is right here. Gu Xingyi hugged the little one tightly, lifting her up to her level, gazing into her teary eyes, his voice warm, trying to soothe the fear in her heart. Daddy, Nai and Mommy are very good. Don't leave us again, okay? The little one finally spoke, crying accompanied by her tender voice. The words that came out caused Gu Xingyi's heart to contract, and he could only use his gentlest voice to promise her. It was Daddy who was wrong. Daddy promises you that he will never disappear again. Little Nai in Daddy's arms. You can cry out loud if you want to. Do whatever you want to do. Daddy will never, ever dislike little Nai. The little one's small hands were still gripping Gu Xingyi's lapel, and when she heard Gu Xingyi's gentle voice, she wiped the tears from her face and looked seriously at Gu Xingyi's warm face. In the next second, the crying could no longer be controlled, and she clutched Gu Xingyi's neck with both of her small hands and wailed. This was the most powerful time she cried, but also the most unrestrained, although Gu Xingyi's heart was even more heartbroken, but it was like a sigh of relief, like a weight off his shoulders. 100 flavors, complicated and difficult to name. He was not afraid of her crying again ferociously, he was only afraid of her that careful, quiet crying. Because sometimes, crying is the important ability to vent the emotions in the heart. If this ability is gone, then all these emotions are pressed in the heart, in the end will only make people collapse. Gu Xingyi tightened his arms around his daughter, gently rocked, gently coaxed, in the arms of the little Nai crying, and Gu Xingyi's soft voice gradually stopped, only her little face is still buried in his arms, rubbing hard on Gu Xingyi. For the first time, little Nai knew that crying in her father's arms was so reassuring. This was the kind of thing that her mom could never give her, a sense of security. Not long after, the little one was tired of crying and fell asleep in Gu Xingyi's arms, and just like that, she still wrapped her arms around Gu Xingyi's neck and didn't let go of her hands, choking back a sob every now and then. Gu Xingyi didn't put her down, still holding her, the little cotton jacket in his arms. He was not willing to put it down. So, Xia Shiyao gave little Nai a leave of absence. Today this way, the little one is definitely not willing to leave Gu Xingyi a step. The small home resumed its usual coziness, Xia Shiyao cooking, Gu Xingyi using a hot towel to gently wipe little Nai's small face that had already cried and blossomed. When little Nai woke up again, breakfast was already ready. Although it wasn't Dad's cooking, but today the little guy's appetite was especially good, rewarding his face by eating a lot more, sending Xia Shiyao's happy eyebrows flying. To know, this little guy, who was usually spoiled by Gu Xingyi, would often dislike her cooking. After eating, Gu Xingyi held little Nai aloft, and went out the door with Xia Shiyao. He had to make a trip to the company. After being in a coma for so long, now that he had woken up, he had to go to the company to show his face, and stabilize the people's hearts. Xia Shiyao had already talked to him about what was going on within the company. He was very relieved that during the time he was in a coma, not a single person had left the company, and everyone was sticking to their positions and obeying Xia Shiyao's arrangements. Especially Feng Xiaoxiao and Ishuihan. They had just joined the company and surprisingly managed to stick around as well, knowing that the contract Gu Xingyi gave them was not like other entertainment companies that bound their freedom. On the contrary, the contracts Gu Xingyi gave were all very free, the kind that could leave at any time. The three of them drove all the way to the company, and as soon as they entered, Li Wenjing immediately stood up with a celebratory smile on her face and shouted, "General Manager Gu, you're finally back." Gu Xingyi raised an eyebrow. This girl, seeing herself without a bit of surprise on her face, as if she already knew she had woken up. Came back. It's been tough lately. It's not hard at all. It's just that everyone has been worried about you. Li Wenjing was busy saying back,
her smile getting brighter and brighter.
Thank you. Gu Xingyi thanked her, carrying little Nai Nai and Xia Shiyao side by side as they walked inside.
Little Nai Nai was in Gu Xingyi's arms, a pair of big eyes curiously surveying the surroundings, the little one completely unaware that this company was named after her.
You guys don't know. At that time
I saw my sister-in-law crying that sadly on the TV. I had a heart of gold and slapped old Gu hard, scolding him as I did so, and guess what?
Hey!
I cursed, and Lao Gu's fingers suddenly moved.
I saw that there was something going on.
I tried cursing again, and to my surprise, Lao Gu's finger moved again.
Just like that. I directly scolded him.
Gu Xingyi, who was outside the door, had a head full of black lines at this time, and Xia Shiyao was beside him, covering her mouth and snickering.
Gu Xingyi finally knew why the big guys weren't surprised to see him. The original culprit was here. The next second, Gu Xingyi pushed the door and entered. There were quite a lot of people in the lounge. Basically all of them were there. Tao Luolu and Chang Di were opening their eyes wide and listening attentively. Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Shuihan were also full of unbelief and perked up their ears. Yang Lin's expression was light, but the smile on her face couldn't be covered up. Only Sister Yun was quite normal, holding a document in her hand, looking at it seriously. The moment they saw Gu Xingyi, everyone's eyes widened, and only Chen Feng, who was sitting on the sofa with his back to Gu Xingyi, was still gushing. Look at you guys with your unseen looks. He. This golden mouth of mine is enlightened. Even if a person is dead,
I'll still shout him to life.
Really? How come I didn't know you had this ability? There's a lot you don't know. What? Lao Gu, when did you get here? You're weak. Hurry up and sit down.
Hey! Chen Feng, who was still selling himself, was suddenly questioned and turned his head as he spoke. Then with a stunned face, a moment later, he decisively changed his face and was full of pandering.
Crazy man? When did you even learn to change your face? I think you've really succumbed in Staryo anime. Why don't you start a company?
If you specialize in performing the dancing god, with your face changing to go along with your golden tongue, we'll definitely make a lot of money in a year. Gu Xingyi hugged little Nai Nai and sat down obediently, glancing at Chen Feng, saying faintly,
Don't! That's not killing me. Old Gu, I was wrong. Where did I get a golden tongue?
Chen Feng immediately cried out, completely forgetting what he had just said. Making him give up on anime was even worse than killing him, and seeing that Gu Xingyi didn't pay the slightest bit of attention to himself, he decisively aimed at little Nai Nai again. Little Nai Nai, come and give Uncle a hug and help Uncle with a kind word.
Do you still remember Uncle bought you toys?
Looking at Chen Feng's open hand, little Nai Nai's big eyes blinked, then her little face decisively skimmed over, picking at Gu Xingyi's neck to stop looking at Chen Feng.
Right now, to the little guy, Mom's arms didn't even smell good anymore. Not to mention Chen Feng.
Seeing little Nai Nai in this state, the crowd laughed in unison.
Chen Feng was stunned. It only felt like for a moment, the world where only he was hurt reached. Alright, stop it, let's talk about work first, Mr. Gu, take a look. This is the latest response from Tianmei Entertainment.
Sister Yun smiled, interrupting the crowd's banter, handing the tablet in her hand to Gu Xingyi. Gu Xingyi sniffed and stopped poking fun at Chen Feng. He took the tablet and on it was Tianmei Entertainment's latest siege blog. Xia Shiyao had spoken to him about the recent situation, so Gu Xingyi knew a little bit about it, but when he saw what Tianmei had posted on the blog and what Wei Wei had said, he was instantly a little tense. He looked up at Sister Yun, his expression all a bit stunned.
This Wei Wei is the one who sang about temporarily hugging the pig's foot? Sister Yun nodded.
It's him, can't be taken lightly, he's still very popular. This was a bit of a crying shame to hear Gu Xingyi, a rapper. If we talk about popularity, it's not as wide as a second-tier artist's popularity. That is to say that rapping is different from other songs, and that's why it's a hole for this kind of person to drill, and when he first crossed over, he even spat on this song. Unexpectedly, this was right up there with him. Gu Xingyi gently tapped the screen with his fingers, and after pondering for a few moments, he raised his head and looked at the crowd surrounding him, his eyes lingering especially on Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Shuihan. Since we're up against Tianmei, we're still a bit short of people, and I've learned a bit in advance about China's strongest voice this time around, so we'll indeed be at a great disadvantage if they use a sea of people tactic. So, in a while I will find a few more people. As for the result I can't be sure. If the people really can't be found, then we can only trouble the few here to work harder. Also for this match, don't worry, Feng Xiaoxiao, Yi Shuihan, it's time for you two brothers to perform. Come with me to the office. Gu Xingyi said, stood up, and walked outside with the two generals, Feng, Yi. Everyone else was looking at each other in disbelief. They didn't know how strong Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Shuihan really were. They had thought that for this match, Gu Xingyi would go on by himself. After all, right now in the company, the manpower was indeed a little too small. For rap, Chang Di and Xia Shiyao really don't know much about it. Only Gu Xingyi is as stable as an old dog. He knows the strength of Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Shuihan, and he already has a song in mind. If the two sing this song, it's purely a descending blow to Wei Wei. No one knows what Gu Xingyi wrote for Feng Xiaoxiao and Ishuihan, but only knows that after they came back, they were holding the manuscript paper as if it was the most precious, and their faces were almost smiling. Ask you. Not waiting for a few people to ask, these two people have already run all the way, shut themselves into the recording studio, obviously is to intensify the time to practice the song to go.
China's Strongest Voice is broadcast live every Friday night at 8 p.m.
With a total of 8 episodes, taking a total of 2 months, and is considered to be one of the grandest programs before the Spring Festival. There was less than a week to go, so Feng Xiaoxiao and Ishuihan didn't dare to delay in the slightest. After they got the song, they knew that once the song was sung perfectly, it would surely become their hit song, bar none. Gu Xingyi didn't follow the two out. He was currently sitting in his office, making phone calls. The company's current pillars were still too few, and if they wanted to level the playing field with Tianmei Entertainment and other entertainment companies, they still needed to find some more people, and he already had someone in mind.
Not long after, when a few people saw Gu Xingyi walk out of the office, his face was already covered in smiles.
Everyone get ready, there are 3 heavyweights who are going to join our company tomorrow, so you all need to be in high spirits.
Make a good impression on them.
A few people glanced at each other, and Dorothy couldn't help but ask curiously,
"Oops, Mr. Gu, don't sell yourself short. Who is it?"
The reason why they called General Manager Gu was because Sister Yun and Tao Lele had discussed it before. In the future, the company would only have more and more employees. In the company, they had to be good role models, how to call them in private, but the attitude they should have at work should still be there. Of course, Xia Shiyao and Shen Feng were excluded. These two people, one was the boss's wife, one was the company's shareholder. Naturally they didn't need to be addressed in this way. Although several people were curious, Gu Xingyi kept it a secret with a smile. How meaningless it is to say it. You guys will know when I come tomorrow. It's also a surprise for you guys. Cut. Several people were dissatisfied with the cut. Their hearts were suddenly as hard as a cat's claw. Gu Xingyi smiled and didn't care about them, but said to Yang Lin again, "Minister Yang, you work hard again. The company is now entering the right track, operation and so on, should be recruited on recruitment. In addition to put out the news, Xingyou Entertainment from today onwards, the official recruitment of new singers. In these few days, I and Xia Shiyao personally interviewed. Whoever passes the interview, the songs and so on do not have to worry about." Hearing Gu Xingyi say this, Yang Lin's gaze was slightly austere. Gu Xingyi seemed to have changed a lot since he woke up this time. If the Gu Xingyi of the past was still a bit intimidated, then the Gu Xingyi of now was on fire, and the aura emanating from him was even more grandiose. He was ready to challenge the entire entertainment industry on his own. It was also that his own talent gave him the backbone to do so. Good. I'll register the company's official blog, in addition to expanding the publicity on various software. Yang Lin nodded her head and answered. Things were almost finished. A few people chatted for a while. Yang Zhenlin took the lead to leave. In the early stage of the company, she was the personnel minister who was the most busy. Not long after Yang Zhenlin left, 2 messages appeared on the internet successively, making netizens instantly excited again. Just last night, netizens were still worried about whether Xingyou Entertainment would be able to take on Weige's challenge. But just one night later, the situation instantly reversed in 2 levels. The first day's news was undoubtedly that Gu Xingyi had awakened and was discharged from the hospital. A paparazzo took a picture of Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao walking out of the hospital together, and in the picture, both of them had no problems other than their faces being a bit pale. As soon as this one piece of information came out, netizens were instantly unsettled, and in less than a few hours, Gu Xingyi's name appeared on the hot searches once again. Under these hot searches, the netizens' comments were also lively, and one after another, they were scrambling to discuss. Holy shit! Woke up? Really? I read less. Don't lie to me. Didn't he say he was in a deep coma? This photo doesn't look like anything's wrong. Gu Xingyi is a big pig's hoof. She was so worried about him, she even shed a few tears for him, and she didn't even know to report to us when she woke up. Crocodile tears? Ha 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 ha. It's good to wake up. It's good to be awake. I want to know if Willow is panicking now. Willie, I'm not panicking at all. I'll hold the pig's foot temporarily. Gu Xingyi, I heard you're the only one called Wei Shi? Gu Xingyi's red eye special effects picture. One by one, when the entertainment companies saw the hot searches, their hearts were immediately bitter. Okay. As soon as this guy came back, the hot searches were almost taken up. For a while, they were reminded of the fear of being dominated by this guy. Even Lu Gao, when he knew that Gu Xingyi woke up, he couldn't help but feel a little panicked in his heart, and for this reason, he specifically asked Wei Wei if he was sure. But Wei Wei swore that there is no problem. Wrapping this piece he has not served anyone. But Lu Gao heart or not bottom, after all, before Lu Ying are defeated, that is the former diva. But now that the words have been put out, Lu Gao can only hope that Gu Xingyi will not write a rap track. The second topic that got netizens talking was that Xingyou Entertainment had officially started recruiting singers. And they broke the mold. As long as you have the ability,
As long as you have the confidence, Xingyao Entertainment will not reject anyone Gu Xingyi and Xiao Shiyao personally interviewed. Once you pass the interview, the treatment is also extremely excellent. They were even able to obtain a song written by Gu Xingyi himself. If Gu Xingyi's awakening only shocked netizens and other entertainment companies, this news was undoubtedly an earthquake for the entertainment industry. It was foreseeable that once Xingyao Entertainment succeeded, the paradigm of the entertainment industry would be rewritten. A new era had also arrived completely.
The tall door wall in the past was no longer there. Anyone with strength would be reused to the point of rapid fame, which gave those truly powerful singers at the bottom with those newcomers a greater chance.
But for the capital, Star Yao Entertainment is challenging their bottom line.
In the past, the model of entertainment companies, in addition to capital and human relations, there are also unspoken rules, and very few singers with real strength can become famous. But once this news of Xingyao Entertainment came out, it undoubtedly gave many people hope, and their basic interests were shaken. In the future, those who had some strength would apply for jobs at Star Yao Entertainment, who would still come to their company. This time, all the companies couldn't sit still. They started contacting each other and exchanging opinions, and finally their gazes were unified towards the three giants.
Soundsea Entertainment didn't make any movements, as if they were dead.
Tianmei Entertainment and Shengshi Entertainment made a rare joint release that they would form an offensive and defensive alliance to bust Gu Xingyi's myth of being undefeated on the strongest voice in China and boycott Xingyao Entertainment in every field. At the same time, Tianmei Entertainment and Shengshi Entertainment also invited all the companies in the entire entertainment circle to impose sanctions on Xingyao Entertainment, and the first step of the sanctions was to start with the strongest voice in China.
If the previous 3-day carnival extravaganza was just a small fight between Gu Xingyao and Tianmei Entertainment, then from here on out, it would be an all-out war between him and the entire entertainment industry. Ma Dong, you've gone too far. In the Shengshi Entertainment building, Miao Anquan's small mouth was pursed up tightly, her face ugly.
Not far in front of her, behind the desk, Ma Liang slowly sipped his tea, a smug smile carried in his triangular eyes.
Miao Anquan, what's your attitude? Is this the tone of voice you use to talk to the company's leader? That announcement I've already followed. Why did you dismiss it for me and give it to someone else?
I was the one who negotiated it first. Miao Anjuan clenched her fists, not even realizing that her nails were embedded in her flesh. She had clearly worked very hard, and after she was busy with this signing concert again, she would be able to save up enough money to pay for the breach of contract. But at this exact moment, the company cancelled her signing concert and gave this event to someone else instead. She looked for her manager to ask, but her manager also had a difficult face before finally whispering to her that she had offended someone. The one who put all her activities on hold was none other than the tea-sipping Ma Liang in front of her.
In the face of Miao Anhian's questioning, Ma Liang laughed unhurriedly and then said, P&E. This is where you're wrong. The company has company arrangements, you just need to obey them. Of course, if you're willing to accompany me to a reception at night, tomorrow at the latest, I'll arrange a new activity for you. How about it? Think about it?
As he spoke, Ma Liang put down the teacup in his hand, and his triangular eyes narrowed obediently as he surveyed Miao Anjuan in front of him with a smile on his face. Ever since Gu Xingyi came out of the music scene, the situation of singers in Shengshi Entertainment, which was not focused on the music scene, had become even more difficult, and during this period of time, he had tasted a lot of sweetness. Those singers for the sake of money, which is not obedient. It's this Miao Anquan, deadbeat, and on the other hand, the person looks so beautiful, so that Ma Liang has been itching in his heart. Dream on. Even if I die, I won't let you have your way. Miao Anjuan stared angrily at Ma Liang, the anger and sorrow in her heart reaching even more extreme. She had only slapped him last time, but she didn't think that he still wouldn't die, and now he was even using such underhanded tactics. Ha! Then please leave this place, and I can assure you that all the company's activities afterward will have nothing to do with you. Even if you die, you'll also have to die in the company. Ma Liang didn't panic in the slightest. He knew that Miao Anjuan was just an ordinary family, and couldn't afford to compensate for the breach of contract. He didn't believe that a small singer could still turn over the sky. Boom! Right at this moment, the office door was suddenly pushed open again. You're such a sneaky little man. You're also worthy of coveting my sister Rhyme. I'll be damned. Sister Rhyme, let's go. Ma Liang looked dazedly at the little girl who barged in. He knew that this was Miao Anjuan's little assistant, but he just didn't expect that this little assistant was so brave. Do you know who you're talking to? Ma Liang's face was instantly ugly. He had been in the company for so many years. No one had dared to talk to him like this. It was really a long time to live. Just talking to you. Garlic nose. Triangular eyes. Not a good person at all. Miao Anjuan was also a bit dumbfounded. This was the first time she had seen Yu Ranran look like this. To be honest, it's still a bit valiant. Good. I see you don't want to mix anymore, right? Ma Liang couldn't help but laugh in anger. A little assistant also dared to be so rampant.
I'm just a little assistant. You have the ability to fire me. Besides, this is not the place to stay. There's a place for you to stay. You know Gu Xingyi, right? Let's go to him. Gu Xingyi? Hearing Gu Xingyi's name, not only Miao Anquan froze, even Ma Liang froze. Ma Liang froze because, Gu Xingyi he didn't just know, the company didn't even have a few meetings because of him, but a moment later he burst out laughing again. You a small assistant, plus a third-line starlet? Gu Xingyi can stand up for you guys? Don't want you to care. Sister Peony, go! Without waiting for Miao Anjuan to react, Yuranran aggressively pulled Miao Anjuan and slammed the door, leaving Ma Liang alone to stare dryly at the tea on the table that had been shaken and spilled. This little thing, too much of an ungrateful person. After leaving the door of Ma Liang's office, Miao Anjuan was still a bit dumbfounded, and she didn't react until she was pulled out of the door by Yuranran. Ran. You. She actually was just pretending to be strong. She was just a little girl, facing this situation. Just like that was already her greatest courage. She didn't expect that this little assistant of hers, who usually didn't show her face, was so powerful. Sister Peony, don't be sad, I really can't listen to it outside. That beast. Talking too much. No. I'm not sad. Ran. You're too valiant. Miao Anjuan held Yuranran's hand and said busily, she had been handsome by Yuranran's appearance. Ha. Handsome? He. Yuranran he laughed. She just also borrowed that a gas, now the gas is gone, the heart is still a little scared it. Miao Anjuan hummed 2 times, and then a little lost. It's just that this will make it impossible for you to stay in the company in the future. They'll definitely put shoes on you. Fear not. Sister Peony. I didn't just say that casually. You see, who I contacted. As she spoke, Yuranran handed Miao Anjuan's cell phone to her eyes, her face glowing. I just saw that Star Yao Entertainment is recruiting Hey. And they're clearly going against all the other companies in the entertainment industry. So I used your cell phone to contact Xia Shiyao. Hey. She agreed to help you pay for the breach of contract. Xia Shiyao? Miao Anjuan froze for a moment. That gentle as water woman couldn't help but appear in her mind. Then she took her cell phone, and on it was indeed the chat interface between her and Xia Shiyao. Since the last Star Song exchange, after she and Xia Shiyao added friends, the two of them hadn't actually chatted much, just the usual occasional song things would be explored. But now, the chat on it was obviously more. It was Yuranran who contacted Xia Shiyao with her cell phone, and over there, surprisingly, she also agreed to Yuranran's request with alacrity. She really didn't expect that in the end, it would be Xia Shiyao, who only had a few encounters, who helped herself. Sister Peony, Star Yao Entertainment is in need of people right now, and you need the company, isn't it just right? And I'm sure that with your strength, you'll definitely be able to help Star Yao Entertainment earn back this liquidated damages very soon. So you don't have to hesitate anymore. Yuranran saw that Miao Anquan didn't react, and thought that she was a bit concerned, so she hurriedly persuaded her. Miao Anquan raised her eyes, her expression a little complicated. I'm not hesitating, I'm just a little emotional. The people who fought for the championship together in the beginning, I didn't expect that. Nowadays, they would be my nobles. No matter if I can help them earn back the breach of contract money or not, they helped me first, then we have to take this love. Hey who let people find a good husband? But I believe the husband that Sister Peony will find in the future won't be bad either. Who's looking for a husband? Sister Peony, why are you still shy? As the clouds parted, the two of them couldn't help but jostle again, and Miao Anjuan was given a big red face by Yuranran's words. Only her heart couldn't help but think, is there really a better husband than Gu Xingyi? Going to Shangshi Entertainment tomorrow? Well, tomorrow morning after dropping Nai off at the kindergarten, we'll go straight away. It's better to go sooner rather than later for this kind of thing. I'll go with you. Good. Jiangcheng, a family of 3 is eating lunch. Xia Shiyao is still chatting with Gu Xingyi about tomorrow's arrangement. In fact, this kind of thing is very simple in Gu Xingyi's view. Breach of contract. Pay the money to lead the person is good. Xia Shiyao heart also some sighs. Before Miao Anquan WeChat and she said, she still some do not believe. Star Song Wii on the performance of Miao Anquan she remembered clearly, did not expect such a good singer will be hidden. It can only be said that the current capital is too outrageous. After eating, Gu Xingyi nestled on the sofa, looking at little Nai who was playing with toys in front of her, suddenly touched her little head and asked, Nai, do you want to have your own little bedroom? Little Nai raised her head in confusion and looked at Gu Xingyi, who hurriedly added, Little Nai is now a little adult. Daddy will prepare a separate little bedroom for you, sleep on your own, okay? The little one understood this time. She immediately dropped the toys in her hands and hugged Gu Xingyi's arm, her little nose wrinkled. Don't! Nai wants to sleep with mommy and daddy. But Nai has grown up, she should have her own little room, otherwise the other kindergarten kids will laugh at Nai if they know that Nai is still sleeping with her mom and dad. Especially that Fang Xiao, he'll definitely laugh at little Nai Nai for being a little kid who can't grow up. Gu Xingyi scraped little Nai Nai's nose, patiently persuaded, even moved out of little Nai Nai's most hated that little fat, can be said to be well-intentioned. Sure enough, once little Nai Nai heard that she would be ridiculed, even her little eyebrows were tightly wrinkled, and her face was even more of a difficult look. Seeing this, Gu Xingyi hurried to capitalize on the situation. The little bedroom is very pretty. Nai Nai will definitely like it. And Mom and Dad's room is right next to it, it's very close. Little Nai Nai deflated her little mouth and finally agreed. Okay, but then Daddy still has to tell me stories every night. Mommy and Daddy will definitely put the little baby to sleep. Let's pull the hook. Seeing Nai Nai agree, Gu Xingyi's heart was delighted, and he busily performed the pulling the hook ceremony with the little one. It was true that his own little cotton-padded jacket knew best. He had read on the internet that many small children needed to be coaxed for quite a while before they would live on their own. After making an agreement with little Nai Nai, Gu Xingyi happily shouted at Xia Shiyao, who was still cleaning up in the kitchen. Wife, there's nothing to do in the afternoon, let's move just in time, there's not much to bring, it's basically all complete over there. Xia Shiyao, who had been listening to Gu Xingyi coaxing Nai Nai outside in the kitchen, had her pretty face slightly reddened until she heard Gu Xingyi call out to her. She then lowered her head and whispered back. Good. The family cleaned up for a while, none of the furniture here needed to be moved, it was all there in the new house, they just needed to bring their daily necessities and little Nai Nai's toys with them. 2 hours later, the family was all packed up and the big bags were moved to the car, heading towards their new home. Soon the family arrived at the neighborhood where the new home is located, New City Garden. The car drove all the way into the underground parking lot and parked. Gu Xingyi was the first to get out of the car to take the luggage. Xia Shiyao brought Nai Nai, the three people, directly into the elevator. Little Nai Nai was here for the first time, she blinked her big eyes full of curiosity. In a short while, arrived at the 18th floor, Xia Shiyao led little Nai Nai out of the elevator first. Gu Xingyi took the luggage and followed behind, came to the door, Xia Shiyao input the password that had been changed, the room door opened. Entering the entrance hall, the two changed into slippers. Xia Shiyao also changed her pretty little pink slippers for little Nai Nai, before leading the little one into the living room. Into the eyes of the wide and bright large living room let the little one's eyes unconsciously wide open. Every single thing in the new home in front of her, for her, undoubtedly is the existence of novelty. Nai Nai, this is our new little home. Gu Xingyi put down the luggage in his hands, and together with Xia Shiyao, he led the still somewhat restrained little Nai Nai inside. Nai Nai, Mom and Dad will take you to your little bedroom to take a look. Little Nai Nai's face was full of good behavior as she followed Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao inside. Just arrived at a strange place, she was still a bit scared, until Gu Xingyi gently opened the little one's bedroom door. Her eyes instantly brightened up. What was reflected into little Nai Nai's eyes was a light pink world. The entire floor, covered with plush carpeting, was decorated with images of various cartoon characters. Heart-shaped little princess bed in the center, the princess bed next to a small pink cartoon sofa. The other side is a small bedside table, placed above the night light. Little Nai Nai has never seen such a good-looking bedroom. This is like a fairy tale told by Dad. The little princess's room. Gu Xingyi picked up little Nai Nai and carefully placed her on her cot, and all of a sudden the soft bed sank down a little. When they first chose this house, the most important thing was that both of them had their eyes on this little bedroom, and they could tell that little Nai Nai really liked it. Her eyes were all bright and shiny. Gu Xingyi dotingly rubbed little Nai Nai's head. Nai Nai, like this little bedroom? Little Nai Nai's palms gently pressed the soft crib beneath her buttocks, and her large eyes suddenly curved into crescent moons. Daddy, is this Nai Nai's little bedroom? Aha! Gu Xingyi smiled and hummed. Nai Nai loves it. Receiving Gu Xingyi's affirmative answer, a radiant smile blossomed on little Nai Nai's face as she lay down on the soft cot and rolled from side to side, seemingly wanting to let this little room that belonged to her color her scent. At this moment, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao both smiled happily. The little one liked it, more important than anything else. The family made their first dinner in their new home amidst laughter. When it was time for the little one to go to bed, as usual, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao accompanied her by her side. Still Gu Xingyi told a fairy tale, and little Nai Nai fell asleep beautifully in the story. Only after confirming that the little one was completely asleep did the two of them gently turn off the lights and leave the small bedroom. Back in the master bedroom, only the two were left alone, and the atmosphere became a little tense all of a sudden. I'm going to take a shower first. It was Gu Xingyi who broke the atmosphere as he took a deep breath and hastily fled to the bathroom. This made Xia Shiyao behind her unable to stop herself from laughing. She sat on the bed, turned the table lamp on, and turned off the chandelier in the master bedroom. Under the warm orange light of the table lamp, one of her pretty face was already pink. When Gu Xingyi came out of the bathroom, he saw Xia Shiyao with her head lowered, holding her pajamas in her arms, and without even looking at him, she hurriedly swept past him and into the bathroom. The sound of water in the bathroom resounded again, appearing especially clear in the quiet room. Gu Xingyi rolled over and sat on the bed, only feeling that his heartbeat tonight was unusually strong and thumping. Tonight, there was no little Nai Nai. When Xiao Shiryao came out of the bathroom, her head was still lowered, and Gu Xingyi, who heard the door open, looked over and could no longer move his gaze. She was wearing a very thin nightgown, and under the light, she could vaguely see the white petite body inside the nightgown. Xiao Shiryao's pretty face was even more red, even her earlobes were flushed, but she still walked directly to the side of the bed where Gu Xingyi was and sat down, her small hands unnaturally pinching the corners of her clothes. Hubby. This husband came unexpectedly, causing Gu Xingyi's heartbeat to stop, and he raised his eyes to look at her pretty face, not responding immediately. Only then did Xiao Shiryao raise her head and meet Gu Xingyi's eyes. The freshly bathed her body still carried a faint fragrance, her reddish little face was even more moist, and the flavor in those almond eyes was even more unusually seductive, causing Gu Xingyi's breathing to become a little ragged. Wife, I can't help it if you're like this. Xiao Shiryao still looked at him, and a moment later, her eyebrows suddenly arched and a smile surfaced on her face. It wasn't until after this time that I realized that love has to be timely. I'm ready, just, your body? Gu Xingyi didn't answer, but directly reached out and wrapped his arms around her neck, pulling her into his embrace, proving with practical actions that there was nothing wrong with his body at all. Feeling the soft lips and hot body again, Gu Xingyi couldn't hold back any longer, and his hands couldn't help but wander over her back and caress her gently. The two of them tumbled onto the bed, and in the end, Gu Xingyi gained the upper hand and pressed her underneath. Turn off the light. Taking advantage of the time to change her breath, Xiao Shiryao's peachy red face flashed with a touch of shyness as she used her hand with difficulty to resist Gu Xingyi, who was about to lower his head to kiss her again, and said softly. The next second, snapped. The table lamp was turned off and the room was plunged into darkness. In the darkness, the pajamas on the two men gradually faded away until they were honest. It wasn't long before the newly purchased bed was overwhelmed and shifted. The next moment soft whispers rang out, like sobs, intertwined with Gu Xingyi's rough breathing, like a pleasant symphony in the dark night. A night of pleasure, spring light is infinite. The next morning, Gu Xingyi got up very difficult. He admitted that last night he did a little bit of pretending. The body is really some cannot eat but he had to get up because he still had to send little Nai Nai to school. Xiao Shiryao was still sleeping peacefully next to him. Gu Xingyi carefully and gently stamped on her lips, and couldn't help but touch the softness of the piece, before tiptoeing away. Although the body couldn't eat, the hands were honest. Hurriedly making breakfast, little Nai Nai had already woken up and was lying on her cot, crossing her little feet and studying the cartoon bear on her pillow. Hearing Gu Xingyi knocking on the door, little Nai Nai stretched out his two short hands, letting his father hug him. Gu Xingyi, instantly gratified to the extreme, really is the home of the little cotton jacket good. The first time to sleep on their own, woke up in the morning, did not cry. After breakfast, Gu Xingyi sent little Nai Nai to kindergarten, and when he came back, Xiao Shiryao was still asleep. It seems that not only himself, Xiao Shiryao was equally tired last night. Gu Xingyi thought about it, and then went back under the covers, sitting on the bed and flipping through the blog. Xiao Shiryao on the bed seemed to be woken up by his movements. Her eyes were still closed, but her soft body wrapped around him, her hands wrapped around his waist. Gu Xingyi smiled softly and reached out to hold her hand, and he saw that her pretty face was starting to blush again. Awake? Xiao Shiryao responded with her small face buried in Gu Xingyi's waist. His wife. Gu Xingyi's smile, however, froze and his breathing went haywire as her small hands had already burrowed into his clothes, groping at the small of his back. Xiao Shiryao's small face buried deeper, even her earlobes were crystal red. Young life Even if Gu Xingyi's body couldn't take it anymore, he couldn't help it. Which cadre could resist such temptation, or early in the morning? The next moment, Gu Xingyi once again into the quilt, a cloud rain once again staged, until an hour later, the two people to stop. Gu Xingyi exhausted lying on the bed, only to feel that the body was emptied, no strength at all. After slowing down for a while, Gu Xingyi softly inquired. Getting up? Good. Xiao Shiryao, who was still nestled in the quilt, muffled her assent. Taking a shower, eating breakfast, it wasn't until 10 o'clock that the two of them walked out of the house and drove in the direction of Shengshi Entertainment. Fortunately, they hadn't forgotten that they were going to Shengshi Entertainment to ask for someone today. Time passed quickly, 3 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Shengshi Entertainment Building, inside the lobby on the first floor, Miao Anjuan and Yu Ranran had long been waiting in the company. Unlike Miao Anjuan's peace and quiet, Yu Ranran looked at the time on her cell phone from time to time. Ranran, since they said they will come, they will definitely come, there's no need to rush. Sister Peony, aren't you going to send a message to Xiao Shiryao to ask? It's already 1 o'clock. How could Yu Ranran not be anxious? The hope of the whole village was on Gu Xingyi and Xiao Shiryao. If they really didn't come, then she and Miao Anjuan would be finished. The two waited anxiously, not waiting for Gu Xingyi and Xiao Shiryao, but waiting for an unexpected guest. Phew! Isn't this Miao Anjuan? What? Coming to the company at this hour? Is there an event?
The visitor was wearing a pair of toadstools, looking at Miao Ankuan in front of her, her pointed chin raised high, this picture of a superior stance, and this plastic surgery face made Yu Ranran unable to stop flooding with nausea.
Miao Anjuan just faintly looked at the visitor, then ignored.
This woman has always been her competitor. Yesterday's signing event was also snatched away by her. Miao Ankuan didn't even need to think about it, she knew why she was able to get this event. For this kind of person, she really didn't even want to care. However, Yu Ranran was not used to her at all and directly disliked her.
Is the company your home? We can come whenever we want. What do you care?
Humph, dead ducks with a stiff upper lip, there will be a time for you to watch. To say who in the entire company was most willing to see Miao Anjuan fall, it would definitely be this toadstool woman, Jia. She raised the corners of her mouth in a leisurely manner. With her old rival's downfall, Shengshi Entertainment's already scarce music resources would definitely be tilted in her favor.
Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao, what are they doing here? I don't know. Did the company cooperate with them?
At this moment, a sudden murmur came from the hall, causing everyone in the hall to unconsciously look in the direction of the doorway, only to see the direction of the door, dressed in a formal dress Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao with a smile on their faces, walking slowly towards the hall. This pair of couples appeared, as if the entire hall everyone lost a few points of color. Not afraid of the goods, afraid of the people than the people, these two people walking side by side, simply too dazzling. Seeing the two walking straight towards their direction, Jia's footsteps unconsciously took a step back. However, she didn't expect the two to stand right in front of her. Then Xia Shiyao let go of Gu Xingyi's hand and smiled as she greeted Miao Anjuan.
Peony, we're here.
Xia Shiyao's words caused a commotion at the scene. No one expected that Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao had come to look for Miao Anjuan. Recently, they had more or less heard about what happened to Miao Anjuan. Next to Yu Ranran's eyes were even more glowing. The current Xia Shiyao was like an angel descending in her eyes. She immediately declared in her heart that apart from Sister Peony, Xia Shiyao was her second favorite person.
Alright, let's get down to business first.
Seeing that these three women in front of her were about to nag, Gu Xingyi hurriedly said, and then walked towards the front of the hall right in front of the front desk.
Xia Shiyao nodded and followed behind with Miao Anjuan and Yu Ranran.
Miao Anjuan's heart was very unsettled at the moment, although she had always believed that Xia Shiyao would definitely come since she said she would, but when the two of them actually appeared in front of her, she inexplicably wanted to cry. She who had never cried even after encountering any major setbacks was really touched by Xia Shiyao, a person she had only met a few times. Shengshi Entertainment front desk lady had long seen Gu Xingyi several people, after all, so many people on the scene, at the moment all stopped to watch. When Gu Xingyi to the front desk, she had already notified the company executives.
Mr. Gu,
please wait for a moment, the company management will be here soon.
Good. Gu Xingyi smiled, this receptionist was quite good at her job.
Not long after, the Shengshi Entertainment elevator hurriedly came out two people, only these two people. One of them just showed up when next to Yu Ranran bared her teeth. The two people who came did not have a good face when they saw Gu Xingyi, and one of them sneered at Gu Xingyi and asked,
"Isn't this the famous Xingyao from the internet? I wonder what you're doing here in our Shengshi." Gu Xingyi glanced askance at the person who had spoken and didn't say anything. This stance made the other man a bit irritated, and he continued with a gloomy face. "Gu Xingyi, what exactly are you doing here? If you don't tell us, we're going to have to call security to ask you out." Gu Xingyi swept a glance at the two men, then turned his head to look at Yu Ranran behind him. Who are these two people? With such a strong aura, those who don't know would think that they are the chairman of Shengshi. Yu Ranran snickered a bit and immediately introduced them in a conspiratorial manner. The one who spoke first is the general manager of the company's operations department, Mr. Liu, and this garlic nose behind him is a board member who just eats and doesn't work, Ma Liang. Yu Ranran's words made Gu Xingyi understand a little. It was obvious that Yu Ranran's attitude towards both of them was completely different. This one called Ma Liang was probably not a good commodity. Mr. Liu and Ma Liang, right? Is this your company's hospitality? Where is Tian Xingqi? Let him come out and talk.
Gu Xingyi was the chairman of Star Yao Entertainment anyways, and to say qualifications, these two really didn't carry much weight in front of him. Who knew that as soon as Gu Xingyi's words left his mouth, Ma Liang's face became even more ugly.
Just you are worthy of conversing with our Tiandong? Security! Security!
After one sentence, Ma Liang directly yelled for security, and the security guards at the entrance rushed here in response. Gu Xingyi raised his eyebrows. He didn't realize that Shengshi Entertainment still had this kind of douchebag. If he really kicked him out today, that would be a big knot. A company opening its doors for business. The chairman of another company personally came, but was actually driven out by the subordinate management. Then these two companies really don't have any interests to talk about.
Wait, Shama, this is where you're wrong. People Gudong personally came to the door. How can you drive them out? You're not afraid of being laughed at when you say it.
Just as the security guards swarmed around, at the elevator, a voice came once again. Everyone looked up, after which the people from Shangshi Entertainment all shouted,
Tiandong.
Gu Xingyi also looked along, only to see that the person coming was a man with green bean eyes and gold-framed round glasses. Gu Xingyi had seen his picture on the internet. It was the chairman of Shangshi Entertainment, Tian Xingqi. Gudong, the following people are not treating our guests well, you have more patience. I just don't know, what is it that you have come to my small company for? Tian Xingqi laughed, walked to the front of the crowd, and asked Gu Xingyi directly.
Only then did Gu Xingyi return a smile.
Tiandong is joking. If Shangshi is a small company, then Xingyao Entertainment is not. Even Sesame cannot be counted. This time to come, of course, is here to send money to Tiandong. Just such a good thing. But there are people who still want to block. I really never thought.
Shingshi's hospitality, it really needs to be improved.
The two of them fought wit. Tian Xingqi, this was the first time he had met Gu Xingyi. He looked at the youngster in front of him who was only in his 20s, but he didn't dare to underestimate him at all. Someone who could fight against the entire entertainment circle with his own strength. Whoever dared to underestimate him would only lose even more.
Sending money? There's such a good thing? I wonder what kind of money Gudong came to send.
Tian Xingqi held up the gold-framed round eyes on the bridge of his nose, and his sight turned to Miao Ankuan beside Xia Shiyao. For Miao Ankuan's matter, he naturally knows, just a small singer, he also turned a blind eye, so he indulged Ma Liang to act recklessly.
Just did not expect, a small singer, actually can invite Gu Xingyi, such a big Buddha. Tiandong, this doesn't seem to be the place to talk either. We might as well sit down and talk again?
Good. Look at this brain of mine, I'm getting older, and I've forgotten about etiquette for a while. Let's go, let's talk in detail in the conference room. After saying that, Tian Xingqi then with a smile on his face led Gu Xingyi several people together towards the elevator. Gu Xingyi had the same smile on his face. The two of them just talked and laughed like this. Those who didn't know would think that these two people were close friends who hadn't seen each other for many years. When they arrived in the conference room, all of them took their seats. Tian Xingqi opened his mouth again this time. Well, Gudong this time can say it. What's the good business? Still worth Gudong's special trip. It's a coincidence. My wife Xia Shiyao happens to be a close friend with your company's employee Miao Ankuan. This is not. I heard that Miao Ankuan is not doing too well here. My wife can't sleep at night, so I'm here this time to take Miao Ankuan away. How much is the liquidated damages? I'll pay it all. How's that? Such a good thing, I'm sure Tiandong won't refuse. With these words, the conference room was a bit dumbfounded. Xia Shiyao's face was slightly red, Miao Ankuan slightly opened her small mouth, and Yu Ran snickered.
What kind of reason was this? Ma Liang and Mr.
Lu only felt that he was pretending to be more than he was, yet there was no evidence. Tian Xingqi's heart was even more cursing. He felt that Gu Xingyi, this cub seed, was bullying him for being uneducated. That's why he spoke in a literal manner, with thorns in his softness, making him extremely uncomfortable to listen to.
Gudong, just based on your words, you want to take someone away? Isn't that a bit too much?
Tian Xingqi put away his smile, his green bean eyes staring tightly at Gu Xingyi.
Dong Tian, isn't this a good thing for both sides?
You get the money, I'll bring the people, and it counts as a unilateral breach of contract on our part. How much of the breach of contract we pay as usual? It seems like there's no loss for you.
Gu Xingyi's expression was light, and he locked eyes with Tian Xingqi without the slightest fear.
Since Gudong has come to the door to ask for someone, then I have to give face. Just the liquidated damages, $20 million. Gudong must think about it. A third-line small singer, is it worth this price? A moment later, Tian Xingqi laughed again. He said with a slight flirtation. The atmosphere in the conference room was once again harmonious. Hearing this, Miao Anjuan glanced at Gu Xingyi, and then stared at Tian Xingqi dead in the face.
Yeah, $20 million ah.
Ridiculous. She had earned more than $20 million for Shangshi. In the end, she herself couldn't even come up with $20 million in liquidated damages. And to be insulted by the person who sucked her blood here.
I don't want to trouble you, Mr. Tian.
I think in the future, Miao Ankuan herself will prove to Tiandong that today's vision really does not work.
Tiandong, take out the contract.
Gu Xingyi stared at Tian Xingqi and said slowly, the aura on him causing Tian Xingqi's already small green eyes to narrow.
Good. Since Donggu is so confident, it would be unreasonable for me to excuse myself any further. As Tian Xingqi spoke, he ordered his secretary to fetch Miao Ankuan's contract. Tiandong, we can't.
Shut up. Ma Liang, who was sitting beside Tian Xingqi, was a bit anxious when he saw that the chairman's secretary had already gone to fetch the contract. He was just about to open his mouth to persuade Tian Xingqi, but he was roared back by Tian Xingqi with a furious face. Seeing that Tian Xingqi was really angry, Ma Liang hurriedly shrunk his head. Gu Xingyi on the side, however, leisurely watched the scene and smiled before speaking again. Tiandong, for you, I still respect you, it's just that the directors of your company are really disappointing. Tian Xingqi narrowed his green bean eyes and lightly glanced at Gu Xingyi. The smile on his face was gone at the moment. I won't bother Gudong with the internal affairs of our company. Gu Xingyi shrugged his shoulders, still smiling. In a short while, the secretary fetched the contract and put it in front of Tian Xingqi, who scanned the contract with his head down, then raised his head again and said to Gu Xingyi,
"Well, the contract is here, you glance over it? Tiandong does things, I still believe in it. Wife, hit the money."
Gu Xingyi crossed his fingers together and didn't go through the contract. Miao Ankuan unilaterally wants to leave, she only needs to pay to tear up the contract, she can leave at any time. This point, even Shengshi Entertainment wouldn't dare to play any tricks. And Shengshi Entertainment will not play tricks, because they simply will not lose, they purely belong to the empty glove White Wolf. Xia Shiyao took out her cell phone, and after operating it for a bit, she nodded to Gu Xingyi.
Not long after, a person from the finance department came in outside and whispered in Tian Xingqi's ear.
"Tiandong, our public account received money from Star Yao Entertainment, no more, no less, exactly $20 million. Hearing this, Tian Xingqi's small eyes narrowed even more, leaving only 2 dots on his face as he pushed the contract on the table towards Gu Xingyi.
"Good. The contract is for you, take a look."
Only then did Gu Xingyi take the contract and move it to Miao Anjuan again. "Take a look to see if it's your copy of the contract." Miao Anjuan bit her lip and glanced at Gu Xingyi, her eyes already a little moist.
"Take a quick look, we'll go back when it's done."
Xia Shiyao gently patted her arm and said softly, only then did Miao Anjuan nod her head and took the contract and flipped it over, then said in a small voice,
"It's my contract." "That's good."
Gu Xingyi nodded, then looked at Tian Xingqi again.
"After one thing is done, let's talk about the second thing. You, Gu Xingyi, are you finished?"
Ma Liang was already dying of anger, and now that he heard that Gu Xingyi still had things to do, he couldn't tense up on the spot and stood up to roar angrily. Even Tian Xingqi, who hadn't moved in anger all along, his face turned a little ugly and his brows had furrowed. "Donggu, faces given by everyone to each other, I advise you not to give an inch. Tiandong, don't get angry, this second one is only a small matter, that is, you Ran, this little assistant, should also be from your company, since she has always followed Miao Ankuan, why doesn't Tiandong do a favor and hand her over to me as well?" As Gu Xingyi's words fell, everyone else had a subdued look on their faces, but Yu Ran was completely dumbfounded. She didn't expect that she was just a character who couldn't be any smaller, and Gu Xingyi would even open his mouth with Tian Xingqi for her. Although her contractual breach of contract was not much, it was enough to break her bones, and she had thought that she would bite the bullet and pay the breach of contract herself, but she didn't expect Gu Xingyi to bring it up first. Miao Anjuan also froze for a moment, then hurriedly whispered, Gudong, I'll just pay Ran's liquidated damages." Gu Xingyi, however, waved his hand at Miao Anjuan, still looking at Tian Xingqi.
Tian Xingqi's face returned to normal after hearing Gu Xingyi's words, and he laughed again. "Gudong said this, isn't it a slap in my face to come?
A third-tier singer's little assistant is just a gift to you guys, Secretary Chen, go and give this person called this little assistant's contract and bring it to Gudong as well." Secretary Chen nodded her head and led the order, and went out again, and in just a moment, she brought another contract, and this time, she directly handed it to Gu Xingyi. Employees like this kind of fringe characters who couldn't even be counted, not to mention Tian Xingqi, even she, the secretary, couldn't look at them. Yu Ran had been completely petrified. It turned out that for these people in front of her, she as a person didn't even come with a name.
It would be very excessive. Then I'll take this as a compliment. Thank you, Mr. Tian, for your hospitality today. See you some other time, I hope we can still get along so happily. Gu Xingyi stood up and took his leave with a smile. I've also gotten to see Donggu's style today. It's good to be young, but I have more things to do, so I won't see you off. Tian Xingqi also stood up and smiled back.
Gu Xingyi nodded his head, reholding Xia Shiyao's hand, bringing Miao Anjuan and Yu Ran. The group of people trooped out of the conference room.
Tiandong. He's too arrogant. Why should we give him face so much? Seeing Gu Xingyi's silhouette disappear, Ma Liang's face turned iron blue as he looked at Tian Xingqi, his face full of resentment. Rubbish! What are you doing to block him? Can't you see that people are emboldened? I can tell you clearly, if you block him today, you'll still have to obediently hand him over tomorrow.
Tian Xingqi originally had some fondness for Ma Liang, this horse's ass, but now he hated to kill him. Losing someone was a small matter. Losing his face, that's the big thing. He looked towards the doorway of the conference room, his green bean eyes under the lenses brightening and flickering. What a character! It seems that I underestimated him in the past. That old fox Lu Gao has met his match this time. Luckily, he doesn't engage in this piece of movie and television, otherwise I'd have a headache too. His brief encounter with Gu Xingyi this time made him realize that Gu Xingyi was even more terrifying than what was described in the circle, not only in terms of talent, but even in terms of guts and aura, he was not the least bit bad. Such a little fox, once it took off, it would definitely be another difficult existence. We can only see if this time's China's strongest voice can suppress him. If not, Tian Mei is in danger. Tian Xingqi still looked out the door, muttering to himself. These words, however, startled Ma Liang, who was next to him. That was Tian Mei.
The same behemoth as Shengshi, just by that Gu Xingyi kid? When they went downstairs, Gu Xingyi's few people didn't say anything.
Miao Anquan kept wanting to say something, but when the words reached her mouth, she couldn't. All of this Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao saw in their eyes. Gu Xingyi thought for a moment, then said to Miao Anquan, "You don't need to think too much, I took you away this time, besides because of my wife. There is also one aspect that Star Yao Entertainment is really short of people, and your strength is obvious to all. We believe in you, and we also believe that this breach of contract, it won't take long for you to earn for the company, so don't need to feel indebted or anything, there is no need to think that it doesn't exist." Out of the elevator, the atmosphere in the hall on the first floor changed. They had seen with their own eyes that Tian Dong had personally invited Gu Xingyi up, and now that Gu Xingyi had come out with Miao Anjuan, the outcome was predictable. Jia is even more ugly face, although she wants to squeeze away Miao Anquan, but do not want to squeeze away like this, she just want to watch Miao Anquan down.
But Miao Anjuan, this is obviously met a nobleman. When a group of people passed by her, Yu Ran, who was still deeply shocked, saw her and couldn't help but smile again, making a face at her and then proudly leaving. Seeing Jia, Yu Ran felt much more comfortable in her heart. Even if she was a little person who didn't deserve a name, it was still much better than this woman who was a golden jade. After exiting the Shangshi Entertainment Building, the golden sunlight struck the several people again, and Gu Xingyi unconsciously breathed a sigh of relief. Crossing paths with these old foxes and whatnot was really more tiring than even writing his songs. Miao Anjuan's eyes were in a bit of a trance. From the moment she was suborned, she had fantasized about countless possibilities. The best one was to earn her own money, pay the liquidated damages, and then return to an ordinary life, obliterating the world. After all, after offending Shangshi Entertainment, which of those small and medium-sized companies in the entertainment circle would dare to accept herself again? And as for going to Tianmei Entertainment and Soundsea Entertainment, what difference would the outcome be from being in Shangshi Entertainment? Everyone knows that the three giants of entertainment, the contracts are all pretty much the same. Thinking of this, she then looked at Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao who were walking in front of her, and a trace of tenderness surfaced in the bottom of her eyes. It was them who used the toughest stance to bring themselves out, preserving their last dignity. So, even if the contract Gu Xingyi gave her at that time was the worst kind, she decided that she would sign it. At least she believed that in Xingyo Entertainment, there would be no such thing as subterfuge. "Peony, why don't we go get our luggage with you first?" Xia Shiyao, who had been walking in front, suddenly stopped her steps and turned back to walk to Miao Anjuan's side. Her pretty eyebrows arched up as she inquired. "Good, the place where I live isn't far, it's right in front, Ran and I just have some clothes, they're all already packed." Being affected by Xia Shiyao's smiling face, Miao Anjuan's face also rises into a smile after freezing for a moment. Miao Anquan and Yu Ran's luggage was indeed very little. After loading it up, there were only 2 tiny suitcases, which were easily put down. It was just that the room she was staying in made both Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao couldn't help but frown. Gu Xingyi even couldn't help but spit in his heart. Shangshi Entertainment really can't afford to live more and more. A singer who is so good is given to live in such a grocery room. In the Star Song Festival, Miao Anquan's strength is obvious to all. If this is placed in Xingyo Entertainment, it will not be a treasure for up. The car drove smoothly on the road to Xingyo Entertainment. All the way Gu Xingyi driving the car, the 3 women in the back chatter, as if they have not seen for many years of good sisters in general, especially Yu Ran. Gu Xingyi always think, she and Tao Lele have a spell. These 2 can't be long-lost sisters. But it's good, this way, Xingyo Entertainment is getting more and more lively. At this moment in Star Yao Entertainment, the receptionist, Li Wenjing, was stunned. She had gained a lot of insight today, and she was also extremely happy that she was able to come to Star Yao Entertainment. Because in front of her, there was a middle-aged man with a smile on his face who was applying for a job. "Isn't Xiao Gu in the company now?" "Ah, Mr. Lu Tianwang, Mr. Gu said he'll be right there. You can go to the parlor first and wait for a while."
Good." Heavenly King Lu answered with a smile and walked towards the parlor under the lead of Li Wenjing. Pushing open the door of the parlor, there were already a few people inside, and when Heavenly King Lu saw them, he was surprised in his eyes for a moment, and then quickly put on a smile. "Ha, I really didn't expect that you guys actually came as well. That Gu Xingyi kid, this is going to overturn the entire entertainment circle. Brother Lu, you're all here. You're still talking about us." Inside the parlor, Tao Lele, who was serving tea and pouring water on the side, her eyelids involuntarily jumped. Before Gu Xingyi said that there were 3 heavyweights who were going to join the company, she never thought it would be them.
Shui Xiaochen, Lu Ruoying, Lu Tianwang. Very heavyweight indeed. Only, how on earth did Gu Xingyi poach them from their respective studios? You have to know that these 3 people in front of you are all existences who have opened their own studios. They're also party bosses. Even the company was bigger than Star Yao Entertainment. They even willingly came over to join Star Yao Entertainment. It would be outrageous. Heavenly King Lu smiled and sat down on the sofa, looking at the two of them and said back, "There's no way. You can't refuse what Xiao Gu gives you. Aren't you guys? Ha 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 ha. That's right." Shui Xiaoqian gave an exaggerated laugh, and Lu Ruoying nodded with a smile on her face. If one were to say who else could bring the three together in this entertainment circle, there was no one else but Gu Xingyi. That guy Xiao Gu, letting us come, but he himself is out of sight first. When he comes back, I'll be sure to give him a good talking to. Brother Lu, I'm not back. There's really something in front of me. I've gone to pick up someone. You are generous, let my little brother off the hook. Before Heavenly King Lu's words fell, Gu Xingyi's voice came from the doorway. Together with him, naturally Xiao Shiyao and Miao Ankuan, Yuranran followed behind, and at this moment, seeing the several people, her facial expression instantly turned into the same emoticon as Tao Leilei's earlier. It's true that you can't talk bad about people behind their backs. Just after saying one sentence, this kid came. Heavenly King Lu shook his head and smiled at Gu Xingyi who walked through the door. Shui Xiaoqian was even more smiling as he looked at the few people who came and said, "Gu Xingyi, Xiao Shiyao, Miao Ankuan? Got it. Now the Star Song Exchange personnel are almost all assembled." Gu Xingyi also smiled as he looked at everyone present. His heart was excited. Now he was at ease. With these people in Star Yao Entertainment, he could let go of his hands and go big. The veteran Heavenly King Lu sat in the center. Lu Ruoying, Shui Xiaoqian, Xiao Shiyao, and Miao Ankuan formed the new four Heavenly Kings. And then behind them, there's the humongous two generals, Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Shuihan. Even the little assistants are Thunderbolt. Recruit some more fresh blood these days. It's done and done. Ha ha, since they're all here, let's sign the contract. Where's Minister Yang? Close the door quickly, don't let anyone get away. With this kind of luxurious lineup, he didn't even know how to lose. Gu Xingyi was so happy that his eyebrows had raised at the moment and laughed. How to say you are also a company boss? Be that way. Yang Lin came late, holding the already printed contract in her hand. All of us here are our own people, it's not in the way. What kind of old general manager? You guys are the old general manager in front of me. I'm the one serving tea and water. Gu Xingyi waved his hand and took the contract from Yang Lin and flipped through it, then nodded with satisfaction. This contract is good, it's well written. That's it, a few of the company's future top pillars, take a look at it as well. With those words, Gu Xingyi handed a manual copy of the contract in his hand to several people, even Xiao Shiyao had a copy. There was no way, even though she was the boss's wife, this was requested by Xiao Shiyao herself, and she was considered a serious singer. When it came to business, several people also got serious and took the contract and looked through it. To be honest, the reason why Shui Xiaoqian, Lu Ruoying and Lu Tianwan were able to come was because Gu Xingyi gave them reasons they couldn't refuse. They didn't lack curiosity per se, but they lacked songs, good songs of their own. And it was with this that Gu Xingyi had moved all three of them. In the parlor, it was quiet for a moment, and several people were quietly looking at the contract. Only the more they read on, the more their faces, the more the smiles flourished. The one who differed from the few people was Niao Anjuan, who was looking at the contract at the moment, so shocked that her eyes widened. Because this contract was something that no other entertainment company would give, there was no time limit, no liquidated damages, even leaving was completely free. It was very similar to the labor contract of an ordinary company, where leaving only required resignation a month in advance, and one could leave when the time was up. Xiao Gua, I know you take care of us, but this contract, isn't it too unfavorable for you? You know, no entertainment company dares to sign like this. Heavenly King Lu had already finished turning the last page at this time, closing the contract and looking up at Gu Xingyi with a smile in his eyes. Brother Lu, you've misunderstood. It's actually not just you guys. In the future, all of Star Yao Entertainment's artists will sign this contract. Gu Xingyi waved the contract in her hand and laughed. I think that using a contract to bind a person is the dumbest thing that exists. If the company is really good, even if it's a free contract, I believe that you guys won't leave. If the company is bad, even if you're all there, you won't treat the company sincerely. And let me say a rather arrogant word, among all the entertainment companies, there should be no one more reliable than me. Gu Xingyi's confident look made everyone present look sideways, even Heavenly King Lu, the color of appreciation rose in his eyes. That's right. As of now, only Gu Xingyi was qualified to say these words, and only his talent could support him in saying so. Good. I'm also looking forward to my future days in Star Yao Entertainment. Mr. Gu, I'm very happy to join Star Yao Entertainment. Heavenly King Lu picked up a pen and signed his name on the contract, then stood up and came to Gu Xingyao's side, extending his own hand and saying, Brother Lu, welcome to Star Yao Entertainment. I won't let you down. Don't sympathize, you too. Mr. Gu, you're forgetting about us. Shui Xiaoqian also signed the contract at this time and looked at the two men holding hands and teased. Lu Ruoying similarly signed the contract and also looked over with a smile on her face. Ever since he came back,
Gu Xingyi's face hadn't stopped smiling, he laughed.
Didn't forget. None of you can run away, I said. Welcome to Star Yao Entertainment. The three of them all laughed, and then handed Gu Xingyi a copy of the contract in their hands, and kept one for themselves, and up to now, only Miao Ankuan didn't sign it, and the crowd's eyes couldn't help but look at her. Small assistant Yu ran on the side or anxious. She did not know what Peony's sister in the end in the thinking, such a contract, changed her to certainly the first time to sign his name. Seeing Gu Xingyi also looking curiously at herself, Miao Anjuan gritted her teeth. Mr. Gu, I need to change this contract. As soon as these words came out, everyone present couldn't help but furrow their brows, not understanding what Miao Anqian was doing. This kind of contract needed to be changed? What was this girl thinking? Only Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriao, they vaguely understood in their hearts what Miao Anjuan meant. Before Gu Xingyi could speak, Miao Anjuan added, "At least add the liquidated damages that you helped me advance before, and when it's deducted, then follow the normal contract." Liquidated damages? The few people who were still unclear about the truth of the matter all looked at Miao Anjuan with some curiosity, only feeling as if there was a story here. Gu Xingyi thought for a moment, and when he looked at Miao Anjuan's firm gaze, he finally said, "The matter of liquidated damages, let's draft another contract specifically for this. When you have the ability, when you repay the company is fine. As for this contract not moving, one size fits all of the company's artists in the future, it's this standard." Hearing this, Miao Anqian was relieved, and readily signed her name on the contract. This kind of result is what Miao Anjuan wants to see the most. What she lost, she has to rely on her own ability to earn it back. Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuria's kindness to her is a private feeling, she remembers it in her heart. The company's matters, or to distinguish and separate. Now that the contract has been signed, Mr. Gu, what are the next instructions? Shui Xiaoqian asked when he saw that things had all been negotiated. Old Shui, for now, there's really no need for you guys, so you guys should wait patiently for a while, and there'll be opportunities for you to appear later on. This time, China's strongest voice. I'm going to give the other companies in the entertainment industry. I'm going to teach the other companies in the entertainment industry a hard lesson. You're, like, going to change the history of the music industry. Ha ha, I like it. Seeing Gu Xingyi like this, Shui Xiaoqian couldn't help but look forward to the days ahead even more. He felt that it would definitely be an unprecedented spectacle. In the next few days, each in their own way, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriao were busy interviewing every day. It was just a pity that among the newcomers, there were few who could pass the interview so far. Xia Shuriao and Gu Xingyi were originally professional singers and lyricists, so the interview requirements were also slightly higher. And Xingyou Entertainment, Gu Xingyi to the positioning is to take the boutique route, personnel, in the fine not in the more, so a series of interviews a few days, there are only a few people through. Unconsciously, the time came to Friday. Regarding Shui Xiaoqian's people joining Star Yao Entertainment's secrecy was very well done. Everyone was still unaware of this matter. If they were to know, it would definitely be another earthquake. The second installment of China's Strongest Voice is also coming today as promised, and the situation is clear on the internet today. All of them are looking forward to what kind of surprise Gu Xingyi can bring to them this time. Following the last time Tianmei Entertainment Weimei gave a letter of war, Xingyou Entertainment has not been moving. But the audience knows that Gu Xingyi that Cubseed must have already prepared for it. They were all clear that the reason why Xingyou Entertainment had ignored it was that it must be holding back a big move. So it was just 8 o'clock in the evening, countless netizens gathered in the official live broadcast room and waited. The scene was even more overcrowded. At this time the other ring on the match has begun, but few people tuned in. Those few broken songs, they have long heard, a little sense of anticipation, only their respective fans, still cheering for their own little master. At 8:30 p.m., under the attention of all the people, Wei Wei, as the challenger, finally stepped into the ring. He was wearing a black knit cap, dressed in a hip-hop style, with an arrogant expression, and as soon as he stepped onto the stage, he picked up the microphone, the audience in front of him, and spoke in a high-pitched manner. I heard there's a Gu Xingyi. Specializes in songwriting. Love songs. I'm really not as good as you, but rapping, you can't. He announced loudly, causing a chorus of boos to ring out from the stage, and the live broadcast was a constant stream of pop-ups, most of which were cursing his existence. Immediately afterward, Willie's head shot up and he added, "Do you know why there are a lot of people cursing me on the internet? It's all because of me. The tree is big. Invites the wind." After saying this sentence, he suddenly jumped up, and the sound of explosive music instantly resounded throughout the entire arena. "It's all my fault. The tree is big. The tree is big. The tree is big. I'm the one to blame. I'm to blame. Big tree. A windfall. The tree is a big one. They all asked me who I was. They don't think I'm Ray. They're memorizing my lyrics. What it's like to be famous. It's all my fault." This explosive opening did not lead to explosive cheers, but rather explosive laughter. The live broadcast room was transformed into a sea of joy. Crap. The tree is big. Is this rap? Shouting repeater. It's all because of your loud voice. It only loops one line. I laughed my ass off. No. Brothers. What's the difference between this and a temporary piggy bank? 4 bets to 5? Isn't that difference big enough? Ha 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 ha. It's all my fault. Didn't read. Middle school. Didn't read middle school. Didn't read junior high school. Limited culture. Limited culture. Appreciate it. Don't come. Can't appreciate it. Holy shit. Subverted my knowledge of rap. Somebody save the kid. The stage had popped up, and even his eyes had a hint of ruthlessness in them, and he felt that he had blown up the whole place. So, he continued to scream. Pick me T. Pick me. Aren't you all awesome in the love song section? You do it. At this moment, at the back of the stage, Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Xuehan had opened their mouths wide. The two of them glanced at each other, and Feng Xiaoxiao said dumbfounded. No. Who on earth gave him the courage? What the hell is singing? Doesn't he have any count in his heart? Yi Xuehan also shook his head, his face full of shock. It's too scary. This is the charm of self-exaltation, isn't it? Terrifyingly, it seemed that Wei Wei on the stage felt that this wasn't dominating enough, so he jumped and flew down from the ring in one leap, pouncing on the crowd. The crowd at the scene went crazy. They couldn't catch him, they couldn't not catch him, and in the end, due to the atmosphere of the scene, they could only catch him, and then quickly put him on the ground again, hiding far away. They were afraid. Will this kind of human crazy physique be contagious? Finally, amidst the incessant tree-hugging, the song ended completely, and Wei Wei waved his hand at the crowd, proudly and confidently retreating. Both the audience at the scene, as well as the live broadcast, all breathed a sigh of relief at this moment, as they pulled out their tortured ears and spat out. After listening to this rap by Willie Marine, I feel like I've become a lot more tolerant of art. I can't bear to look at tracks like rap anymore. Horrible. Now it's full of trees. Am I still saved? Xing Yao ah, come and save the kids. Come on with a good song to wash our ears, please. Fascinated confidence is horrible, besides having a big voice. And the technique is broken. What's wrong with the music industry? Under the flurry of trolls from the netizens, the people from Star Yao Entertainment finally appeared, which gave the netizens renewed hope. When they saw that it was two youths they had never seen before, they all froze for a moment, and then coincidentally became worried. Star Yao Entertainment is on a newcomer? Will it work? Although Wei Wei's strength pulls down, but people do have quite a lot of fans, and there is capital packaging, especially some young fans, have not experienced the baptism of the past music scene, be fooled into liking Wei Wei's normal. Star Yao Entertainment, these two people, they have never seen, at first glance as pure cannot be pure newcomers. Such an unknown newcomer, really let a person worry. The audience was also silent for a while. They were quietly looking at the two people on the stage, which made Wei Wei, who was watching the match backstage, even more pleased. Look, this light just started the stage effect on the high and low. However, Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Xuehan were still very stable. They were holding the microphone, back to back, standing calmly on the stage. This was their first performance. Gu Xingyi believed in them, and they would return Gu Xingyi a perfect result. The music started, and on the big screen, the title of the song was revealed at that moment. Gone to the North. The lyricist and composer was still Xing Yao. The singer was Wing Xiaoxiao, Yi Xuehan. Seeing that it was composed by Xing Yao, the audience's hearts were slightly stabilized. No matter how the two newcomers were, Xing Yao's song was undoubtedly the best. Feng Xiaoxiao on the stage took the lead in lifting up the microphone and humming along with the music. The melody that he hummed made people flutter their ears and savor it. Only the backstage Wei Wei is with a disdainful face. Even the online pop-ups, some of them are with questions. Also some fans of Wei Wei jumped out at this time. No way. Xing Yao, this isn't a rap? The intro doesn't sound like a rap. Rap usually starts off with a bang, but this intro is somewhat like a pop song. Cut. I thought Star Yao was so great. My Wei Wei picks a rap. He doesn't dare to take it? Xing Yao is Xing Yao. You can say Gu Xingyi. If you say Xing Yao, I'll turn my back on you. What's the hurry? We'll know if we can't listen to it. Who's in a hurry? You're only allowed to talk about our family, not Xing Yao? Double standard dog? Upstairs. Wait for the face slapping. I unconditionally believe in Xing Yao anyway. Feng Xiaoxiao on the stage was still humming softly. The melody was still great. Yi Xuehan clenched his hands on the topic and waited silently with his back turned to him. The moment the humming ended, suddenly, the music became urgent. Everyone's eyes shrunk at this moment, and their hearts were even tighter. They knew. The rightful owner. It's coming. Sure enough, Yi Xuehan, who was still standing quietly, quickly picked up the microphone following the rushing music, and the rap began. Dreaming of a journey, I left my home, carrying a traveling bag on my shoulder, loaded with dreams for the future. I'm just like all of you. I'm from far away, doing an ordinary job, wandering around homesick. How many people wish they could live a better life? To change their history, make your parents less stressed, Every New Year's Eve, you miss your parents. Can't go home because their dreams haven't been realized.
This had just begun, and the audience's eyes couldn't help but light up, and both the scene and the netizens couldn't help but nod their heads along with the song. Their ears had just been spoiled by the trees, and this time, they instantly felt baptized.
Many people secretly nodded their heads, right. This is what rap is all about. As for that what a big tree, in their opinion, it was at most a shouting song. I told you not to rush. Look, it's coming. Hey, enjoy. Who just said it was a pop song? Come out and get beat up.
At this point, I have to bring up that old cliché again.
Starry Yao produces. It's a masterpiece. The lyrics are great. The two newcomers look so handsome.
The pop-ups in the live broadcast room also brushed the screen at this time. Lee Shui-han on the stage, his breath was very stable, although it was a sharp rap, he still controlled it very well.
Picked up the phone and said, "Mom, I'm okay. I'm back to reality. Continuing to fix my subsistence. I'm being said well by others, and laughed at by others. But I never let reality get me down. This is the Northern Drift."
Before Lee Shui-han's voice fell, Feng Xiaoxiao's voice took over again, the two of them rapping one
rapping, one soprano. The coordination was seamless.
If the rapping part shocked people, then Feng Xiaoxiao's singing made people burst into tears, and for the first time, they knew that rapping could be like this.
The lyrics surprisingly struck deep into one's heart.
This kind of shock simply subverted everyone's knowledge of rap.
I'm drifting to the north.
Don't ask me where I'm from, don't ask me where I'm from.
The towering ancient walls can't stop the sadness. I'm drifting north. Is my family safe? My dreams are ahead. The heavy bag on my shoulder,
full of despair,
and my last hope.
The two of them completely ignited, interspersed with blazing raps and the high notes, making people's blood boil and full of despair. The sparks caused by the collision of the two different tones made everyone in the audience wave their glow sticks, and the audience couldn't even use words to describe their feelings at this moment. The audience couldn't even put into words how they felt at this moment.
Original. The fusion of hardcore rap and extreme soprano would be so passionate. One can only sigh. Ghost talent. Holy shit. Goosebumps all over. These two are especially here to hit Weilei's face. I'm uneducated, so I can only express my shock with the word F***ck. I'm drifting to the north. Ah, it's too absolute.
It feels like I'm listening to another version of Chasing Dreams Red Heart.
Xingyao is really still the same familiar Xingyao. She hasn't changed a bit. I just want to ask. Wei, does your face hurt?
The netizens had gotten completely high listening to the two on stage, the fast-paced rap. Fast but not chaotic, every word smashed into their hearts with an overwhelming sense of power. That song with the big trees, fighting with this song was like a kindergarten kid picking on an adult. There was no comparison at all. At this moment, the Starry Yao Entertainment crowd was staring at Gu Xingyi as if they had seen a ghost. They had just been worried about whether these two newcomers would be able to calm the scene. As a result, they were still worried about whether these two newcomers would be able to calm the scene. There's no need to worry about it.
If it doesn't work, then there's nothing that will. These two were excellent singers. With these great lyrics and tunes, anyone who comes here will be beaten up.
Especially Yang Lin, at this moment has been speechless. She was still skeptical of Feng Xiaoxiao and Lee Shui-han's strength. After all, these two are Gu Xingyi from the road to pick up. But when she heard the song Floating to the North, she was so shocked that she couldn't speak. All she wanted to do now was ask Gu Xingyi where she picked up this kind of treasure singer. She also wanted to pick up two back for Soundsea Entertainment. On the stage, fast-talking Lee Shui-han was still frantically showing off his skills. Matching Feng Xiaoxiao's shallow singing, the performance continued. I step on your shoulders and walk at the front of the battlefield,
using the aura to overwhelm the signs of the opponent. Watch, the king's battle flag, holding back tears, rise up in the kingdom, covering wounds. I see many hands waving their arms. Please use all your strength. Shout, Mr. King. Looks up at the slanting sun.
Lee Shui-han and Feng Xiaoxiao's aura was getting higher and higher, and their voice tones were getting higher and higher, and corresponding to that, were the waving hands of the audience under the stage and that one scream.
Once again, a match was opened into a concert format. Whenever Gu Xingyi's song appeared, it was a feast for the audience. The online audience was dying to drill into the screen and run to the scene to shout with them at the moment. If it was said that a big tree was just a big voice, then the chorus of Drifting North by these two. It's an all-round explosion. Highly combustible. From the interaction of the audience and the pop-ups on the internet, it was clear that Wei had lost completely. But Wei in the background didn't feel it at all. He skimmed his mouth with an expression of I'm the best in the world. He didn't think the song was good at all. Just then, Lee Shui-han on the stage rapped even more sharply, and after the rap, Feng Xiaoxiao suddenly took off his ear returns, and it was at this moment that everyone held their breath. Because when they saw this action of Feng Xiaoxiao, they knew. It's definitely going to be a king bomb. Sure enough, the next second, I'm floating to the north, feel free to call me from Mars or from the blue planet. I'll fight to the end of my days in a world of flailing teeth and claws. Can't stop the sadness, just me and you. That's the last thing to expect. The audience couldn't contain themselves any longer, as screams and cheers rose up. Jedi! Jedi! Absolute! This high-pitched hissing and perfect high notes pushed the atmosphere to a climax. Everyone clenched their fists at this moment. The power to overturn the universe was contained in their bodies. This was the power that this song brought them. This is the most intuitive charm of rap, a song of fame. Tonight, everyone remembered these two singers from Star Yao Entertainment, Feng Xiao, Easy Water Cold, with their song Drifting to the North, announcing the return of Star Yao Entertainment's king. At this moment, the result of the competition was self-evident and everyone knew the outcome. Right. Except for the confident Wei Wei. At the Tianmei Entertainment Mansion, as early as halfway through Feng Xiao and Yi Shuihan's singing, their meeting was held. It was just that this time, the meeting was completely different from before because this time, it was a video conference. Apart from Tianmei Entertainment, Shengshi Entertainment, Soundsea Entertainment, and the chairman of other small and medium-sized entertainment companies, they all participated in this video conference organized by Tianmei Entertainment. The chairman of Tianmei Entertainment, Lu Gao, was speaking with a serious face to the helmsmen of the various companies in the video. I'm sure everyone knows the purpose of this meeting. This time, I hope that everyone doesn't take any chances. Gu Xingyi, the Star Yao Entertainment he founded, is declaring war on the entire entertainment industry. If we don't unite, there will be no place for us in the music industry in the future. The faces of the chairman of the various companies in the video were also unsightly. They naturally understood this truth. Lips die and teeth get cold. Once Tianmei Entertainment was pulled down by Xingyo Entertainment, the traditional model of the entertainment industry would definitely see an epic change. Seeing that everyone was silent, Shengshi Entertainment's Tian Xingqi continued with Lu Gao's words. I don't think everyone wants to see any changes in the entertainment industry. Let's all speak freely and try to come up with a plan. So many companies against one small company, what's there to be afraid of? When Tian Xingqi's words fell, the chairman of a medium-sized company spoke with a face full of difficulty. If we go the conventional route, we can only defeat him in a competition. But everyone knows Gu Xingyi's talent. Is it possible to defeat him in a competition? There's always a time when the river runs out of talent. I don't believe that Gu Xingyi, will always be able to come up with such quality songs. Right. Once he can't come up with it, that's when we'll counterattack. Just as this person finished speaking, a few more people quickly said, and Lu Gao nodded at that moment. It's this reasoning. A person's talent cannot be endless. With so many of our companies, we can just fight a war of attrition with him. And currently, Star Yao Entertainment hasn't picked up any sponsorships yet. As long as we press them to death this time, I'm sure there won't be any sponsors who'll go out and support Star Yao Entertainment afterward. Without sponsors, they can only disband in the future. After all, their funds won't be able to support the operation of a company. After these words were said, everyone present nodded in unison, but Tian Xingqi glanced at Yang Xian of Soundsea Entertainment at this moment and said faintly again, Chairman Yang, I heard that you've gotten quite close to Gu Xingyi recently. I don't know what kind of high-handed tactics you have. Yang Xian was still full of smiles and shook his head. Where do I have any high tips? Everything is up to all of you. I, Soundsea Entertainment, raise my hands in favor throughout. It's just that our Soundsea manpower has been a bit tight lately, so we may not be able to help you all with substantial actions. However, my spirit will always be with you. My spirit will always be with you all. Hearing this, Lu Gao and Tian Xingqi couldn't help but both skim their mouths. They could still see such an obvious perfidy, but they didn't care. As long as Soundsea Entertainment didn't trip them up, they didn't really think that Soundsea Entertainment would step down to deal with Gu Xingyi. Good. Since everyone has the same opinion, then let's discuss the decision afterward. For this installment, I don't want anyone to challenge Xingyo Entertainment and give them points again until they're ready. Let's fully prepare for the future installments of the match. You can challenge the same ring for a maximum of 3 matches in one installment. That means there are still 18 matches left. I don't believe Gu Xingyi's talent is endless. Nor do I believe that with just the few people from Star Yao Entertainment, they can still support that many matches. So, everyone bring out your own Watchman singers. In the Magic Capital Stadium, even though Feng Xiao and Yi Shuihan had already retired, the audience was still full of enthusiasm, and they were still looking forward to what kind of song Star Yao Entertainment would be able to come up with for the next ring match. The song Floating to the North made everyone see the return of the king of Xingyao Entertainment. The online viewers, at this moment, all flocked into the live broadcast room of this track. In the past issues of China's Strongest Voice, basically, the traffic of the 3 tracks was similar, but now, the ring where Shengshi Entertainment and Soundsea Entertainment were located was basically unattended. The entire program, it was as if it had turned into Star Yao Entertainment's exclusive field.
Unfortunately, the audience waited left and right, but they couldn't wait for a second challenger, as if all the entertainment companies, at this moment, were completely mute. Time passed by, the other two rings were still in full swing, but the ring where Star Yao Entertainment was located, only autumn wind was rowing on it. Until the end of this installment of China's Strongest Voice was announced, there was still no one coming up to challenge. This made the hard-waiting viewers completely explode. They had waited for the flowers, and then they were shown this? So they had 8 major entertainment companies, mocking as much as they could. Gu, is there no one left in the entertainment industry? Can you do it or not? My pants are down. This is it? It's like throwing cold water on me in the middle of winter. I've made it this far, tell me it's over. Ah shucks. Once Gu Xingyi appeared, there wasn't a single capable hitter in the music scene. My song I want to hear 2 more good songs. At Tianmei Entertainment, are you guys admitting defeat? No way, let me on. It's a loss anyway. I'm fine if I'm on. Scattered. This is admitting defeat. I declare. Star Yao Entertainment becomes one of the 3 giants. The Tianmei era has come to an end. The netizens mocked as much as they could, attempting to use words to make these entertainment companies show backbone. They just wanted to listen to songs. How come it was so difficult? Thus, with the support of the netizens, the major entertainment companies represented by Tianmei Entertainment finally couldn't help but speak out. The winner is the one who laughs until the end. Let's wait and see. The statement was short, but it revealed a different message. When the netizens who were only concerned about the world and chaos saw these statements, the expectations that were originally lost in their hearts suddenly rose again, and in their opinion, it was good that these entertainment companies hadn't given up. Even though it was a little late, they just needed to have good songs to listen to. Thus, netizens were encouraging them underneath these blogs. At this moment, the people from Star Yao Entertainment were already on their way back to the company. Not many people came this time, only Xia Shiyao, Tao Lele, Miao Ankuan, Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Shuihan. A company's nanny car will be all of them loaded down, nanny car also by the company's specially recruited chauffeur driving. The others, including Gu Xingyi, didn't go to the scene, but all stayed within the company, watching the live broadcast in real time. I really didn't expect them to admit defeat when Sister Shiyao and Sister Peony didn't even make it to the stage. Tao Lele flattened her little mouth, still a little regretful. Although she didn't know what song Gu Xingyi had prepared for Miao Ankuan, she did know that Xia Shiyao's song. It was also a King Bama, or Brother Feng, and Brother Yi sang it so well that it directly bombed the venue. It's all because Mr. Gu's song is so good. After all these years, it's the first time the two of us have felt such a rush of blood on stage. Feng Xiaoxiao let out a hefty laugh. Thinking of Gu Xingyi was a face full of admiration. They didn't admit defeat. This is holding back a big move. The match afterward will be even more intense. Miao Ankuan said at this time, picking up her cell phone and handing it to a few people. Several people looked at their cell phone screens and saw the statements from Tianmei Entertainment as well as other entertainment companies, and in a short period of time, these statements were all topped on the hot searches. Currently, the #1 hot search was the song Drifting to the North, and further back, it was these statements. I only trust Mr. Gu anyway. These people won't be able to jump around for long. Yi Shuihan said indignantly after just a glance, and several people smiled heartily after hearing this. Yes, as long as Gu Xingyi was there, they had nothing to worry about. The car continued to drive on the road. A few people were still chatting about this competition, but Feng Xiaoxiao received a phone call at this time. Originally his face was still full of smiles. After the phone call, his eyebrows have been wrinkled. What happened? Yi Shuihan asked in a low voice when she saw him like this. They should be happy as they won this match in a big way. With Feng Xiaoxiao like this, it was obvious that there was something tricky going on. The other few people in the car also noticed the situation and all turned their gazes around. This made Feng Xiaoxiao a little embarrassed. He felt that he was the one who stirred up everyone's excitement. No. Nothing, Xiaoyi, you accompany Sister Shiyao and the girls back to the company. I should be able to handle it by myself. Sister Shiyao, can you please trouble to drop me off by Jiangcheng Yida Plaza? Feng Xiaoxiao gripped his cell phone tightly. His face became more and more embarrassed. At this kind of time, making this mess by himself made him feel embarrassed, but he had to go again. It's fine, just go and deal with it as soon as you have something to do. Xia Shiyao nodded. This was obviously Feng Xiaoxiao's personal matter. She didn't ask much. The car arrived all the way to Jiangcheng Yida Plaza. Feng Xiaoxiao hurriedly got off the car and went. Yi Shuihan looked at Feng Xiaoxiao's back and suddenly said, Sister Shiyao, I'm a bit relieved about Brother Xiao. Why don't we follow up and take a look? Several people in the car looked at each other. Xia Shiyao said to Yi Shuihan with some worry. This is his personal matter. Would it not be too good for us to follow up? Sister Shiyao. It's fine. I've been friends with Brother Xiao for many years, and if my guess is right, I should know the person Brother Xiao is going to look for. He left me here simply because he felt overly sorry for me. Then, Sister Shiyao, why don't we go and take a look?
Hearing Yi Shuihan's words, Tao Lele and Miao Ankuan were both a bit impressed. The women's melon-eating nature was exposed at this moment.
Xia Shiyao pondered for a while and asked Yi Shuihan solemnly again.
Is it really alright? Sister Shiyao. It's really okay.
Yi Shuihan patted his chest and packaged his ticket. Only then did Xia Shiyao nod her head, so the group of people put on their masks and walked off the car as if they were thieves, leaving the driver alone and parked the car in the nearby parking lot. Along the way, Yi Shuihan seemed to know where Feng Xiaoxiao was going. Several people didn't make any stops. Yi Shuihan led the way and walked straight into a nearby tavern.
This tavern is not big, but the decoration makes people feel very cozy, as if they are home.
Inside the tavern, it was already overcrowded, but on the small stage in the center of the tavern, it was noisy. A few people raised their eyes to look, and they happened to see Feng Xiaoxiao theorizing about something with a group of people. And behind Feng Xiaoxiao, there stood two girls with aggrieved faces. One of them was holding a guitar. When Yi Shuihan saw this scene, his eyes immediately glared and he also quickly rushed up. Xia Shiyao and Miao Anjuan glanced at each other. There was some concern in their eyes. They were afraid that these two people would make a big deal out of it and it wouldn't end well. Fortunately, after Yi Shuihan rushed up, he didn't take the lead in quarreling with that group of people. Instead, he protected the two girls and then inquired.
Xine, Pei Ling, are you guys alright?
Feng Xiaoxiao saw Yi Shuihan, who rushed over and naturally saw the figure of Xia Shiyao's trio not far away. For a moment he became even more embarrassed. The two of them, who had only just joined the company not long ago, were really invincible when their boss's wife saw them arguing here. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but pull over Yi Shuihan, somewhat complaining.
Little E, didn't I tell you to accompany Sister Shiyao and the others back to the company? How come you still ran over here? No, Brother Xiao. It's not right for you to be like this.
What's there to hide about this kind of thing? We're generous. Sister Shiriao's girls are not the same as those leaders of other companies.
They won't blame us.
Looking at Yi Shuihan, who was still a little younger, Feng Xiaoxiao was a little speechless for a moment. He just felt that it wasn't a matter of blaming or not blaming. After all, no company would like to see their employees below them getting into trouble outside. But first, since things were already like this, there was no need for him to think too much. He immediately theorized with that group of people again. Hearing these people arguing on the stage, Xia Shiyao also roughly knew the cause of the matter. The reason was these two girls on stage wearing white t-shirts. They were a pair of folk singers who had been residing in this small tavern. The two had written quite a few ballads of their own, and their popularity here was good. But because these two didn't have any power or connections, the result was that someone from a small entertainment company, who wanted to use a few $1,000s to buy out their songs and put them under the name of their own company's singers, was rejected by them. So now this scene appeared. In front of these people is some small punks collect money to make trouble. And the main person was the small manager of the entertainment company, who was still sitting on the card seat. Xia Shiyao knows, this kind of thing for the entertainment industry, commonplace. Even if the police are useless, because drive away a wave of punks, there will be another wave, and they just theories, not hands. Just like now, these people just say the songs they can't listen to. They are consumers, have the right to change the song for someone else. It's useless for the tavern owner to come. When it came to this kind of thing, one could only use their own way of doing things. It's just like Gu Xingyi's choice. When he first backed up Soundse Entertainment and used a big company to cover up his talent, then after he became famous, he borrowed Huayang's hand to fight against the blockade, and finally set up Xingyo Entertainment. And this, only Gu Xingyi can do. Most of the small talented people will only be drowned by the big trend. Xia Shiyao looked at the two slightly helpless girls on the stage of the tavern, then looked at the equally indignant Tao Lele and Miao Ankuan by her side, and after thinking for a moment, she made a decision. She led Tao Lele and Miao Ankuan straight to the front of the card table and looked at the small manager of the entertainment company. As for Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Shuihan, when they saw the scene, they panicked and pulled the two girls to run over. They were apprehensive at the moment. Boy! If Sister Shiyao was bullied here, they would just dig a pit and bury themselves. Which entertainment company are you from? Came to the front of the card seat, Xia Shiyao directly opened her mouth and asked. If it was before Xia Shiyao, she will not be like this. But people are going to grow up. Nowadays Xia Shiyao, quite some Gu Xingyi's style. The small manager was still happily looking at the bustle, when he saw three aura full of women standing in front of his seat, two of them on the left and one on the right, will be in the middle of the one protected to death. And at this time, the two boys who just appeared on the stage, also quickly ran over. A few people unified to protect the person in the middle, staring at themselves to death. That look, as if they could tear themselves alive if they made any movement. Who are you? The helpers they invited? The small manager frowned. He always felt that there was something familiar about this person in front of him. Don't care who we are, it's wrong for you to bully others based on the company. The entertainment industry is because of you scumbags. That's why it's become like this. There was no need for Xia Shiyao to reply at all. Tao Lele stood in front of her. Seeing Tao Lele like this, This little manager immediately burst out laughing, and then pretended to weigh the wineglass in his hand.
Little girl. Speak responsibly. I'm just an ordinary consumer. Which one of your eyes saw me bullying someone? You dare to do it but don't dare to admit it, right?
Tao Lele instantly glanced at him with squinted eyes, her face full of disdain. Xia Shiyao also shook her head. This person is obviously playing a rogue. She immediately looked towards the two girls. Feng Xiaoxiao also quickly introduced to Xia Shiyao when she saw this.
Sister Shiyao, this is Wang Xine and Wu Peiling. Xine, Peiling, this is our boss lady. I know who you are. Xia Shiyao?
The small manager sitting in his seat seemed to have thought of something and immediately exclaimed. His eyes then widened in disbelief as he looked at Xia Shiyao in front of him, who was surrounded by the crowd. The two girls also froze for a moment, then stared at Xia Shiyao in a daze. This cry caused the entire tavern to fall silent. Everyone's gazes looked over towards this, even the group of punks who had just caused trouble, all of them looked over with their mouths wide open, dumbfounded. What did they just hear?
Xia Shiyao? Was it the Xia Shiyao they knew?
As soon as they heard this shout, a few people knew that something bad was going to happen, and Tao Lele even looked at this little manager with eyes that carried a murderous aura.
In the next moment, the whole room was in an uproar. Xia Shiyao. This was the hottest singer on the internet right now. There wasn't one.
Even the owner of the tavern rubbed his hands together and hurriedly called for security. He was a big fan of Xingyao.
This if Xia Shiyao had the slightest problem in his little store, he wouldn't have to open it.
Xia Shiyao faintly looked at this manager. Her identity was exposed. She also smoothly took off her mask. On the side of Miao Ankuan and others, at this moment, all took off their masks.
Exempt. It's really Xia Shiyao and Miao Ankuan. Those two boys.
Aren't they Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Shuihan who just finished singing Floating to the North?
Oh my god.
The great god has descended. What magic does this tavern have?
Where's Gu Xingyi? Where did Gu Xingyi run off to? I want to see him. I'm his biggest fan. The aura is so strong. I'm a little afraid to go up and ask for an autograph.
As soon as Xia Shiyao and the others showed up, the scene immediately became noisy, and basically everyone's eyes were glittering as they looked this way. If it wasn't for the surrounding security guards already in place, they might have rushed up to ask for autographs. This made the small manager who was still sitting on the sofa feel like he was on pins and needles. He wanted to sew his mouth shut at this moment. How could he have shouted out? He really didn't realize how bullying just two vegetarians could provoke Xia Shiyao. If Star Yao Entertainment targeted his company would still be open. Once a company's reputation collapsed, it meant that the company would fall into ruin. Star Yao Entertainment didn't even need to specifically target it, just based on Gu Xingyi's current hotness. As long as he released a sentence explaining what happened, his own small company would have to cool off.
Ha! Misunderstanding. So it's Sister Shiyao. I'll leave right now. Never come again.
Without even needing Xia Shiyao to open her mouth, the small manager who wanted to understand immediately said with a sarcastic smile, then quickly got up and left. Now he only hoped that the matter would not get bigger. Xia Shiyao didn't stop him. She knew that after this incident, the other party would definitely not come again. Similar to this kind of thing, in the entertainment circle is too much, no one can control it. These two girls are also considered lucky to know Feng Xiaoxiao. Two people, those who are not lucky, can only admit their own bad luck. This society is not that fair by nature. Sister Shiyao, I'm sorry, I've caused you trouble. The most awkward person on the scene right now belonged to Feng Xiaoxiao and Yi Shuihan both. Even Yi Shuihan did not expect that things would develop like this.
It's fine, it's not like I'm unseen, it's just that today, it doesn't seem to be going well.
Xia Shiyao laughed a little, looking up to the somewhat tumultuous crowd in the tavern. So many of them were now shouting Xia Shiyao's name, and others were shouting Xingyao's name. Even the group of punks, at this moment, all mixed into the crowd. They now couldn't wait to find a crack in the ground to drill into. They were also listening to the songs written by Gu Xingyi every day, and a few of them were still fans of Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao. Being seen doing bad things by their idols, this feeling was really too bad. Because of Xia Shiyao's appearance, the tavern was on the verge of turning into Xia Shiyao's fan meeting. At this time, the tavern owner also drilled in from the crowd of security guards, looking excited.
Sister Shiyao, you guys, I'm the owner of this tavern. Look at this situation now. Can you please say a few words to the fans? The tavern owner's eyes lit up, although he hadn't seen his idol Gu Xingyi. Who was Xia Shiyao? Doesn't she represent Gu Xingyi? And this matter today, it would surely soon spread to the internet. At that time, this little tavern of his would not burst into flames. Okay, please wait a bit. Xia Shiyao looked at the tavern owner in front of her, who was obviously many years older than herself, and was in a bit of a trance, as if without realizing it, she had already become the sister in other people's mouths, and the idol that many people worshipped. Receiving Xia Shiyao's reply, the tavern owner's face smiled, and he nodded his head in agreement, before turning around and walking to the crowd to give an account.
the crowd at the scene couldn't help but erupt in a burst of happy cheers. As for Xia Shiyao, she turned to look at the two girls beside Feng Xiaoxiao. Their eyes were still slightly red. They shouldn't come in the future. You guys can also feel free to sing your songs, Xia Shiyao said softly. Wang Xinyi and Wu Piling's slightly red eyes made her feel a little heartbroken just looking at them. These talented people really shouldn't be treated like this. Thank you. The two women looked at each other and replied in the same voice. They had been harassed for a long time. Today they really didn't know what to do. That's why they called Feng Xiaoxiao. The two of them had known Feng Xiaoxiao for a long time. They were very good friends. Xine, Pei Ling, it's not a solution for you guys to go on like this. Maybe there will be shameless companies looking for you in the future. Why don't you guys come to Star Yao Entertainment for an interview as well and see what happens? Feng Xiaoxiao looked at the two and frowned. Wang Xine and Wu Peiling's eyes dimmed for a moment when they heard this. If they could join a good company, why would they be stationed here? Brother Xiao, the two of us just like ballads and are good at them. Will Star Yao Entertainment take us if we are singers like us? The boss's wife is here. Will it work or not? Just try it out, Yi Shuihan hurriedly said, then looked at Xia Shiyao with eyes full of anticipation. Sister Shiyao, Xine, and Pei Ling are great. Hearing this, Wang Xinyi and Wu Piling also looked at Xia Shiyao with some anticipation. Xia Shiyao smiled, a cloudy haze rising on her face. Who says folk singers can't have a tomorrow? It's just, can I hear your songs? Right here. Xia Shiyao didn't immediately say yes, even if she was a friend of the two Feng Xiaoxiao. As a company, the process that should be followed still had to be followed. Aha! Wang Xine and Wu Peiling nodded and looked at each other, secretly clenching their fists. They gathered some courage, one holding the microphone, the other holding the guitar, walking towards the stage. The people around them made way for the two of them, and there were some others who were shouting and cheering for them. Most of them were regulars here, and naturally knew the strength of the two girls. Xia Shiyao's few people also came to the front of the stage, quietly looking at the center of the tavern, the plainly dressed two people on the stage. At this moment, the tavern instantly quieted down. Wang Xinyi and Wu Piling habitually sat on the high stools as they looked at the people at the bottom of the stage, their eyes momentarily reddening even more. Hello everyone, this is probably the last time we as a group will be stationed here. Hopefully, this last ballad will bring some touching to everyone who is here. Ballads are poor, guitars are expensive, stories are long. The road ahead is far. I hope everyone can remember our group. We are called Landlord's Cat. After the two finished speaking, Wu Piling gently strummed the guitar, and the melancholy melody suddenly rang out. Wang Xinyi wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes, picked up the microphone, and sang softly. Don't cry, there must be a road ahead. The light and slightly sad song rang out. Wang Xinyi looked up at the sky, took a deep breath, and swallowed the choking in her voice. The moment the song rang out, Xia Shiyao's eyes lit up for a moment. This girl, her timbre is very good, and it's the perfect singer for a ballad. Wang Xinyi adjusted herself and continued singing again. Don't cry, there must be a road ahead. As if, happiness is not far away. I'm in your heart. I'm by your side. How do you want it to be will be how we want it to be. Hearing this, Xia Shiyao nodded her head. The two stage style was a bit childish, but it was because they were like this that it went better with the ballad. Moreover, the combination of the two also gave a feeling of going back to the beginning, that of the original singers, playing the original songs in a youthful manner, pursuing the original dreams, so that's good. After the song was finished, some of the old audience under the stage had been in tears, so many of them were running to the two of them. It can be foreseen that in the future, this tavern, there should be no more of these two people. The two of them got down from the high stool, gathered up their emotions, and then somewhat apprehensively walked to the front of Xia Shiyao's few people. They knew that next, Xia Shiyao was the one who would decide the direction of their future. You guys are great. Star Yao Entertainment. Welcome you guys. Xia Shiyao looked at the two with a gentle smile and extended her hand. Her words were sincere. This made Wang Xinyi and Wu Piling want to cry a little bit again. They were busy shaking hands with Xia Shiyao. Their hearts were even more touched. The audience at the scene slowed down from the ballad and began to transform into fervent fans again, chanting Xia Shiyao's name in unison. Xia Shiyao, who was urged on by the crowd together, shook her head and slowly walked onto the stage. I'm very happy to see you all here today. Of course, I can't sing any new songs. Next, I'll sing you an old song. It's also one of my personal favorite songs. The Wind is Blowing. As soon as the three words "The Wind Rises" came out, the scene cheered even louder, and both men and women were transformed into loyal little fanboys, sisters, at this moment. It's been a long walk, following the traces of a teenager's drift. When Gu Xingyi arrived, he saw this concert-like scene, and when he received Tao Leilei's message, he rushed over without stopping. The result was that Gu Xingyi also suffered. The people who found Gu Xingyi went crazy, especially the owner of the tavern, who actually shouted with a microphone. The boss is happy tonight. The entire consumption will be paid for by the boss. In the end, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao several people, after signing an unknown number of their own names, only then under the protection of the security guards, they got out of the crowd in a sorry state and got in a car and flew out of the place. What did you say your group was called? In the car, Gu Xingyi looked at these two with some shock. Wang Xinyi and Wu Piling looked at Gu Xingyi with some timidity and replied in a small voice, "The landlord's cat." Gu Xingyi looked at these two, the expression on his face was not to mention how wonderful. He now wanted to come up with a sentence, "The landlord's cat? I'm the tenant's dog ah. You guys are ballad singers?" The unbelieving Gu Xingyi asked again, making the two even more nervous. For them, Gu Xingyi was a top figure in the entertainment industry, far away from small people like them. They were a little afraid that they would be disliked because the two were ballad singers, but seeing the encouraging eyes of Xia Shiyao and the others, they still answered, "It's a ballad." Only then did Gu Xingyi nod his head, looking at the two of them being a bit scared. He was busy comforting them. Ballads are good. Ballads have three, love, ideals, and faraway places. It's the dream in everyone's heart. Hearing Gu Xingyi's words, the two people's hearts were slightly warmed and their complexion was slightly at ease. Since Gu Xingyi had said so, then they should be fine. Feng Xiaoxiao, who was sitting on one side, was still a bit guilty. He looked at Gu Xingyi and lowered his head and said, "General Manager Gu, I'm sorry, it's all because of me that it's hard for you guys. It's not in the way. It's not like we're unseen. Moreover, you pulled in two more singers for our Star Yao entertainment. I still have to thank you." Seeing that Feng Xiaoxiao was going to apologize again, Gu Xingyi waved his hand hurriedly. This whole journey, he had been apologizing all the time. His own ears were getting calloused. Now we happen to be short of people. As you can see, many entertainment companies have put out the word that the later installments of the competition can be real. It's good for the company to add people at this time. Gu Xingyi said this, not to comfort Feng Xiaoxiao, but he was really happy for earning two more big generals, and he had more or less guessed some of what Tianmei Entertainment and those other entertainment companies were thinking. Regardless of the field, always speak with strength, no matter what the other side will do. As the party that defends the ring, Gu Xingyi only has one sentence, that is, soldiers come to block, water to water, earth to cover. When the car arrived at the company, the time had already come late at night. Gu Xingyi and the others just settled Wang Xinyi and Wu Piling in the artist apartment first, and the official entry could not be processed until tomorrow. Only 2 hours had passed, and the news of Xia Shiyao and Gu Xingyi's appearance in the tavern flooded the entire internet. Especially on Douyin, all sorts of live videos were popping up, each with hundreds of thousands of likes, and the video of Xia Shiyao's performance of The Wind Rises had even jumped over 1 million likes. All the night owls who swiped the video have been beating their chests, hating that they can't go back in time and rush to the scene themselves. To know Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao since appeared, has not once publicly in front of the crowd debut. The result is now, to engage in this kind of sudden attack? Netizens from all walks of life had condemned them in the comments section, one after another, as if they were resentful women, breaking their great defense. Sour. I admit I'm sour. The chance to get up close and personal with Xia Shiyao and Gu Xingyi, I didn't grasp it. Xingyao the cub seed. Couldn't you have notified me in advance? This wave of appearances really caught people off guard. There was no concert. No fan meeting. Now it's good. This kind of thing? There's also a ballad. I'm impressed. Ballads are poor. Guitars are expensive. The girl is beautiful. It's me who doesn't deserve it. The fans on the scene don't give a damn. It's so easy to let them get away. Alas. When is the concert going to be organized? In the end, can we act? In the face of this overwhelming live video on the internet, netizens one by one managed to transform into lemon essences, sour, and this series of fighting sounds managed to make it to the hot search. In response, everyone said that they were used to it, and now a day without seeing the two of them on the hot searches, it was unbearable. As for the main couple, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao, they had already returned home, and little Nai Nai had been lulled to sleep by Gu Xingyi's fairy tales long before. The two just ate a little dinner, and then lived a shameless night life. A night full of words, skimmed. The next day, as the sun rose, Gu Xingyi dragged his aching old back and prepared breakfast in the kitchen, while Xia Shiyao, her pretty face flushed with red, played her hand on the side. The light of the early sun outside the window spilled in, and Gu Xingyi suddenly realized that it seemed like he hadn't practiced in the morning for quite some time. No wonder. This body was getting weaker by the day. It's all because he hasn't practiced in the morning. Xia Shiyao, on the other hand, only felt her face rolling. Just thinking about those actions last night, she was so ashamed. She didn't even know where the hell Gu Xingyi seemed to have gotten those things. It was so humiliating and annoying. Wife, time to go wake up Nai Nai. Gu Xingyi tasted a mouthful of the freshly baked rice porridge and nodded with satisfaction, then picked up the small dishes on the table and twisted his head to speak with Xia Shiyao. Xia Shiyao was still in a state of delirium, her watery eyes staring blankly ahead, not hearing Gu Xingyi's words in the slightest. Seeing this naive side of her, Gu Xingyi laughed and quickly booped her on her pretty face. Wife, if we dawdle a little longer, Nai Nai should be late for school. Being suddenly sneak attacked, Xia Shiryao only then came back to her senses, her pretty face turned even redder, lowered her head and quickly walked out from the kitchen, that small pace, almost catching up with the race-walking champion. When Xia Shiryao came out of the small bedroom with her little Nai Nai who had just woken up, Gu Xingyi had already served the rice porridge, pie, and small dishes on the table, and was waiting for the two of them to come over with a big smile on her face. Looking at a large and small identical almond eyes, Gu Xingyi's mood became brighter and brighter. As a matter of fact, the family has a beautiful wife and child, how to live this day how comfortable. After having breakfast and sending little Nai Nai to kindergarten as usual, the two came to the company. The company's people have basically arrived, are busy with their own things. Wang Xinyi and Wu Piling also early to the company. The two of them have just signed a contract from Yang Lin's office came out. Compared to yesterday, the smile on the face of the two people unusually bright. The two never thought that they would one day enter such a famous company, and the contract they signed was a free contract that they never dared to think about before. Although Xingyou Entertainment didn't have many resources to give them right now, everyone knew that the future of Xingyou Entertainment was simply immeasurable. Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiryao had just entered the lounge when Sister Yun walked in. It was worth mentioning that Sister Yun was currently serving as Xia Shiryao's manager in addition to taking care of the company's operations and development.
Nowadays, Xingyou Entertainment was still developing, and Gu Xingyi's attitude towards the recruitment of these management talents was very strict.
In addition to being trustworthy, good character, business ability should also be strong enough. This kind of talent is already scarce, so Gu Xingyi is not so anxious. And nowadays, the company had been busy with China's strongest voice. For the time being, he didn't have that energy and time to recruit and screen this kind of management.